And then, yeah, let me know what's going on with the, you know, if it's live on YouTube or what the fuck.
Yeah,
you know?
nothing's changed yet, but we'll see.
It might take just a hot second. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna.
We're scratching the surface. We'll get back to that later.
Because this should be cooler because we actually will be able to see our live chats when somebody says hi over there
Oh,
on the
yeah.
top right.
It should, yeah, it should be pretty sweet.
You know,
right?
I was going to come here straight from work, by the way, but I realized that if I did that, I actually might be committing a Hatch Act violation. So in my fucking
the outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kept. Yeah, that would probably be.
Right?
Yeah, that I had to change my shirt too.
That's the last thing I need is like the first fucking working class guy to get the Hatch Act called on him, you know? Like, fuck.
Well,
I'm not
that
sure.
would
I
require
even-
somebody to watch this for
I
starters.
went over to your.
Yeah, and
thing,
all it
too.
takes is like one petty coworker of mine, you know?
It didn't pop up that you were live.
Fair.
Didn't like an opinion I expressed or
Profile.
something. And
I forgot what I pulled up my phone for.
Like what didn't it pop up? Like
you got to remember, I'm a union rabble rouser, so management will come at me if they can.
next stream
Their
is up.
collective IQ between all five of them is like maybe 120, so pretty easy to beat, but
Giggity
they're
goo.
persistent. I'll give them that. Where did our Joe go? Are we live right now or not?
He's right there. He's trying to figure out how to send us live.
Right, I think
Okay.
they're
One
trying
second,
to figure
guys.
it out.
So you were talking about Illinois and why it went so blue.
Right.
Okay. Perfect.
Illinois fucking sucks.
It does.
It
I
fucking
hate it.
sucks, dude.
I can't even cross the fucking border with my guns. Like any of them. I don't even think I can take my pistol across the border without getting a pistol permit.
They have a sign when you're
You-
driving
you
into
live
Alton
here, right?
where you're like not allowed to bring cigarettes that you bought from out of
Yeah.
state through, and it's
Yeah.
like, who the fuck put that sign up?
Because people from Alton come over.
Yeah, I understand that, but like,
If I lived in
Cartons
Alton,
of
I would
cigarettes.
come to Missouri for cigarettes. Are you kidding me? I'm
I-
not paying Illinois
when
prices.
when do you
No,
think the
dude, they're
last time that
outrageous.
happened was? Where like, and like I get it, like if they catch you with like a truckload of cigarettes, you're like, fuck you, you can't resell those here for cheaper. Like,
Yeah.
fine, I get it, but like,
Whenever a cop feels like fucking your day up, they are predators, bro. Always
Oh,
looking for
yeah.
prey.
Right.
I bet
Some
they've
of 'em.
never used those.
Some of them, yeah.
Some
There's
of
no
them.
way
Not
that
all
they've,
of them.
there's
Most
no
of
way
them.
they've used that because some
I
dude
wouldn't
had a
even
pack
say
of
most
Marlboro
of
Reds
them.
in his car that he just bought it dirt cheap across.
It
the
would
border.
appear that we are live, guys.
Hell yeah.
And the cops
Yeah.
will
It,
Good
Warning.
it doesn't really
Sad.
say anything, but yeah, I guess we are live.
Oh, well, that was quite the transition then.
They really
Yeah.
was,
Well, you know what? Yeah.
I, I guess we'd better. Oh,
give
right.
him-
I was going to pull it up so that I could share the stream.
Yeah, I gotta do the Facebook thing too.
Because this
We
is an
got
election night
to
stream,
share
and
the
I think the audio's going right now. Update for anybody that doesn't have it pulled up themselves.
Yeah.
Electoral counts at 188 Trump, 99 Harris.
That's
None
not
of the real
great.
big
Sweet.
swing states have really been called or reported. So
Yeah, I
Alright.
don't know.
still pretty much up in
Oh,
the
this
air.
actually showed up
Fun
on my
times.
feed.
It's
Fuck
probably
yeah.
fine, right?
So we're at.
Boink. I'm going to thumbs up
shit.
it, and then I'm going to
That's my
share.
in-depth analysis.
Super in depth.
My scientific opinion is a
Super
Okay.
scientific.
Well, that's
poll expert.
stop stream.
no matter what you're
Recording.
doing,
Looks
the
like we're
words
still
"oh
recording.
shit" are
On
always
YouTube
bad.
now and getting to the meat of it.
Are you typing in the chat?
No, I
Wait,
was sharing
okay.
it on Facebook.
Yeah. Now let me share the thing on Facebook.
I can type in the chat.
I heard people saying that Trump could potentially win New Hampshire.
I heard that too,
Let's see what it's at.
but I was watching and listening to like Trump. He said himself, he's like, "Well, I guess I could lose." You know, I'm like,
Well, we're live now, so
All right.
we
I
could probably
typed,
just
I
vote
typed
with it
in the
later.
chat.
It's only a 30,000 vote difference right now, so I don't know.
it's still pretty close.
I don't know how many people vote in New Hampshire. I don't even know what their population is.
I had a great.
You're from up in them parts. What's the biggest city in New Hampshire?
Well, yeah, I remember that.
I don't fucking know,
Camp
bro.
Crystal Lake.
I
from
probably don't need to.
Friday the
New
13th
Hampshire?
series.
Yeah, I
Does
was
New
gonna
Hampshire
say,
even
that's a
have
real
any
place.
cities? Like,
No,
you
but
telling?
if
kidding
it
me?
was, it'd probably be
One-
New Hampshire.
That'd be badass. I would have to go visit
it's-
there,
so it's
dude. Have to
some
drop off a Jason mask, you know,
Yeah,
fuck
dude.
people up.
So it's just saying that it's not high definition.
Okay, sweet.
All right, we're good. Yeah, I got beers. All right. Cool.
Sweet. All right. Go ahead, guys.
Well,
Do your
yeah.
shit.
She's like, you guys are live, and I'm like, well, fucking it sure ain't.
I think we were about to
Same.
listen to Chris tell us how Illinois ended up so blue.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Right, because this stuff isn't.
Why so blue, Panda Bear?
It isn't random, right? Like this stuff is not a matter of a large number of people just happening on an opinion or believing a narrative. These things happen as cultural efforts have changed. So, like, one of the reasons Missouri is so heavily red, despite having been a purple state, is because Democrats abandoned rural Missouri. A couple decades ago, they had offices in rural Missouri. If you wanted constituent services, you could go to your Democrat office, and they were there. Your Democratic representatives, and even if they weren't elected, even if they were just campaigning for the next one, they'd be there at your county fairs and everything. They would be present in the community, and people would get a perception of them, right? But ever since they withdrew, the only perception people have of them is what they see on TV, which is mostly these horribly negative ads painting them as demonic, right? So as
Some
a
of the football
result,
Sunday ones are hilarious, man.
right?
That's
so
the only time I see 'em.
as a result, the conservative, the base of Missouri has shifted hard into this red range, and this has happened to a large extent in Illinois to the Democrats as well. So the Democrats have bases all over Missouri or all over Illinois. They have offices even in rural parts of Illinois. They maintain the culture of the Democratic Party there. And that's what all of this stuff is. All of these things are cultures that have to be built, maintained, grown, or they shrink and they disappear.
I was looking for a much more succinct answer. Like, when did it happen and why? You know, I was thinking like a demographic thing. Like, did Chicago just get so big?
Well, I'm giving you the generalized
Yeah.
answer because I don't have the specific one for that. I would have to like look into the history and when specifically who did what, you know, which happens
Who
in
is your
every state
daddy
in their
and
own
what does
What
he
does
do?
he do?
Like, I know the story here because I've lived here and I've been working in politics here and everything from time to time and all that. So, but like, I don't know Illinois, you know, it's not my place.
Joe, are you on the Lucky Strikes?
Yes.
I mentioned
I,
that.
I
you
thought I
guys
was the one who
were,
talked you into it. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
No, I
America.
I told,
I slammed
yeah.
12 Yinglings last time I was here. So yeah, I didn't realize it until I was going upstairs and before Mo gave me a ride home, I was like, I reached in my bag to grab a beer and I was like, oh shit.
How do you think I paid for this podcast setup?
How'd you do it?
Switched to Lucky Strikes.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. Like
They didn't pay
a
us,
carton
guys. I
of
swear they
Marlboro
didn't pay
Lights.
us.
A carton of Marlboro Lights was like fucking $90-something at that point.
That must be why Danny and B were talking about it because
I
saw
buy
them the other
yeah,
day.
I was talking to Danny about it too. Like, I'm an advocate for it now because I buy 2 cartons of fucking
We
Lucky
tried-
Strikes for $65 now. Like,
we
fucking,
tried switching between like
the
a few of,
third.
like the shitty cheap brands with the idea being that like it's gonna be so bad it'll convince us to quit smoking. And like we tried like those, what are they, Decades?
Dose talked me
Oh
into
my
this.
God.
So
Hey,
bad.
what's
Yeah.
going
Oh,
on in
dude.
Wisconsin there?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, give us the vote totals.
Man, the state of Wisconsin ain't look too great.
There we go.
That's close.
Very close.
It's still
pretty fucking close.
3%.
Just
Or
like
is
they
that
said it would be.
36%? I don't know. It's pretty small on the screen here.
What does that say, Steven?
What's say?
Wisconsin?
Total reporting.
36. 36.
I guess
Yeah,
we got to
that's
get an
about right.
85-inch TV instead of a 55. My bad.
Oh,
All right, just more money. We're good.
Oh, we got all this
Yeah.
technical
Looks like
stuff
you're
here.
switching to
It's just
Decades,
money.
bitch. You know,
Yeah, those are
somebody-
more expensive.
So how's
Somebody was-
how's North Carolina going?
North Carolina.
Yeah, because I want to know about that because that's where we had the governor come out with the whole nude Africa black Nazi thing.
66% reporting.
And we're at 51, 47,
He's got
52,
not quite a
47.
200,000 vote lead. Nothing huge.
Did you hit that refresh button recently
Although
at all?
that is
Yeah,
a
I
9%
did just
reporting.
before I pulled
Yeah,
this
yeah.
up.
Oh,
Yes.
Good call. You're already a fantastic Stevie.
Yeah.
Last I looked, Georgia already had like 12 million people that was
Georgia.
voted. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think George is going to be as close as last
you go.
time. Biden delivered on none of the promises that he like. So like in 2020, a lot of black campaigners
Does that say
and progressives
80% reporting?
really drove hard
Yep,
on the get
80.
out the vote campaign for him.
Wow.
And the day after election, he just abandoned all of his promises to those organizers. So like, I doubt George any of those people did any work in Georgia for him this time. So it's going back red.
Sure.
We
looks
got
like
a
it.
couple YouTube live stream chat comments, whatever.
Remember, Georgia just had a big Supreme
Can
Court
you see those
case.
up there?
No.
Oh, that's Aaron Fry. I see
Aaron
that.
Fry, yep. North
Good
Carolina.
old AA Ron.
No, it's
I can
A-
see it.
North
Yeah.
Carolina was called for Trump on town hall. That's what Aaron says.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, all right. Well, thank you.
Well, thanks, buddy.
That was
So
one of those
that's,
swing
that's
states we had to
probably
watch.
called.
Look
That's-
at you tuning in, Fry.
Man. I mean, that's not surprising, but that means there's going to be a lot of cross ballot votes. I'm interested in the governor race there too, because that might end up going Well, I mean, there's no way that dude's getting reelected after all that stuff came out. After he said he wanted to be a black KKK member.
You talking about the dude in Georgia?
He
Yeah.
had some weird porn stuff going on too, right?
Yeah, well, that's where
He
all
was
these
involved
comments
in the
came
Diddy
out. They
party.
were on
Doesn't
Becky.
everybody?
They were on this 90s website.
I was just about to say.
that I'm not going to ask him to bring up because it's a porn website, but it's Nude Africa, and it looks like a website that has not been redesigned since 1995.
They also did not
Nude
pay us for an
Africa.
endorsement.
Nude
Just wanna say
Africa,
that
yeah.
first.
I'm
It-
into black chicks.
I'm sure the content's great, but I couldn't find it navigating the site. It's that old and
This
difficult
guy,
to navigate.
Like, wasn't that guy like in there like spewing a bunch of like really racist shit?
Oh yeah, he was commenting on videos.
He's a black guy,
and he
for the
was
record,
he
by
was
the
one
way,
of those
but-
guys that's like telling you everything he thinks about porn, right? Like you ever met somebody who's just like who like there's a hot woman around and he just has to tell you every single thing that he feels about how she looks.
Yes.
Look at the fucking tits on that one, you know? And they're just like, yeah.
He was on a heater.
He was he was that way every time he was on the site. He just had to comment his feelings, and he's like, "I'd be a member of the KKK if they let black guys in and stuff like that." And he
He's
was
the
like,
real
"I'm
life
a-"
Clayton Bigsby.
Yeah, I was just
Literally, he
about
was
to say
literally
that.
calling himself a black Nazi. He's like, "I like the transgender porn because I can watch a person dick down a woman and I don't have to see any hairy guys." And he's just like openly commenting this stuff, but they managed to associate it back to his email.
It's like,
and
sir, this is not your therapist.
This
office.
is
Like,
crazy.
yeah, this is like
And this is the America we live in today. You know?
Isn't that a
How do you
comment
sign
I
that
asked
shit?
you though? Like a trans, like a wasn't
that
that a
shit
weird
in your
comment
head,
I asked
bro.
asked at work? Like transgender porn. Like, is it gay? Are you gay if you watch
no.
a transgender person have sex with a woman? Because that was the weird question I asked to work. I remember because when you think about it, right?
I wouldn't think it
So
would
a
be.
transgender, I guess you would call it a transgender man or a man transition. When a
It's
man
fucking confusing.
it is when a man transitions to be a woman, but then still has a penis, very feminine looking
A trans
man
femme,
with a
that's all you
penis.
gotta say.
Trans femme. I just don't know the terminology, and
It's
I'm not trying to like
it's
diss
utterly
anybody or
confusing.
anything.
It's just
That's
trans and then
So-
what they look like.
Okay, all right. So trans woman. So a trans woman.
that is
There you go.
Trans woman
So easy.
having sex. Now, okay, a trans woman having sex with a man. Okay, you could say, all right, that might make you a little gay if you're watching that. All right. Now, a trans woman having sex with a woman. So that is a trans woman having a penis, having sex with a woman. Is that gay? Now, my argument there is that's actually more feminine than normal porn. It
Yeah.
actually is.
Well, and also,
guess it depends on what you're
you'll-
into.
So, like, if
I'm
you,
just
if
saying.
you talk to trans women about this, they'll say that most of their boyfriends are straight men who normally date women, and who just aren't that bothered by the fact that they have a little bit different equipment.
They made
I'd say it's a lot of bit different, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say, that's a
I
lot
would-
of
I would
different.
argue it's a
Trans
lot,
women are
yeah.
famous for giving really good head, and they're famous for doing a lot of anal sex. So you know, you get a
Well,
lot
it's
of
the
perks
only.
there.
Those are
I
pretty
mean,
much the
there's
only two
two
options.
holes you got.
But I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think that would make you gay.
Well,
It's
considering that
actually
it's a-
more feminine because, like, if you're watching normal porn, you're watching a big, hairy,
I think the difference.
masculine man fuck a woman, as
Right.
opposed to watching
I
a
think that's what you're trying to
feminine.
say.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. You're watching a
They,
feminine trans man.
I don't know.
I
I
think
just
they
watch
made-
regular ass guy porn.
I'm just
bro.
saying. It's an interesting
Like
theory. It's an
straight
interesting
up
guy
question.
porn. That's definitely gay.
Yeah, that would be
But
good.
yeah, that came out fucked up.
Joe, I think they.
I think we take these titles
came
too
out fucked
seriously. It doesn't really matter what you call yourself. You're into what you're into, and people should just enjoy
I was-
themselves as long
No,
as
I
the other party
wholeheartely
is
agree.
capable
I-
of
yeah.
consent. Just fucking enjoy it.
I was just
As
about to
capable
say this.
and is giving it the consent.
I stated that just as like a stumper for people, and I know it kind of got Luke at work for a minute, and we asked numerous people, and they were just kind of like, "Fuck, I don't know."
Well, I mean,
You know,
it
it's
fills me with
technically,
dread and
no,
anxiety.
you
I
wouldn't.
don't even like being asked.
Well,
something
that's like the
Really?
question: Is
I
a
got
hot
meme
dog
of
a
lady with
sandwich?
fucking-
It's
It
a
doesn't
language
bother
thing.
me.
It kind of
just
is.
can't
It's like
figure
a
out what's going on.
round bologna fucking thing.
I would argue that
yeah, hot dog
a
is
hot dog.
sandwich.
I would argue it's not a
Round
sandwich. Me personally.
Well, how? It's just a fucking round piece of meat stuck between two buns. Wow, that's
I think that
Yeah, I was about to say. So am I.
This shit
Meanwhile,
went
Luke is
weird.
desperately
This shit
trying
went
to not
weird
sound
quick.
gay.
There's a website called the Cube Rule that breaks down sandwich terminology very well, and they provide a whole thing on what exactly a hot
I
dog
might look
is
at
versus
that.
a sandwich. I believe they
A hot dog's
classify
an
a hot
open-faced
dog as a
sandwich.
taco or an open-faced
It's an
sandwich.
open-faced
which
That
I would
kinda
put
makes
in the same
sense,
category.
I want to
actually.
know
Okay.
how in the fuck you know about this website. First off,
I spent too much
Because you
time
get
on the
really
internet.
fucking high, and then yeah.
Another.
is that what happened? You
another
got real
statesman
stoned.
called-
Well,
Was this
and
like
we
I
had
wondered
that
there's like
That's
a
my
fucking
guess.
Wikipedia
We
of
had that
sandwiches.
argument a handful of times at my house, and eventually it came up on my feed somewhere. You know, the algorithm delivers.
All right. Well, why don't we get back to
Fair
politics? I mean,
Another
it-
state just
Speaking
went
of that,
called.
look at this.
D-
shit.
Another state
What's
Colorado.
Okay.
Look at
Colorado.
this.
Shouldn't surprise anybody, but it's a big state. Got-
Harris went up a bit.
Yeah, it's from Colorado.
Yeah, she sure
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man, but that number right now, man,
There you go.
It's not looking real
Do we
good
have
for
any
it.
data on Omaha?
Omaha.
Yeah, it's just the little middle of Nebraska because that one could break out.
If this is the same
Dude, we
interactive
got-
one I
who
have,
the
you can
hell's
zoom in
speaking
on
here? I
it.
can't
Just
see
click
that.
on it.
Yeah, I can't read.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Go over there on the right.
Holy shit!
Go over there on the right and click on Omaha. It'll tell you what's going on in that.
I'm grabbing Omaha and it's not
yeah,
doing
it's
nothing.
not doing nothing.
So,
It's variable, but that'll probably end up going relative blue enough that
Can you do it,
What
if
the
you zoom
fuck?
in
Okay.
closer, it'll do it too. You just have to
now you're
zoom
in Iowa.
Okay, yeah.
Well, there was a poll about Iowa. How's Iowa doing? It was a crazy one-off poll that nobody really knows what
We
to
all
make
know
of.
where Iowa's going here.
Yeah, 51-47. That's about what's more reasonable than that poll that came out that a bunch of people were freaking out about today.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, this election is so hard to poll that everybody's looking for answers and they're hard to find. And this one pollster is somebody who doesn't do a lot of weighting and a lot of stuff like that. They just call random likely voters and pick from the pool. So people were looking like maybe let's see an unweighted result versus all these different weights and attempts to measure which subgroup is going to turn out to which extent.
It's not
Because that's
impossible
such a
that
mess.
Harris wins Iowa, but it's not likely.
Right.
Oh, Aaron
Well,
says
I
a
know,
hot
I
dog
agree.
is a taco. I can read that. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't read
There,
that.
man.
Yeah.
I have a new mortal
See
enemy.
if I can make that any bigger for
It's
you.
not a taco.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could like see the chat
If you,
bigger.
It's not a
if you
taco.
came to my food,
A taco is
if
a
you
taco.
came to my food cart, and
dude.
you're like,
That's
"Hey,
not
bro,
a
I'll
taco.
take one of those."
Well, I made it
tacos,"
bigger. Shit.
And I handed you taco meat inside of a hot dog
It
bun.
still
You wouldn't
doesn't
walk
matter.
away saying it was a taco. You'd be pissed.
No, I
wouldn't
call it
be.
a hot dog.
You'd be like, "Why did you give me a hot dog filled with meat?"
I mean, that's like an upgrade
No, it's not. For a taco,
for a hot dog to instead have taco meat.
it could be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Close the comments.
So I
Still
guess all
does
you
not
got
a
to do is
taco
just
bake.
compress it into a hot dog shape and bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. And the bun will do that
I don't
for
think
you.
I don't think fucking tacos that taste good
Joe,
on regular white bread.
can you
bro.
come up here for a second?
I mean, nothing tastes good on regular white bread. White bread isn't even bread, bro. I stopped eating that shit. I
Caucasian
make my
bread.
own bread. I make all my own bread. I
It's
got
pretty-
a
it's
fresh
pretty
loaf
sugary
sitting at home
stuff.
right now.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, you're a handy motherfucker.
I've
I
had
am.
I've had his bread. It had like garlic in it and some other stuff. It was good bread.
Yeah.
There's a handful of us
Was
munched
it,
on
is
it
it
one night late
crispy
at
and
the pub.
soft in the middle? It's crispy on the outside, soft in
It's
the middle?
big
Yeah.
though, so there's not a whole lot of like crust per bite.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about the crust. Nobody cares about the crust.
I've been working on it continuously, though. Every week I get a little bit better.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say my sister-in-law. She used to make these friendship breads or whatever else. It just keeps fucking growing. You know, you like.
Yeah. Keeping like a sourdough starter going or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Now that stuff is great, but I keep enough stuff alive. I got plants. I got exotic plants that I lost most of when my face got ripped open by a dog.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, so like I couldn't take care of them for a while, and I lost some of the ones that were a little touchier. Namely, my carnivorous plants. I had some fly traps and some Drosera, which are like all kinds of different ones. But the ones I had were like these long strings, and they would branch out in two, and they would just like unroll along the things. They'd be wild. Anytime they'd catch something, they'd roll around it
No
and digest
shit.
it slowly. Yeah, it was
That's
super
sick.
cool. Yeah, but I lost them during that period. Most of my air plants died, but I got one air plant left, and my living stones, my lithops, survived because they're succulents and they just keep living.
We need our like True Blood Trump guy though. Where's James?
His wife's having
Did he get shot again?
no, his wife's
no,
having
he's-
medical
he's-
issues,
Yeah,
so
he's
out,
having
yeah.
some personal issues
Okay,
going
okay.
on.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate. It would definitely liven us up a little bit.
Well, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, I don't think, out of all four of us at this table, none of us are like really like Harris supporters, or like we're all like I have a different party that I associate
Yeah.
myself with other than the Republican Party. I know he does. I don't think you associate yourself with any political party, if I've gathered.
Negative.
And I'm pretty sure I know where Joe stands, and it's like we're kind of a table of independents, right?
I would think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
We're persuadable
No,
sometimes.
I am. I'm willing to listen to good ideas as long as they're good ideas.
Sure, yeah.
That's if it's fucking bullshit and it's gonna crash the economy or fucking.
I
harm
mean,
my
I'll
neighbor or
tolerate
something, then
lesser
no, I
evil,
won't.
but I got some red lines, and also like I'm not voting for dog shit.
You said earlier that you supported some of the stuff that Kamala did. You did hedge it and say that Kamala says that she's for, not that you think she necessarily is. But one of the
we were
things you
talking
mentioned
about, like,
was
price gouging and
that's
shit.
the one I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you about. Yeah. What does that look like to you?
Well, I mean, how it's going to look when she does it is going to be garbage. She's going to target some highly specific goods that are the most complained about, that are the most visible, that are the best PR. And that's it, right? Because this is a bang for your buck thing. And every single thing they do for working people is against their donors.
Legislatively, what do you think it looks like? Like,
So
so
legislatively,
targeting
what it
certain
looks like
industries, like, are you
is
talking about like
targeting-
capping profit margins?
is they're probably going to target prices in very specific areas on very specific goods, and they're probably going to back them with a combination of subsidies and penalties. That's probably going to favor giving corporations money.
Yeah,
more than anything else.
See, I was going to ask
She
you that.
does
Do
have
you,
her
do you
donors.
think they're going to go after like the private sector, or do you think they're going to go after
Yeah,
the
they're
corporate sector?
well, Kamala has said it herself. She's a capitalist. She believes in private property. She believes in giving these people everything that they want.
She's an empty shell.
She
she's
is an
a-
empty shell,
yeah,
but she
she's a
is
mute,
definitely
dude.
a capitalist. She has that in her history. So she's going to be all for giving that class of people more money and power. And
I think
everything.
if unscripted,
Hmm.
you asked Kamala Harris what a capitalist was, she would fail to give you a coherent answer.
Absolutely.
And
she
I don't mean
would.
like just in front of cameras. I mean, I think that she would struggle to anyway. The more like information about her background that comes out, I don't know if you saw recently, but
Unfortunately, her dad did not have a very strong influence on her upbringing.
See, I was watching something about her dad being involved with the CIA and some other fucking top secret fucking projects they had going on, or something like that.
That would be news to me. I mean, he's supposedly a Marxist.
That's what I
That's
understand.
what a bunch
He had
of
a-
well, the Marxists and CIA are bitter enemies.
Well, yeah, no, I get that. Who was that?
I listened to
that
this
was saying
Kilgore
that?
thing that like
It was what was her name? Candace Owens. She was talking about this.
Candace Owens is hot. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
Geez.
yes, please.
I've never really listened to her show, but she's a good looking lady.
I mean,
Hey,
since she's
she married a white
broken
dude.
with Ben Shapiro, she's at least a little bit more.
No, they had like a
tolerable
big
to listen
falling
to.
out. You didn't hear about that?
Yeah, I did.
They
I
did?
heard
They were
about
like,
that.
yeah, they got in a piss fight over like
No,
Israel
I
or
didn't hear
something.
about this.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she's been
I know it's bad.
like opposed to just mass murdering children for fun. She's taken a little bit of a stand against it,
Well,
and that
yeah.
really pissed old Benny off. So they got a little bit of beef between them. She's no longer a part of their network. She's doing her own thing, and she's been interviewing a little bit more broadly, taking a little bit more nuanced approach to some complex political issues. But she's still Candace Owens. I'm not a fan.
How did she get famous? What was her stunt?
She was basically an intern that made her way up through the PragerU system of like making cheap videos to lie to kids about how economics works to push Coke Industries fucking
What do you
personal
mean?
political
PragerU is all I
opinions.
let my kids watch, even the 5-year-old. I'm not sure if I've.
5-year-old.
Chances are I've probably seen a PragerU video at some point in time,
Mm.
but
They're,
not that I can recall, or
Do
not that I
you,
ever
do you know
went
what
searching out.
corporate aesthetics are? What the
Because they do
like-
the same kind of thing that like Charlie Kirk does with, God, I only know the euphemism people call it, but Turning Point USA.
Kind of, but do you know that art style that's like nothing, like one color on a slightly offset color, cutouts, really simple shapes, all the characters are really simplified, that like corporate kind of aesthetic.
Okay.
Yeah, that is like PragerU just does that, except they do it all for like Coke Industries' personal ideas.
It's a propaganda PowerPoint.
Yeah, literally,
That's
literally.
amazing. I got to
Like,
check some of it out.
they-
But is it like it's focused at younger generations, right?
It's focused on children. They've successfully
Like what
pushed
age?
this
Like
shit
what age
into.
children?
They have successfully made it a thing that you can get credit for.
Don't tell me
as
they're behind
a-
Boss Baby. I love that show.
No shit.
As
Okay,
an
grew up on it.
elementary student, as a middle school student, and even created high school programs for high school credits if you sit through their
When
classes.
were you exposed to? They have classes in public schools?
They're not like in the public schools, but you can get credit in a public school by going through their thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane because their production value is horrible, and you're not actually learning anything. It's just like sit through like 20 minutes of them parroting.
Where do they make all
standard
their money?
corporate talking? They make it from above. They're just funded, bro. Dennis Prager owns this. He's a billionaire, so he's just putting his own money into doing all
Okay.
this stuff. And they're also they receive massive grants and financial transfers from the Heritage Foundation that support them. And the Heritage Foundation is mostly Coke Industries, but they also coordinate donations from a large number of other billionaires and members of the investment banking cartel.
Yeah,
and such.
the Heritage Foundation, it was their think tank project that came up with the whole project
2025. Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
which apparently was like 900 pages of like dense policy proposals. Which
Yeah, I read most of
always
it. It
do.
was fucking awful and
Dude,
boring.
some
How
of
much of
that-
it did you actually read? Dude, I got through like 40
Okay,
pages.
so like I
Like,
skim
yeah.
Dude,
legalese.
some of
Like
that shit
I
was
get
just
the
Like, I know
gist
long
of what
ridiculous.
it's saying. I'm not like going through every single word of the legalese to make sure I've got a perfect picture of it. I'm like scanning it and making sure that it's generally the thing.
I'm
right?
just checking to make sure no more states.
So like
involved.
I went through it at a rate of like 3 pages a minute. So like it wasn't that hard of a read, and there were some sections I had to slow down and process more, but most of it was pretty quick. If I had to sit down and read it like a book and study it, I mean that's hell no. For something that's not even going to become law.
That's I don't know how you got through that. I don't even think I could do it on audiobook.
On audiobook it'd be way worse because you'd have to listen to all of it at the same pace. I mean, you could put it on like 4x and listen to them like squeak through it like.
And it's like how many Harry Potter books is that? I've never read that Harry Potter books.
It's like book
like-
4 and 5 combined, but those are like the thickest.
God, specific like 4 and 5 combined. Is
Well, because
exactly
like
that.
the first 3 are really short. I have a set on my shelf that was gifted to
Yeah,
me
because
from like
they
2
grew in
decades ago.
complexity and like in terms of like reading level with the kids that were growing up with it, right? Like,
It
that's
really,
actually what
it
each
really,
book-
they just got longer. It's
Yeah.
not more complex. It's
Oh,
really bad writing.
I'd never read them, but I always heard that they kind of like.
Really
It doesn't
bad,
hold up. Like the last time I tried to reread through them was like 6 or 7 years ago, and I was like, man, this is just so full of holes. It's so hard to read.
So I don't have everybody's phone number saved in the group text. Who was it that was texting me that was saying that they think that this thing
That
is
had
going
to
to
be
like
Luke.
the repeat of 2020? Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Nice.
I mean, that's just what America's just grown accustomed to. They did it once, and they're going to try it again.
You know, everywhere in
Yeah.
like, and I saw this from all different, like, I saw this from so many different sources, and even like heard from my parents or just people I was talking to, like a cop I talked to today, because I was across the street from a polling place, and I was like, how are the lines over there? But apparently, the early voting this year was like, just like it. The best way I could put it, and I don't know this statistically though, is it like for as many mail-in ballots,
was intense.
and how like
Yeah,
how big
yeah,
of
I
a force
heard
they
it was
were in
pretty
2020.
Long
thick.
lines everywhere.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I've heard
early
it was
voting
pretty
this year
thick,
more than
dude.
mail.
But I mean, there's a lot less precincts open for early voting. So, yeah, you figure you got like 6 places to vote in the city instead of like 500.
I mean, fine, but everybody that I talked to and everybody I've heard, they're
Yeah,
like,
there's
man,
still a very large amount of early voting.
because
Yeah.
the whole point, like, hey, I'm going to go on one of the early voting days is I won't have to wait in line as long. And so it seems like it was kind of reversed. Like, look, this is just one little voting precinct, but
I never have to
polling
wait in
precinct.
line, but well, normally I'll have like to wait behind 15
The
people. Today I
Hazelwood-
just walked in
The
and they're
Hazelwood
like,
cop I talked to, he was
"Welcome."
like, you can just walk right in and vote. There is no line. Hasn't been all day. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. And I don't think that that's because people aren't voting.
no, they just
I
early
expect a
voted.
very high turnout. I think that's
Yeah.
because they just did early voting.
Yeah.
I know it was nutty by
We have
my
no,
house
and,
early
you
this
know, here in
morning.
the county, we have no excuse absentee voting. So,
I'm back.
and it
Really
started.
slam
like,
that beer on the
I feel like
table.
it started
Right.
in August. It was like a long time ago.
Sounds like my truck, dude.
Well, that's because my fantastic audio
Boom.
Man, I'm
shaping
getting
capabilities.
freaking buzzed off of this.
Miller High Life.
Now you're living the high
fucking 32
life.
ounce.
I'm living
Fucking
a high
Yankees.
life, bro. Want my endorsement money?
Well, hopefully I'm not slurring as much as I was on episode 3. Holy fuck.
Did
I'm
it get
probably
bad?
going
Because
worse
I
than
was a
you
little bit. I feel like didn't we like take a shot
No,
of
I
whiskey or
watched
something?
that
before?
Did you
last
watch
one.
episode 3
got-
yet?
No, is it out
watched
yet? It's
it.
it's
Yeah, I
not on
Yeah,
Spotify.
no, I
Joe got messiest in terms
not on
of
Spotify
slurring,
yet.
but it was fine.
should
It,
be.
it was pretty funny.
I
I'm at
looked
it,
at like
but it was
before I
pretty
came
funny.
here, so let's see.
I fucking thought I uploaded it to Spotify. Maybe I didn't
Well,
do Spotify yet. I
anyways,
thought I did.
how are our
Episode
results
2
looking?
came out. Nothing's changed since
There you go.
Colorado went. At least
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
zoom in on states. So.
No, episode 3 is definitely on YouTube.
Okay, it's there.
On Spotify? Yeah, I thought I did just pop it on Spotify too. It takes like me 2 hours to upload these things, but I just do it and walk away.
But the Electoral College is why they take a state-by-state approach to forming culture like that. It's so that they can kind of partition their resources and spend them wisely to minimize how much they're, outlaying on areas. So they're all about maximizing profit margin, just like everything else in today's society.
I guess I could read the chat a little better that way. Not much though.
Yeah, Aaron Frey said
You know, I think
Trump up 2.2 points.
2.2 points in PA. When did that change?
Oof, boy.
Did that just change recently?
That comment has been up there for at least a few minutes.
Well, no, I know Aaron did, but yeah,
What's the total looking like?
yeah, in PA.
Okay, yeah. 1 second. I assume he means
Trump's at-
Pennsylvania.
Trump's nearing
Mhm.
2 million. Kamala's trailing by like, it's not all that much, honestly. It's like 121K.
And we know the
22K.
West Coast is going to go hard for Kamala.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's what I say. These West Coast is always well.
that's what they're saving.
I mean, I really don't have a dog in this fight. Both of these people are going to continue the genocide. Kamala's promised to keep slaughtering children, so there's not really much here for me to gain.
You know, honestly, I was talking to Luke about this morning, and I think it was what is it, the Patriot or whatever. I just hopped onto whatever I could get the most current what the hell's going on this morning, and I don't remember who it was that was saying it, but he made a good point, and not that I haven't had these thoughts, already, but he was like, his point was, he thinks with some of the current moves and what the Democratic Party has actually done, like some of the moves they've made, they almost want Kamala to lose. And when you even think about like her not going on Rogan, we all know why she didn't go on Rogan. She wouldn't be able to stand a fucking 3-hour long unscripted interview.
she-
There's no
she
way
would have
in
been
hell.
fucking torn apart.
Yeah, she would have been eaten alive, and Rogan wouldn't even had to try to eat her alive. Just
He'd have
the
been nice to her,
actual,
it just wouldn't have mattered.
yeah, it wouldn't matter.
I mean,
No,
he would have been giving her
Yeah. I mean,
snowball
he's
questions.
gotten a
and
lot simpler
softball
on his
questions.
interviews too. I don't think he's as sharp as he used to be.
but she wouldn't be able to last
she
3
still-
hours.
No,
she would eat herself just like Biden did on that debate.
She'd start
basically.
rambling because all she knows how to
Yes.
do is talk in political speak. And if you try to get her to talk honestly, she's just gonna freeze or she's gonna panic and ramble.
It's not just
Exactly,
political speak,
exactly.
though. It's bad.
It's
political
either that or
speak.
she's going to
She's not
cackle
good
you
at
to
it.
death is what's going to happen.
Yeah. So my point being, it almost doesn't matter, and it's almost like what is the bigger plan? And then this guy was saying like, because I just don't trust Democrats, and I don't undermine Democrats either because they're smarter than you think, and they're playing the long game, and that does make a lot of sense to me when you think about it. Like, I mean, okay, if Kamala wins, all right, they're in full power, right? But imagine if they just went ahead and said, fuck it, let Trump win, and then he gets these 4 years. Obviously, he's not going to get any more than this 4. Even as much as they like to say, oh, he's going to be a dictator, this will be the last election. That's actually what they're trying to do. I can tell you that right now.
But if he,
but
if he
well, what I
was,
see
then why
anyway.
didn't
I
he
doubt
do
that
it in the
also.
first 4 years?
Well, that's one thing.
You know
So
what I mean?
now the
Anyway,
whole point is,
I digress.
imagine
They
that
appear
they
beyond
focus.
desperate to keep that man out of office.
Yeah,
They
and
do
there's a
seem to
reason
be
for
because
it.
he
They've
could do a
soiled their
lot of
own
damage.
brand trying to prevent him from getting in office. Like they've got money in the game.
Mhm.
You know,
Well, yeah,
So,
I mean-
like, all right, Kamala wins, they still have power. But imagine if they let Trump win and then they really just focus on the House. And then they could still have the control of the House. And that's what they really want. Now, if Trump does win, think about this. Like, and you talk about, shit like Agenda 2030 or whatever it was.
Agenda
25,
21 and Agenda
Project
2030.
2025.
all
Yeah,
that
but
shit
no one's
like
talking
that.
about Agenda 2030, bro, and that's in the United Nations.
Which we can get into that, but like let's not get into that right now.
Yeah,
This second,
anyway,
but,
yeah.
but basically,
I
it
digress.
is a conspiracy.
It's not a
To where like a lot of things that used to be conspiracies. have
conspiracy
been
doesn't
true.
mean it's false.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
he's
conspiring.
just describing it as a theory.
yeah. Like all right, so let's say there is
Call
this
it a
big
conspiracy
plan.
hypothesis.
Two wings of the same bird or whatever. And when I look at politics in general, like I do feel that way, right wing, left wing, all that shit like that. But I do see something a little bit different. Now, this doesn't mean I'm a hardcore Trump supporter because believe me, I think he's a moron in a lot of ways and he speaks like a moron and he could just do so much better. But I do think that, yes, there is, it's almost establishment versus the public. I like the actual establishment is like all in. There are
So this
Republicans
is the establishment
just as,
versus the establishment.
yeah. So, point being,
two
what
wings
if
of the
there
same
was a
bird.
plan? Yeah, imagine if they just said, fuck it, they let Trump win, or Trump does win. Like, they do have a plan for that as well. I think a lot of it in Trump's presidency, I think there's a lot of weight with the coronavirus, everything that happened in 2020. There's a lot to be talked about there. And imagine this. Like, imagine if they did have a plan for if Trump wins, and they throw everything they possibly can at him. I mean, it's really not going to be good either way.
Oh,
It doesn't matter to me. If
if-
Kamala wins, we got 4 more years of the same shit we just had, even worse probably. Now, if Trump wins, well, we have 4 more years of Trump, which, yeah, okay, the economy prospered for a minute, but these people probably won't even let that happen again. They're going to be throwing so much shit at him. We'll have a new virus.
He's not
we'll have
like,
wars.
He's
We'll
not
have,
like going to make the economy better either. So like the fundamental problem with the economy
Say
is
what?
that profit margins are too high, and that this means that wages are low and prices are high.
Yeah, but
And
how
this
in the
is-
hell did we get there?
And this is what because our markets are too consolidated. There's too much power in too few hands. There's too little market competition. So this is something that that's happened to every single president
Chris is a big
under
picture
for
guy.
like 50, 60 years. They've all been pushing down the same path of letting corporations consolidate their power, raise prices, and cut wages. right? It's been the forever plan.
Big
Reduce union power, do all
corporations
this.
don't dictate like minimum wage. That's the stocks that
Well,
do that.
big corporations are the chief lobbyists that fund elections and basically decide who our politicians are.
Well, no,
If you don't pass the money
I will
primary,
totally
you're not
agree
there.
with that
Yeah.
because I think these fuckers need to be wearing
That's
fucking
why
jackets
minimum
like
wage
NASCAR
hasn't
that
been
tells us who the fuck sponsoring.
Yeah, that's why minimum wage hasn't been adjusted in like 20 years. I mean, there was like a 10-cent adjustment like in 2009, but it hasn't meaningfully been adjusted since like 2000.
It's a
since, like, the
fucking
millennium.
joke, man. The goddamn
Yeah.
cost of
Since,
living
like,
fucking
9/11 and
lift
shit.
was fucking bullshit.
Right.
Like he was like, it's like, okay, it seems like you motherfuckers need that more than I do to pay off our fucking national deficit. So why don't you go ahead and keep that 10 cents?
Well, I mean, even if you got
That's
$1 a
bullshit.
year to keep up with inflation right now, it wouldn't be enough, and people aren't
No.
getting that.
Yeah.
Fuck no, dude, they ain't.
You want to
getting
hear
that.
what my union just negotiated for me for a COLA? Keep in mind, government employee here is supposed to get a full COLA, right? Guess what they just negotiated for us? You guys are going to love this number. This is
Was
one of the
there-
biggest unions in the country, by the way.
Yeah.
So they negotiated that for every 0.4% increase in COLA calculations, I get, now this hasn't been ratified yet, but this is what they're proposing, 1 cent per hour. So let's say the Fed, they target 2%. So the Federal Reserve targets, that's what they say they want, okay? So they hit 2% inflation, right? So my dollar is now worth 98 cents in buying power. What I get is 5 cents an hour, which is nothing, obviously.
Mhm.
That's what my union negotiated for me,
Our union's great.
not mine.
Oh, sure they are, because everybody wants to be in a union.
So in a nutshell, what you're saying is
We
I
should,
I shouldn't come work there.
It'd be poor timing.
Oh, you're the guy you were talking about.
Yeah,
You're
No,
him.
we should
See, I
have-
heard about you too.
We should have unions.
You can
We
say
just
what I
have
do for a
to-
living. I don't care. That
Yeah.
can't like get me in trouble or anything. I just couldn't come on here wearing the fucking uniform talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I don't know
The
if I could. I
aesthetics
don't-
of that would, or I'm sorry,
No,
yeah, yeah,
at-
that wouldn't
at one
look
point,
good for you.
At one point, I was telling Luke, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna fucking leave your ass and go work with James.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not. That's terribly unfortunate. That's actually been the calculation for like quite some time, believe it or not. But what's shitty about this new contract is that it changes depending on what pay step you're at. So, like, the longer you've been there,
mean,
the
I
more
guess
of a
so.
full COLA you get. And it's like, how does this make sense for all union members and we're getting different fucking COLA adjustments? It makes no sense. We got a corrupt union president.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you guys this. So, with all the rhetoric from both sides, left and right, okay, we all know sitting at this table, I can say probably with the utmost confidence that we all know that both sides are corrupt.
What Aaron say? Sorry.
You know, so with all the rhetoric going on with the whole like Civil War Act and rioting in the streets, if no matter what candidate wins, where do you guys see this going? Do you think that's just fucking baseless fucking rhetoric, or do you think it really means something?
Which part?
Any of it?
I was good.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say before you guys get into that, Aaron did just say AP says all polls now closed in battleground states.
Well, what the hell does that mean?
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay,
That's-
okay.
Countdown's
It's the
on.
beginning of the end.
But that would
Right,
have
the
to mean that,
countdown's on.
that would have to mean that Arizona closed at 7:30 their time. That might be right because some
Yeah.
of them do
No.
close that early. But
I mean,
keep
we
in mind
close
that
at
even if
7,
the
don't we?
physical
Well,
polls are
there's
closed, a lot
that.
of these states have like they're still going to be counting ballots because they have
Yeah.
exceptions for mail-in votes or like.
No,
a
like
lot
I said,
harder
the
to
beginning
count,
of the end.
so-
So that gets to Luke's question of like, or whoever's question of what.
That was mine.
Yeah, your question. Where do we go from here? Well, I mean, I will say both parties have really done a good job at painting the opposite candidate as the end of the world, despite them being extremely similar across the board in policy in terms of immigration, in terms of the war, the wars, plural, in terms of how they're approaching most of our economic situation. There's very little gap between them. I mean, there's a couple key issues like abortion, like gay rights, trans rights, where there's a bit of gap between them. But overall, there's not a ton of these.
So, okay.
So like the
I don't think
the
that's
whole
answering the
like
question though.
no, but like I don't know if there's enough meat behind the parties' each end of the world rhetoric, or if it's spread enough beyond their
Okay.
absolute sycophants.
A little bit of a
to
biased
have an
view here, but if
impact.
I can kind of try to answer what
No,
you
yeah, no,
asked,
please go ahead.
I like, you know, it's easy from moment to moment to switch between being a pessimist and optimist, and I do both.
Mhm.
The political movement that I feel affiliated with is not exactly well known, but they're gaining a ton of steam. And essentially the idea, and I won't even, it's not like a sales pitch, but we're not into like candidates. Okay. We view political candidates almost like skin suits to wear around and to do what we want, or not what we want as much as broadly like what the American popular vote wants, right?
Well, they work for us.
And so, well, they certainly should, but I guarantee they don't feel like that right now. At least
No,
not
I
the ones we're
guarantee they
talking
don't
about.
right now.
You know, and you know, Trump's a little bit better at selling the "I'm for the people" thing than Kamala Harris is. He's just naturally more charismatic. It's not necessarily because he's more honest. It's just he's just better at it than she is.
Yeah, neither of them are going to be representing the people.
But you know, where I hope we go from here, and this is something, and I will say I do find hope in the Trump administration that I don't know if anybody's paid attention, but in the last few months, that has turned into a very big political tent. There are people that are joining his administration that are probably going to be cabinet members of his that are not politically aligned with him. I mean, RFK.
Even
What does RFK have to do
what's
with
the girl's
conservatism?
name from
The answer is absolutely nothing.
Hawaii?
Not really.
So,
What's her name?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi
Tulsi
Gabbard.
Gabbard. Yes,
and like, you know,
she was a
Elon
Democrat.
Musk, who I know isn't necessarily a politician, but he's
She
awfully
pivoted hard a
influential.
long time ago.
Hell yeah, she did.
She started making Republican arguments about welfare queens, and that was when I knew she was going to flip to the Republican side.
But so what I think is I think that a lot of Americans that aren't, you know, like the crazy cultists we were talking about earlier and stuff, I think a lot of us crave some kind of sense of unity, because some of us a lot of us at least, remember when we had a little bit more than that.
Well, that's
where,
why
like,
there's so many factions.
You
of
might
people
feel
on
comfortable
this chunk
talking
of
about
dirt.
politics at the pub because it might not end in a bloodbath kind of thing, depending on where you're at and who you're talking to. And so I'm one of those people that wants that. I don't like the idea of like a restoration to normality, because like normality, my entire life has been shit corruption. So it's not like I want to go back to what we were in the 90s or anything, but the idea that people with differing views can work together in a party without sitting each other's throat, which is, I think, and I hope what we'll continue to see under the Trump tent. That's inspiring to me, because it's given me more hope than anything else has recently. Anything that stood a chance at winning anyway. You know, I can find an independent party guy that's going to get 500 votes nationwide that says all the right shit, but like realpolitik here, who actually stands a chance at winning the country. And, you know, something Trump said, like, I understand, like, we don't have to get into the policy argument about this because it's a mountain, but, you know, Trump has floated out a lot recently the idea of completely eliminating the income tax.
But
Since the early 2000s, that has been something where I like little just pipe dreams. Someday somebody that might win the office will say something like that, right? And of course, it's a huge long shot. I'm not saying you should expect it if he gets
It'll
elected
never
or anything
happen.
like that.
He also wants to replace it with shittier taxes.
But the fact that those kind of ideas,
oh, tariffs.
the idea about make
And sales
America
tax.
healthy again, which is pretty much an
I didn't
RFK
read
thing.
anything about the sales tax.
If the Make America Healthy thing, which is like RFK's version of like his part of the Trump platform,
I find that pretty interesting.
I mean,
His
do you want
stance
to
on
quit
that.
spraying pesticides on the food you eat? Probably just shit like that. You know what I mean?
he
Like,
wants you to like fucking pick
He's a
up
weirdo.
bear on the
He's a
side of the
fucking weirdo.
road and eat the fucking roadkill
That
and end
story
up
was
with brainworm
awesome.
parasites.
Story
Bro,
was amazing.
parasites ate his brain because he was eating roadkill.
I know.
Like, I'm not sure I want to take health advice from that guy.
I'm not.
Well, so if you look back in like the
Never heard that
50s,
one.
40s,
You didn't hear the bear
that's
story,
even
Joe?
back 30, 40s, and the 50s.
He's the one who told me.
You didn't shit like that. Like people were a lot healthier back then than they were now. Like I mean, everybody was more on an average weight. Now there wasn't that many obese people.
A lot of yeah, this is true. There are some things that have gotten way worse.
So
it-
what went wrong? That's in our food chain.
suburbanization,
I'm-
which is
okay,
also a part
I'll-
of our food chain,
I'll-
right?
yeah,
so
I'll
like,
definitely
So
buy
like
that.
part of that is one, everybody's doing everything by car now instead of walking. So suddenly,
Well, they're not
your
working
physical
either.
activity drops to shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not
and-
working out in the field.
and
You're not being
second,
physical.
Instead of having small local diners and shops and produce stands and shit in your neighborhood and small local groceries that you stop in at, now you go to the big grocery store once every week, once every 2 weeks. That's a much further drive away, half an hour or whatever. Right? So now you're getting much less fresh produce, much less perishable goods, and much more durable goods, much more boxed goods, much more processed foods.
I mean, but people
So
can
it's
grow
driving
their
pe-
own shit.
They can, but they don't because they're busy and they're overstressed and they're overworked.
You gotta give
and they're
it-
underpaid.
it's
You
a
got to give
fucking
Bobby
plant
Kennedy
that
some
sits
kind of credit.
outside.
The guy cleaned up the Hudson River, for Christ's sakes. He has a track record of doing some good things. He's a fucking nut job.
How do you clean the Hudson River, bro?
He led an activist organization that eventually got the EPA to clean up the Hudson River, but he was a major like one of the major driving forces.
I mean, coming from
He's-
somebody
he's
who
got a
doesn't know
real
much about his
environmental
past
I
at
won't
all.
deny
That's
that he's
interesting.
He's,
interesting.
okay, so the
but,
bear
like,
story.
I don't
First
think he
off, we
should
got to
be-
fill him in on the bear
Well,
story.
I'm just saying, like think about this. Like, I'm
Also the
somebody who
whale.
I'm somebody who didn't know
whale's a good
anything about
one,
his
too.
past or whatever, and I just like tuned in to one. I don't even remember what show it was, but I tuned in and I just kind of like got to know him. Shit, I don't remember. I don't know if it was like a Dr. Phil episode. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it was, But I tuned in and I just was listening to somebody who I'd never heard of before, and it made sense. And like he even said, like in the beginning of it, he was like, a lot of people don't, you know, and he was like, a lot of people don't. I was like, I couldn't imagine listening to that voice as
What
fucking all the time
happened
as
to
president.
his voice?
He claims it's a vaccine injury. That's what
Wow.
he says.
Well, that's not that far fetched because you're not allowed to sue any corporation or any vaccine company for vaccine injuries.
That's nutty.
I think that was in the 80s or something like that because they passed that to where you can't sue them.
But I mean, like, but he said a lot of people don't, you know, they don't know me, but after they listen to me, they tend to like what I stand for. And then I sat there and I listened. I think it was a Dr. Phil interview, and I just listened to the whole thing, and I'm like,
Dr. Phil's still going, dude.
yeah, I'm like,
Amazing.
he's not wrong because after listening to the guy and really not knowing a damn thing about him, I'm like, I kind of like a lot of what he stands for. I like a lot of what he's trying to do.
He's like the
not
Mr.
knowing his
Rogers.
past.
He is a very kooky guy too, though. Like,
But not knowing his past. I'm just saying, like, I just recently got introduced to this man, and I'm just like, you know, he doesn't stand for bad values. He really
Dr.
doesn't.
Phil?
No,
RFK.
Oh.
RFK.
I got you.
Yeah, I didn't know shit about him until like 2 months ago, maybe. And I'm just like,
I know
okay.
he's a big anti-vaxxer.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
huge
You know,
anti-vaxxer.
which, I mean,
like the
to
first thing
each their own.
I
Here's
heard
the thing,
something.
too,
The
though,
first thing he's going to do.
Nobody's ever sued RFK for the books he's written about Fauci. Like, if he was knowingly lying, trust me, he would have been sued. So I'm not saying
Who,
that means
Fauci?
No, RFK. He's
Okay.
written several books and stuff. So one of them is called The Real Dr. Fauci, and it's a fucking nightmare. Be in a
Oh,
good
Fauci's
mood.
a piece of shit.
Be in a good mood when you read it, and look, you know, I have no way of knowing what all in that book is true and what isn't. The only proof that I see is the man hasn't been sued for it yet. So
He's being protected
You know?
by the damn government.
no, they
That was
refused
pushing
him
the
secret.
back.
Do you hear they refused him Secret Service detail?
Yeah, he
Fuck
was. He
him.
was having
His dad
problems with it.
and his uncle got assassinated. They're like, "Fuck you."
No,
you
we're
don't
talking
get
about
shit."
RFK.
Oh, I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about
you got
Fauci.
confused. Yeah, we're not talking
Fauci
about
was
Fauci.
against
No,
it.
no,
Right,
you got
yeah.
it flipped. Yeah,
See,
no, I
that's
mean,
so fucked, dude.
Yeah, they were like, "Nope, not you, bitch." I think like were they trying?
no,
to send a
he got it
message?
eventually. He got it eventually. He has it now.
After the Trump
That was after the
assassination,
Trump thing, right?
Yeah, it took like
They were like-
I think it took the second one. Honestly, I think it took like they were like,
Alright.
no, not you, and then Trump almost gets shot again. It's like, okay, I guess we'll give it to you.
Shit.
I guess we'll make sure
We
you
are
don't
now
die. I
Authorizing
don't
the
know.
Secret Service to protect the people. That should be protected. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, the amaranth cloth up on the wall.
Uh-huh.
Why can I not unsee the top of like a chocolate brownie that a star crashed into? Like, what is that?
Because
What, dude?
You don't see that?
What the fuck?
I never had anybody put it that way. I don't know. I mean, that's
Okay, I
art.
guess I'm the weirdo.
That's art that I made. That I was just really fucked up when I made it, and that's what I made, dude. I made an exploding. It's supposed to be an exploding planet.
Okay,
You sure you didn't hit my joint, bro?
I
Yeah.
did hit your joint.
You,
actually.
oh, no
What'd you
wonder
put?
that's what you're
Son of a bitch.
seeing.
No, we call them the Rock Planet shirts, man. They're cool looking shirts.
That's a planet. Okay.
So, Aaron Fry, Aaron Fry.
yeah,
AP calls Rice for Iowa and Kansas for Trump.
Iowa got called. Nice.
yeah. Let's go ahead and check back
I
with
was
the
about to say
the
that.
results
So,
here,
had
man.
you guys
Yeah.
heard about
It sure
that freak
did.
poll
Go
in
ahead.
Iowa that was saying it would go for Kamala?
Everybody knew that was bullshit.
Yeah.
So Trump's
Well,
at 210?
Obviously, at this point.
What he jumped from 198 to 210 just now?
Correct.
Yeah, 198.
Boy, he's whooping that
198.
ass at the moment.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't get too
None of the
fucking.
big, like the only,
No, I'm
the only
just
Hey,
saying.
swing
look at
state.
Number- the
Michigan,
numbers we're looking at
Wisconsin,
right
and
now,
North
he's whooping
Carolina,
that ass.
and
So this map still
Pennsylvania.
doesn't have North Carolina called, so I'm not sure.
But it still has it leaning red.
It does.
Well, I mean, it's going exactly how they said it
By
was
a
gonna
little
go.
over 100,000 votes, with 84% reporting, though. It's getting
I mean,
close
I'm
to a
pretty
wrap.
terrified of either way this election goes. There's like different things to be horrified about in either case.
I agree.
And
That's
there's
exactly what I
lots
was
of
saying
them.
earlier. That's exactly
So-
what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, so like in any way this election looks like it's going to swing is terrifying in either case, because we'll also have like the whole range of the House and the Senate. How's that going to go? How's the power structure going to look? It's going to be crap in any case. Not a lot's going to get done, but you know, a slow breakdown of our systems, corporations having more power, and all of us getting more fucked. I mean, that's what we have 4 years to look forward to,
I
no
want to
matter
see
who wins.
I
all
want to
these
see a
races.
Trump second term where he doesn't have to worry about being reelected, and I also want to see it where they control the House and the Senate, so that it's not. I'm not a conservative. It's not because I want some hardcore conservative agenda pushed. It's because I want to see what he does without any pressures. Just him doing his thing.
There'd
With a
be
whole county of
massive
people on it,
internal.
with
I
most of
want to
the
get
bodies
back
are buried.
to
That's
Topher
a lot
over
of
here.
pressures. That's a lot of pressures from even if it is all his people. What you want is to have the most populists possible.
I mean, his people
in Congress,
sucked. His people sucked
regardless
the
of what
first
party
time,
they're in.
So
Because populists will work together on shit if it benefits the people. So if you have a lot of populist Democrats win, a lot of populist as populist as they can be Republicans win, then they might be able to get some stuff working together. But if you have a lot of establishment Republicans in, that's going to be absolute garbage. They're going to put pressure on him to do more war, kill more kids, fucking give corporations more money, give rich people more tax breaks, all the same shit as last time. There needs to be power, as much of it towards the people and as much of it away from the establishment of both parties as possible.
I'll agree with that 100% because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because the government is supposed to work for us.
I
It's not
definitely
supposed
want to
be the
see
other way around.
how the amendment that would ban ranked choice voting on our ballots did. So there's something on the Missouri ballot that would ban ranked choice voting, and that is one that I'm curious about. It's framed as being preventing illegals from voting, but the actual purpose is to make ranked choice voting impossible to implement in Missouri.
So what
And,
exactly is
illegals
that?
can't vote already? So
What exactly is that?
ranked choice voting is the idea. Like you get multiple choices, and let's say you get 4 choices, okay?
Mhm.
And so you rank them like this is my favorite, my second favorite, third favorite, fourth favorite.
I see.
Then instead of simply you cast your vote for one candidate or the other, you cast. I don't know. They work out the math different in different places where they've done it, but like, your number 1 choice, they get 1 point from your vote. Your number 2 choice gets 0.75. Your number 3 gets 0.25.
They
your
start
number 4
breaking
gets
it, right. They start breaking
yeah.
it down. I get
And
it.
like really the idea for it, and it would just in terms of game theory do this. It would make independent parties or third parties immediately viable if they had any kind of popularity whatsoever. So there is that advantage to it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. It's hard to make an argument for why it would be a bad thing.
And some
And all the
some
arguments you'll
states
hear
have
from hardcore
implemented it,
Republicans
and it
and
hasn't
Democrats,
had a large
Right.
impact, and that's because politics is fundamentally a thing of cultures. So like the parties are cultures that build in areas. They develop, they build out people who practice the culture, who reiterate the narrative, who regenerate it for all the areas that they push it into, who are responsible for building and developing and maintaining and continuously recreating a culture over time. Because human things aren't static. They fade, they decay, they stop existing the second we stop paying attention to them and engaging in them.
No, absolutely. I mean, humans,
Like slang words.
I mean, fucking humans are definitely dynamic, dude. We're not static by any means. You're absolutely right about that.
Aaron Fry says Amendment 7 Missouri.
Aaron Fry's the MVP.
That's the one.
Yeah, Aaron seems to be keeping better track of the shit we're supposed to be on here keeping track of than us. So, but, yeah.
I told you.
Go, Aaron.
Thanks,
tried to
Aaron.
tell you.
I think we're having
Appreciate
some
it.
pretty
Oh
good
yeah, honestly, yeah.
conversation
We tried to
for,
have him to come on tonight, or whatever. He should have.
Oh, dude.
Fucking Aaron, you could just be here bullshitting with us.
We
and
would have
doing
killed
the same
him.
thing.
We would have killed him, dude.
Oh yeah, we
with
probably
the
got
cigarette
into
smoke.
religion at that point, but
No,
you know,
I'm not even talking.
This is
I'm
supposed to be
talking
about
with the
politics.
cigarette smoke. He couldn't breathe.
Oh
down
yeah,
there.
he wouldn't fucking handle this one.
Dude, we couldn't hear him. He had to be wearing a fucking gas mask.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm gonna. Like, all right, so
There are some
live
nights
streaming sessions.
I will skip smoking, but not on election night.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, sorry, pal.
Like live streaming,
taking
full
my
on
Xanax?
sessions. I don't think I'm going to take a non-smoking show, but yeah, like any guest that we have on can request a non-smoking show. That's for sure in the future. So we'll just do an hour and take a half-hour break and do another hour, and, whatever. Live streaming? Fuck you. No, you gotta bathe in it.
So, okay, so by the way, Michigan is incredibly tight right now, but only about 25% reporting. Wisconsin has a slight Trump lead, but just over 50% reporting. Just kind of trying to point out where some of these swing states are because
It's
if you just look at the
exactly how they
electoral
said it was
count
going to
now,
be. They're all the same fucking
It's-
battleground states everybody
sure,
was talking
of course,
about.
yeah, it's still an incredible toss-up. If it's true what Aaron Fry said that North Carolina either has been called or is close to being called,
We can just
then
call him AA Ron.
that's one of the big swing states. But aside from that, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Some people think Minnesota. I don't think so. Minnesota went red like once, so in like the last 30 years. So
Well, and I know they're counting them in different orders too this time, and including early votes and everything. But the early votes are also a lot less politicized than last time, so we're probably going to see a lot less swing based on that. But there's still going to be different counties coming in at different times for all this stuff. So if all the swing states are incredibly close, and I mean they will,
If
be.
we know the winner by the end of this stream,
Yeah.
it was a landslide. So
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be amazing if it's like not at all a landslide.
there's going to be
though.
lawsuits.
If
There's
it's,
going to be.
if it's like no, if it's actually pretty balanced, because that's an interesting scenario.
Did you
If-
guys hear
if they
much about
manage-
You
the
think it's
lawsuits regarding
interesting
this
if it'll be
election that
balanced?
just came down?
Yeah.
I heard something about how they're like how the left's trying to fucking get
The
something
Republican
together.
Party had a lot of wins.
I really hate when people call Democrats the left.
They're the American political
Well, I
left,
mean-
whether you like it or not. So,
Yeah, they're anyway.
but
I apologize.
Hey,
I'll call them the Democrats.
Oh, somebody got a thumbs down. How did that work? I haven't
That
seen the
was-
thumbs down yet.
put it on Luke.
that's entirely
put it on-
new.
Motherfucker.
I'm telling
totally
you,
new one.
Chris controls this. Controls
Dude,
this
I-
feedback
I-
in his hand because he just gave him a thumbs down.
Yeah, he did.
Remember the thumbs up only went up for like leftist
I
shit.
think
did.
it.
He's
Dude,
doing
it's-
it with a magnet.
I think it has something to do with my cell phone.
He's a fucking.
To tell you the
charlatan.
truth, because
Really?
I it must be because I'm pretty sure it's only ever happened. Well, actually, this is the first time we're actually using 3 cameras, but yeah, I think it's a cell phone. I don't know. I don't think it's a setting on YouTube. I don't think it's a setting on OBS. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's the weirdest fucking thing.
These are huge freaking beers.
Yeah. This is America, goddammit.
America.
We have the right to be.
Capitalism.
I guess what I was going to say is, Steve, if you ever like just need to take a piss or something, feel absolutely free, dude.
Oh,
like,
no, I'm-
yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
fine
yeah,
with
you're
that.
over there rocking it. We appreciate it. You're our Jamie, our Stevie.
Yeah, Steve. By the way,
So wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the Democrat left?
oh shit.
No.
They're not.
Okay, no,
they're a
hold on.
center-right
No,
party.
you guys are going to need a mediator for this because Chris speaks a different language than the common American. The Democrats are absolutely the
That was
American
fucking
political
me.
left. Well, he does. I talk to dude all the time. We hang out and get drunk together. What are you going to do?
No, it's all
I mean, honestly, if you know Topher a little bit, he's not really wrong, and I don't think you really took offense
Well,
to that.
he's
probably.
he's not wrong about it. I'm telling you, it's just he's making a distinction that I can make much more succinctly than he can. Okay, the American political left, Democrat Party, and everything left of it. You'd call them the center left in American politics. Out of the major parties, they're the one on the left. Okay. When Chris hears the word left, to him it's more of like the philosophical left, because he considers himself a leftist but hates Democrats, so he doesn't want to be put under that umbrella with him.
That's a horrible way to describe it, and I'm almost
That's so
offended by
true.
that.
You hate what's untrue?
Okay.
You hate the
So, like,
Democrats.
I mean, yes, but the problem is the Democrat. It's not that I'm just like arbitrarily drawing a line and being like they're kind of shitty on some policies.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
that I
say, yeah, 'cause you're kinda
fundamentally-
blurry to
It's
me.
that we fundamentally
I didn't strongly
the-
enough express your hate.
the left in America fundamentally disagrees with what the Democratic Party is doing. The Democratic Party is fundamentally about most of the same things as the Republican Party. They're just a little bit softer.
Yes,
looking
but the
at
only
it, and they
mainstream
take a slightly
politicians that you
different
like are
aesthetic on it.
Democrats. You support people like Ilhan Omar,
Well, they're the far fringe of it.
AOC. I don't know
that's
how
a-
you feel about Bernie nowadays, but you were a Bernie voter.
Yeah, I was. I even campaigned for Bernie. I took some efforts there, you know, and it's been kind of sucky to see how far he's moved towards supporting the worst things that his party is doing.
Well, do you think it's fair then
but
for him
like-
to understand where you're
so,
at
like-
on it briefly? If this is the center right here where the microphone is,
Yeah.
and
You're like super left.
to my left here, right here next to the line, there's the Democrats, and you're like somewhere out of screen, 3 blocks down.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like
Like-
you're super left. Then.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, we'll agree on most stuff because what people are angry about that the Democrats are doing is identity politics, is caring a lot about things that is blowing things out of proportion that don't matter, like the whole vote for Hillary because she's a woman campaign, right?
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you'll notice Kamala did not take that tack in this campaign. She was not like vote for me because I'm a woman. When
By the way, you got to be careful not to show your balls
So-
in that kilt.
I
got an under-the-table
I'm
shot
working.
going on
I'm,
right
I'm
there. I
keeping
just-
my stuff down here. You know,
Just
I
let you know,
Somebody's
Cappy.
looking. They're all like,
Just
oh,
let you know. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying.
We do have low shots now, so and Luke forgot the fucking sheet. You
no,
son
I
of a
didn't
bitch.
forget it. I said I thought I had
You intentionally didn't bring one then.
What's the shoot?
because I knew he'd be wearing a kilt.
to block this stuff off.
So you were just going for clickbait. I knew
Well,
it. I
See
knew
what I
it.
mean? You have your ways, I got mine.
Okay.
Yeah, Topher. Yeah,
What the hell else
that
did
should be-
Aaron say
that
over
should have
there?
Been the headline, you know, Topher goes balls out.
Yep. Topher goes balls out.
Aaron said, "Let me get my respirator."
Oh.
And Luke,
yeah.
let there be no confusion. I've seen this
probably need
dude
it.
walk. What's
Probably.
your walk to Whalen? It's like a mile and a half, 2 miles. Is that your walk?
2.2 miles.
2.2 miles. I've seen him-
that could be done in like.
Yeah, but I've seen him
45,
do that in a
right?
kilt, in
Yeah.
flip flops, in like 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
not
he's-
just
he's
one
fucking
season,
nuts.
like
I
a
don't.
lot of
I don't
times.
generally wear the flip flops. I just put them on when I come into the bar.
I was gonna say that would suck, like through snow and sleet and shit, man. Fuck.
Well, if we got significant snow on the sidewalks and shit, or like horrible salt, then I'll throw on some boots because like I'm not a masochist. I'm not trying to hurt myself.
It's like I hate to wear it. I'm just gonna hurt myself.
Yeah,
no,
I
root
just-
beer.
I just like outside of a situation where I absolutely need boots, I'm more comfortable barefoot. Yeah.
Okay.
You need to be on that dual
think Georgia
survivor
might be
thing. You
called
ever see
soon,
that
guys.
shit?
Isn't that like an earthing thing?
No. It's not
Yeah,
an
no,
earthing
it is.
Earthing thing?
It's not an earthing thing.
Well, but yeah, isn't that what they call it?
What's that?
That's
The
what
earthing.
that's what
Earthing?
some people call it.
Yeah.
But like
Grounding your like
Yeah,
body
you're-
to the
yeah,
earth,
you're
like
like
you're
grounding
barefoot.
or like
you're
earth
not electrically
grounding.
charged. Touching the
fucking
ground
stupid.
with your bare feet is not discharging you. It
You don't
just
walk
feels
around in
good
fucking
because
Normandy
that's what
barefoot.
humans
It's dumb.
evolved to do: is walk around in nature barefoot. That's our natural environment. Like you're gonna feel better when you're in your natural environment than when you're like wearing foot prisons in a fucking box.
Foot prisons.
Yeah, like I mean, there was this one
Yeah,
time.
I'm sure if you step on a fucking rock, I'm sure you're gonna be all like, "What the
I
fuck
step
was
on rocks
that?"
all the
You're gonna
time. I
really
walk
wish you had
over
a foot
broken
prison.
glass every time I walk to the bar. I live in fucking North County, St. Louis. I'm not walking on pristine
barefoot.
streets here.
Guys, this could be a big one soon, by the way, just election related.
Oh, go
90% reporting in
Go ahead.
Georgia. Trump with like a 1.5.
I mean, we kind of
lead.
expected that.
Oh, really?
no,
No
that's one of
shit,
the
it's
biggest
going
swing
red,
Were
states.
you
huh?
here yet when I talked about Georgia?
Looks like Arizona's going kind of red too over there.
Yeah, it's still early there, though.
What's over there? What is that?
Mm.
Maricopa County or something? Isn't that a big one over that
That's the
way?
big, like, Dem voting. So.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about the Hispanic Latino realignment towards Trump, which is surprising, but it's not that surprising because Kamala's just picked up Trump's border policy.
I have a
So,
lot
like,
of Mexican
yeah,
immigrants live in my neighborhood,
yeah.
and they're
Man, isn't that funny?
like, in terms of mannerisms and stuff, they're like, they would fit right in like Poplar Bluff. Like, they
Yeah.
drive oversized trucks, like big ass trucks,
Yeah.
big families. They're Christian as shit. You know what I mean? Like,
So,
blue
question,
collar workers. Like,
related question, not because I can't say I ever really have sat down and followed an election this closely, like minute to minute like this. Is California always last?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're on the
kind of.
last coast.
They get
so-
called really early though,
Yeah.
because it's just. I mean,
Well, I mean, we all know it's going to go
just
blue.
paint it blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
I mean, yeah, I was just wondering why it's just still gray, but I guess because of time difference.
Time zone
They
difference.
also
and-
close later because they're more liberal and want to give more people a chance to cast their vote.
Hmm.
So I think they don't close until like a couple.
Oh,
hours
you
after
could
the other
still
ones.
get in. Okay.
Aaron Fry said Georgia called for Trump by town hall, awaiting confirmation by AP.
I was gonna say I knew it was close.
Yeah, because that's what we're on is the AP we're looking at whenever we're looking at this, right? Yeah.
Well,
I
okay,
believe
so if Aaron Fry is correct, that would mean the only two swing states that have been called both for Trump, North Carolina, Georgia.
See, now how fucked up is that, dude? Because
The
everybody's
North
claiming
Carolina
that this shit's gonna be
margin
so
surprises
bad.
me.
Pennsylvania's a big one. Keep an eye
Hey,
on
we got a like,
Pennsylvania.
guys.
If Trump wins Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but
it's
that's still
over.
real
Like, it's
close.
fucking over. Yeah,
Like,
they still have
But
Pennsylvania's gonna be counting through.
North Carolina, that means that you have a lot of people that are voting across party lines between their
Did they have more registered
president
Democrat
and their
voters,
well
or-
between their president and their governor pick, because you've got the Mark Robinson black Nazi guy.
Yeah, and I wonder because
My phone's up
here
there.
in Missouri, if I were in a room with 100 just people, who cares, put together for random fucking reasons,
Yeah.
how many of them would have something, any kind of insight whatsoever about, say, Josh Hawley? They might have like I don't like that guy, I do like that guy, but like actually know what he's done, who he is. Like,
He
10?
hasn't done
Do you
a
think
ton,
10?
to be
Do
fair.
you think 10 out of a room of 100 would like actually know what they were talking about? You know what I mean?
Maybe like 5,
Yeah, 5 to 10.
depending on the
maybe?
room you're in.
So how many people in North
I wouldn't
Carolina
even
even
think
know that was
that.
going on with them? It was only a big story for like a day.
I mean, it's been a pretty big story for a few
Day,
weeks,
2
especially
days?
locally. It was probably dragged out in all the local talk radio and shit.
Yeah, but does anybody consume that shit anymore?
Absolutely, they do.
I mean, the old heads, man, they're just going to vote how they're going to vote anyway. They don't give a fuck. They voted Democrat 19 elections in a row. They're going to vote
You know,
Democrat.
I mean, it's funny. Like,
Yeah, but
I
if you,
was,
if you were a black Republican in North Carolina and you see this shit come out, like, are you still comfortable making that vote?
I think you severely underestimate how much people will hand wave their own party's activity, man.
That's
All right,
dismal.
so a family member,
He made a mistake. He was young.
a family member of
This was
mine,
like a month ago.
a family member of mine told me about his siblings, wives. Not to oust anybody or say anything, but just that they're mainly Democratic people. So basically, there's people that mainly vote Democrat, and he was just saying that a lot of them were like, "I'm just not going to vote this year because I can't vote for Trump, and I can't vote for her, so I'm just not." Like, I mean, and I'm like, I wonder how many people have that stance this time around, because there are a lot of people that are just like, I don't know, fuck both of them.
And Chris has made this point with it with Kamala's campaign. Like, what she really, if she wins this election, it's going to be because she got the women vote to turn out. Because this election,
The
is
white
like
women vote.
women on this side, men on this side.
Pumpkin
up.
spice latte.
And women
season,
I don't
fellas.
understand anybody who really votes that way. I mean, I guess I don't know.
Well,
And it
not-
sucks
no,
because
no,
you shouldn't.
Not because she's a woman and he's a man. It's just that happens to be like the
Yeah.
candidates the females prefer. They
No.
also vote more than men do typically anyway. It's like, I want to say it's something like 65.
This is a very
55.
gender polarized election.
Yeah. I mean, it's
That
just
and the
a,
young people.
Leaning
it's a
which
shame
way,
that
though?
people would vote on the fact of a gender or a race or whatever.
Well,
You
the
should
young-
always vote on a better policy, but there's so many people who don't
that
think
this
like
is this is not
No, I
because of
agree
their
with that.
gender. I
Yeah,
think
they
this
don't
is
think-
because the gender issue that's up, and that's the abortion issue. Right?
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
more women are.
How does
a
anybody
lot-
see that as being an issue? Roe v. Wade got overturned. That's not an issue in this election.
Yeah, I was gonna say why
They can campaign
I mean,
on
like,
it all
why
they want.
is that an
It is
issue?
up to the states.
Yeah, Trump is
Okay,
the
well,
most.
going to
sure,
change
let's-
in the
no,
next
let's
4
get into
years.
that because that's actually really interesting.
Trump's one of the most moderate,
Yeah,
probably
like,
the
straight
most
up.
moderate Republican on this issue that has ever been.
His official stance was that if he had any say in it, which he admits he does not, because he doesn't anymore, because judges he appointed overturned Roe v. Wade. He
Him and
said-
Vance are very strong
he
on
said,
this.
He said, as far as I would think, maybe something around a 16-week ban, which no Republican could have ever won a damn primary saying that number prior to
Yeah.
Trump. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's a very moderate abortion. But who cares what his position is? What's
But
he
the
going to
thing
do?
is, it has nothing to
He
do with
can't
the
do anything.
specific
It's up to the
positions. It
states
has
now.
to do with the narratives and with the cultural picture that's been painted of these groups and what they represent.
These men are
I'm
trying
not
to
saying-
tell
yeah,
women
and-
what
but
to
if
do
you're
with
saying
their
talk
body.
Chris, I'm not saying it
if-
won't affect how people vote. What I'm saying is that it shouldn't,
Well, I'm saying that this
at
is
least for president.
that what people aren't seeing is not what the politicians are. It's what they think they represent.
Sure.
So, like, I've been talking to a lot of Kamala Harris supporters, and they are all absolutely convinced beyond a doubt that she's going to end the genocide the day after she wins the election.
That's
that she's
foolish
going
as
to
shit.
fucking put a fucking arms embargo on Israel. She's going to stop sending weapons.
That ain't
she's
gonna happen.
She's
Not
going to
even
bring down
close.
prices. She's going to break up monopolies.
Not
She's
gonna
going
happen
to
either, 'cause she
pass
profits too
she's
much
going to
off
do
of it.
all of these different things.
You know,
She's
one
gonna
thing that they might
break
be right
student
about
loan
though
debt-
is
loan
that
debt.
the Democratic
She's not gonna
Party
do any of
does.
that.
The
She's not
Democratic
even gonna
Party
try.
does
She
if
hasn't
they
promised it.
if they win House and Senate also. They say this, okay?
Well, she hasn't, so there's that.
And I think they're being honest about this part of their agenda, and that's that they want to end the filibuster in order to nominate a bunch of new judges to the Supreme Court to essentially stack the deck in their favor that way. And if that happens, then you could see something like the Supreme Court doing a different ruling. That I mean, it obviously wouldn't be on Roe v. Wade; it'd be a different court case, but
Right.
you could see something like that. So some of the more like kind of leftist activist college students kind of kids, if they see more hope for their agenda with Kamala Harris, it does kind of make sense because the Democratic Party does want to do that. Now first off, I think they're going to lose the House and the Senate tonight.
The Democrats, you think, are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, look, who knows? But if you look at the seats that are up and how many can flip from Dem to Republican and how those people were polling, seems like the Republicans are going to be coming out on the better end of that. It's certainly in the Senate, maybe the House.
Of course, the polling is also probably worse this time.
But the
than
Senate
we've
is what
ever
matters
seen,
to him.
so.
Keep in mind, like
Okay.
the Senate,
You know,
matters more.
what's really interesting? Hey, we got a thumbs up here. What's really interesting, I think, about this whole scenario is the fact that it's almost it really is a big illusion. But I mean, think about this: like the two-party system that we have right now. Basically, both parties are essentially trying to make it a one-party system. Like both are essentially trying to make it a non-democracy in their favor. It's
that's-
funny how they both are.
when
'Cause
there's only two teams, of course.
yeah.
So
I mean, the Republicans want to stack everything to where they own everything. Well, the Republicans own everything, then we're no longer a two-party state.
I think
And
the
same
Re-
with the
I
Democrats.
think
Like,
the
then our
Republican Party's in
democracy doesn't really
disarray.
work.
the Republican Party's in disarray. They're
It's absolutely
Like,
disarray.
both
They're
parties
Trump
are shooting
smashed
for a
that shit.
one-party system. It's interesting how we're, like, even participating in this whole damn thing. both parties want a one-party
so,
system.
So both parties are massively unpopular.
I don't think
right?
that's true of the current Donald Trump Republican
Not,
Party.
I'm not.
Like
gonna
we're talking
agree
about,
with
he's
that.
got a huge tent. If you want a
I-
one-party rule, why is he
yeah.
bringing all these Democrats in and people of different bents
I mean,
and strokes?
like
I mean,
Trump,
no, I mean, I
Trump
think I could agree
himself
with that,
might
yeah.
have some popularity as an individual, but
I'm sure he wants plenty of power for himself. But
I mean,
the overall Republican Party is not massively popular. It has about the same support as the Democrats, which is about 20 to 25% of the population considers themselves aligned with these parties.
you mean like
God,
the
I just-
GOP, like the
I just
grand
see
old
so
party
much
and shit?
Yeah, so
bullshit
no,
on my
That's
feed.
like
So
about
it's
half
higher
of the
than that.
country that supports the
it's
establishment.
about 60%.
Yeah, I was gonna
Less.
say. I was gonna
It's
say.
dropped in
Okay, as of
recent years.
2020 it was.
Yeah,
because you
as
had
of
about,
2020.
But that was
But
a very...
it's been 4 years of conditions getting worse since then, and both parties getting worse in how they approach all of our.
and nobody knows
policies.
what the
But
Republican Party is anymore. They're not what they used to be. They
No,
might go
not at
back to
all.
it, but they're
Yeah.
not what they were
But did
10
your
years
dollar
ago.
go
Completely
further
different
that
party.
was under Trump versus
Yeah,
that's
but
under
that
this
has
administration?
very little to do with
Why doesn't it?
actual because they're not actually none of them are actually doing anything to impact this.
Hard
Right?
to disagree.
Like
I would
Trump
disagree
is,
with
Trump
that.
is
Yeah, I
not-
would disagree with that hardcore.
Neither of these people are breaking up monopolies.
First off,
Neither
Trump
of
did
these
it
people are
too.
reining in the investment banking cartel.
Well, actually,
Neither of
he
these
well,
parties
I
are
would
doing
I would
any
have
of
to
these things that are
disagree
gonna
with
break
Chris,
No,
those
he
are
was
breaking
Chris,
breaking
those
it
it
up.
up
are
with this
those are all problems, but inflation only comes from one place.
Donald Trump gave the
Increase
rich
in money supply.
$1.5 trillion, and he gave them a shit ton more through the shit that was the PPP loans.
Well, yeah, because that gave
Trump
him.
gave the rich an enormous handout, and they used
CARES
that
Act-
money
yeah, because
to
what
buy
does-
our houses,
They
to
did,
buy
and the
our
CARES Act was
jobs.
a
You don't have
bipartisan
to
decision.
sell.
Fucking.
You don't have to quit your job. I mean, because that's what you're doing is during a job interview.
They were
is you're
outbidding.
negotiating.
They were
you know, your
outbidding
terms of work
workers
there.
for houses, right? So on an open market, you got so many houses for sale,
Mhm.
and workers were getting outbid by these large corporations and by these investment banks for their homes by enormous margins.
Well,
you
yeah,
try to
because
buy
they
a
have the
house
money
and
to
it'd
play
be-
with.
And yeah, exactly. So that means that they're outbidding workers for their houses and then renting them back to them for way more than they would have had to rent for before.
I mean, you don't
They're
have to
essentially
live there.
stealing. Where else are you going to live? On the streets where cops are going to beat the crap out of you and
That's
steal all
not
your stuff?
necessarily true. I mean, there's programs out, dude. There are
So-
programs in this country, dude.
There ain't shit in this
All
country.
right, guys, we got a
treat
big
our
shocker.
homeless as
California has
criminals.
gone blue.
Oh, I
wow.
knew it.
Oh
I
my
knew
God.
They called it though, and so that and this is what I meant by it's still a toss up. California alone just made it 214 to 179.
it.
So like the number at the top looks bigger now, of course. Oh, Washington they called also.
Yeah, I was gonna say Washington's always gonna.
I was
go
about to say, Aaron Fry just said AP calls races Washington for Kamala, California for Kamala, Idaho for Trump.
AP's racist. What?
with.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you never know.
I mean, you know,
Those are none of the
nowadays,
states
yeah,
we care
maybe.
about.
Well,
So-
anyways, so back to what we were talking about. Yeah, so your dollar didn't go further back then than it does now, or what?
He'll acknowledge that. What he's doing is he's giving you a big picture overview of why he thinks that it happens. But he's not exactly wrong. But when you talk about the kind of inflation we've seen in the last, it hit in the last 4 years.
Yeah, but how
That
does
spending-
that happen?
How's Trump going to fix
That
it?
happens for one reason only, and there's only one graph you need to see, and it's an increase in the money supply.
Oh, absolutely, because when the Fed starts
Now,
printing
what Chris
money,
is talking about are the problems that happened after that money went into the money supply, and he's not wrong. They did buy all of our damn houses. Well, we didn't own them, so calling them our houses might be a little weird, but you get the point.
no, I get that.
And so, where the money was spent is definitely a problem. But the fact that the money exists in the market anyway is going to cause those inflationary reactions. It's just, had they, let's say, not bought residential real estate so much, you wouldn't have felt in that sector to the same degree that you do. That exacerbated the problem, made it, I don't know how many times worse, but it feels exponential.
Well,
But
I
the
mean,
prices of
once
everything
you,
has gone
but if you flood the market with anything, then whatever that product may be, rather it be salad, money, then it becomes, then it becomes,
That's multiple products, but
and then and then the price of it drops down. I mean, that's just natural. That's just the way the shit works.
Well, it does in what we call like
mean,
an economic vacuum.
Well,
but-
yeah, I mean that's what happened
But
with our
we've,
fucking
but
money.
we've dealt with two things, okay? And both these things are true, and this is two different sides of the aisle's partisan arguments. Were supply chain issues to blame, and are they still? The answer is yes. They play a role in that, a
But
significant role.
why?
What plays a bigger role in that
So, I
is the
mean-
money supply.
Well, not necessarily because I forgot what top.
Well, look, if you're
Top
looking at this,
food
way, okay,
brand
if we're
does
playing
this.
if we're playing Monopoly and we're getting to that point in the game where we're going to start buying houses to put on our little properties, right?
Okay.
And the card value says, well, they're 140, but we have to auction them off.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the banker gives everybody an extra $2,000 of Monopoly money.
Well,
Are
doesn't
you
that?
going to
Well,
bid more
that's-
on that house?
Well, why wouldn't you?
Because
you have the
understand
incentive
that
to
there's
do it.
more money in the
Oh, I'm sorry, I stepped in. Are we talking about Kamala's
No, we're talking about this
home
has
buyers
very
policy?
little to do with Kamala, but it ties into it.
Okay,
we're
because that's what I got. I just kind of
We're
walked
just
in.
kind of
Sorry.
talking about where this. Okay, so the number is essentially 20% according to COLA calculations, which, by the way, they disclude all the most expensive and inflationary shit and the stuff you have to have. They don't count housing or rent or anything like that, or even energy costs. In the mid 90s, they changed that calculation to essentially mean, I think we kind of touched on this last podcast, but to essentially mean all this list of consumer goods that you could do or do without. Like
Let
you'd
me
be
put
fine
this
without a
in really
microwave,
plain
wouldn't you?
language, right? According to the inflation statistics as they stand, a family today that is a family of 5 that is living in a 2-bedroom apartment with one old used car, and that is struggling to pay their bills is much, much better off. They've seen a large increase in their wages relative to their cost of living, according to the way the government phrases it, compared to that same family of 5 living in a 5-bedroom house with 2 new cars that goes on vacation 3 times a year and that has a large amount of retirement savings in the bank.
Which I just want
That's
to bring
how
up
fucked
that
up this
there's
shit
not a
Who
time.
tried selling that fucking sack? of
Coke
shit?
Industries did.
They've been selling.
They lobbied our
Get the
government
fuck
to
outta
manipulate
here, bro.
how
Are
we
you
manipulate.
fucking
I am
kidding
dead
me?
serious. That is how
That
they
is
define it.
fucked
That
up.
is why Kamala can stand up there and say things are so good. What do you mean things are bad? Look at the
All right, Luke,
statistics.
you
they
really
say
wanna
things
get
are getting
pissed?
better, and the
That's
Republicans do
fucking
the same
crazy,
shit off
bro.
of it.
Luke,
100%.
Here's how they
is,
couch
bro.
the argument. Okay, what they'll say is
If that's facts, that's
they'll
fucked
say
up.
what they'll tell
Equivalent
you is
replacements.
what they'll tell you is that the Rockefellers did not live as luxurious of a life as you do, and then they'll mention all the consumer goods. They didn't have a microphone.
See, that's,
They didn't have the same level of health care.
Yeah, so we
They
were
couldn't
talking
get
about
whiskey
that.
from
See, we
anywhere
were
in the
talking
world
about
they
that
wanted.
earlier, dude.
And look, that's a real point. Like, yeah, in some kind of materialistic way, are we better off? Like,
Yeah, but how far back in the Rockefeller
I have cleaner
Rockefeller
drinking water
family
than the
are we
Rockefeller.
going?
But being able to buy
You know,
10
like
microwaves a
1930s.
month doesn't let me pay my rent any easier.
Well, apparently they cost $100.
Did we talk about that in like episode 1?
we did.
Or
we're
2
big
or
on
something?
microwaves around here.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to
Sorry,
live with
it's an
that
easy
fact.
price point because they're so like
It's so
dirt
cheap.
I only,
commodity.
I only,
I mean,
I only
$100
use that,
for a
that's one that
microwave.
he's always used, and that's why.
Personally, I want a toaster in every room. I'm just saying.
I want an air fryer. Fuck that shit.
Who wants to
Gotta
walk
have
to
it right
toast
next
I
to the
don't have
bathroom.
one.
Right next to the bathroom.
I gotta have my blender right next to my bed. all the
You
time.
know what's cool about this?
Oh, I
this
was like,
campaign
where's that
cycle?
voice come from?
Is there was this little brief period
It's
where
the
I don't know
voice
if you
of
guys
mini
noticed,
God.
Right.
during
What do you
during
say?
this campaign cycle, there was this little brief period where like Trump and Harris were having this like weird like quasi-libertarian competition to see who could say that they'd give people more money, right? So Kamala was like, I'm going to give $25K, and then Trump was like, I'm going to do a child tax credit increase, and she's like, I'm going to do a bigger child tax. And then Trump was like, I'm going to abolish all income taxes, and it was like Ron Paul versus Ron Paul for like
mean,
a week there.
keep
dude. It was
going.
amazing.
So no, I mean,
I was like,
well,
go,
so
go,
fucking
go.
like, you guys are smart enough to understand that's why taxes were implemented.
Don't get me started on why the income tax was implemented because
It's
I,
a
Hey,
really
how about we
complicated
check
history.
back in on the election, see what
Yeah.
you
what's
know,
going on?
I just
Yeah.
did, and nothing else was called after those 2 states.
Well, I know, but we're doing it for people that might be
Man,
watching, which
it's-
is like
it's even
probably
more
just Aaron,
boring
you know.
than,
Come
Well,
on,
I'm
James,
trying
give me
to make
something
the
to do, man.
announcements.
It's
All right,
even
I'm
more
sorry.
boring
Do your
results
job.
than I thought it'd be, man. I was hoping we'd get some like at least some interesting.
Well,
large
Kamala just
swing.
well, there's California.
We need
there it
another
was.
screen up of like Portland, Oregon, because they're gonna riot just cause. Like it doesn't even matter what fucking happens. They're just gonna do
See,
it.
and
There
that
it
goes
was.
back to my question
This
earlier.
guy.
What
Say-
you just said.
So
That was if with all the rhetoric going around with like no matter who wins, either the right or the left, that there's going to be violence.
Look, the left.
That's exactly what I was talking
Okay,
about.
the
here's the
political
thing.
left in this
Well-
country hates Kamala Harris's guts because she's committing genocide, and we consider her a war criminal who belongs in the Hague for what she's done and what she promises to continue.
No,
doing.
she was a prosecutor, so you're gonna have to couch that in the Hague thing. 'cause
Well-
she probably aspired to work there.
Yeah, I
one
was
day.
gonna say. Now, but
as,
isn't she?
as
a,
a,
you
as
mean
a
as a
prisoner.
defendant.
I mean,
right,
as
but
a
isn't she a
defendant, yes.
hypocrite now because
Uh,
she locked up all these people, but now she's
Yeah,
all
oh,
for
yeah.
fucking like
No,
legalizing
she's
marijuana
not
and
for,
stuff? That shit
whatever.
cracks
Yeah,
She's not a
me
real
up.
person.
she's always been a terrible prosecutor, and she's had a horrible career of being cruel to people who had done very little wrong to deserve it.
So here's another question, just being, a skeptic of the whole election, just in general, and I feel like it's almost just a show. Why are all the swing states always the last? Like,
that,
what
that
would
hasn't
a
always
swing?
been the case.
I'm
but-
like, because we're looking at these swing states, and then obviously,
So,
okay,
no,
we
I
have
have a great
California
answer for
being
this.
last, but then California just came in blue, right? But
Yeah.
now we have all these different time zones all the way
So
over.
a friend of mine asked, "How
The
is
time
East
it?"
zones
Coast.
have always existed.
Well, I'm
But
just,
let me-
but no, I'm not arguing
answer
time
your
zones.
question
I'm
with
just
a
saying
question.
we have states that aren't finished way over on the East Coast, as opposed to California being on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I get the time
answer
zones
is-
are different
okay,
there.
so the material answer for today, before Chris gives his big picture answer, is that they count votes differently and they have different legislative. So voting is controlled by each state. That's a constitutional thing. There have been many constitutional challenges recently, some that have come down in important swing states in the last week in this election that kind of challenges. But essentially, states get to decide how their elections go, and that's written into the Constitution.
So why is it that it
So-
just
Find
so
that helpful.
happens that the biggest battleground states are the last ones?
Okay,
to
so let
be
me
counted?
actually
Like-
answer your question
They've
with
only
an
been
actual
battleground
answer.
states for a few
Because
cycles.
it's like the WWF. It's all choreographed.
They have
No,
different
it's
procedures.
what I'm
it's
trying to
more
suggest.
it's
That's
kind
what
of
I'm
It's all-
it's
it's all
more complicated than
choreographed.
that, right? So
Okay, well, we'll let Chris go.
a friend of
And the
mine,
Democrats
a
are
friend of
cheating,
mine
so
that does
yeah.
not live in America, he asked the question, how is it that it's almost always such a tight race between the two parties? And the answer is, it's because both parties are playing a very delicate game of balance, right? Their donors want very different things than their voters, because their donors are all very rich oligarchs who want us all to be miserable. And we're all people who want better wages, better quality of life, and easier living across the board, right? So this discrepancy means that they have to play a trade-off game where the more they please their donors, the less they please their voters. And they need as much money as possible to run their operations and as much power with those
Gotta
donors
like-
as possible, while at the same time they want to they want to keep enough of their voters in line without pissing off too many of them, right? So they're trying to play
it creates this close balance.
Yeah.
Because
so
they're
they're
both
trading
playing the
them. Yeah,
game.
so
They're both playing
whenever
the
they-
game.
Because
on
they
both
have to,
sides.
yeah, what he's
So,
trying
like,
to say is
if
they have
Kamala
to pay
saw
attention to two.
that-
I understand
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
if
that makes sense.
Kamala saw that she was up 10 points in some state, all of a
She'd
sudden,
go more radical.
all of a sudden, she's dropping all rhetoric regarding helping working people, minimum wage. That's gone.
Oh,
in
that's
that
gone,
state.
yeah. Yeah,
All of a
absolutely.
sudden,
That's
she's a
fucking
Republican in
absolutely
that
gone.
state.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Kamala Harris is fucking talking like a Heritage Foundation person in that state because she's got 10 points to burn, right? And if she's like 5 points behind in the state, she'll be talking like Bernie fucking Sanders there.
So it is a show.
It is a show.
So-
but
so-
that's why it's always so close.
So
because
is that like
they
when she
play
swaps
so
her
close.
accents?
Well, I
out?
just-
And
I
that's
find
also
it-
where they put the
like
most money into
Clinton did
legal
too.
observers, and that's what they fake the accents. They put as many legal observers in those states as possible. They focus as much money on paying attention to that shit as possible. So
It's-
that's why everything
It's
has to be
still
so careful
interesting
and
me.
so
It's still
time-consuming.
interesting to me that the swing states, being the biggest battleground states, seem to be the last counted, because that still doesn't add up to why that is.
Okay,
and
but
that was
I
my
think-
main question.
Well, I think you have a
don't.
narrow view of that because that really hasn't been the case for very long. Certainly in 2020 it was.
Well, it certainly is right now.
And that's because, well, to an extent, but that's because they retain laws that they passed during COVID, where mail-in ballots were in a lot of these states. They have to be counted last. They also take the longest to count
Ugh.
because they're like double enveloped and shit like that, and you have to feed them through a machine one at a time. And you get the point, right? So that really. So in 2016, that was not the case.
It's
I
just
don't
interesting
think,
to me
except
that
for-
they turn out to be the heaviest battleground states. I guess I'm just not making the correlation between like why they're counted last, because even if they are like the tightest states,
Yeah.
therell reason why it couldn't
some
be
of the
counted first.
battleground states take longer, but
that's-
they're
okay,
called
so
earlier just because the
they're not the only.
margins
They're not
are
the only
more
battleground
secure.
states. They're just the most significant ones.
Yeah, so like some of
It
these
just
other
seems
states,
like they're holding it out to last
yeah,
for the show.
Some of these other states,
was my whole point.
they also won't
There's
have their
an
vote
element to
counts
that.
in fully for like another few days, but the margin is such that it doesn't matter.
Well,
Like
yeah.
if you've only got like fucking 50,000 mail-in ballots to cast, and there's already a margin of like 500,000, you're fucking comfortable calling that and calling it a day.
But that's a new construct. That's not like
Yeah.
something that's necessarily built into the electoral map. It's probably built into legislatures at this point because certain states adopted different voting rules due to COVID.
Which
and-
for some reason stick. I don't understand
well,
that
and now
at all.
our
but-
two major parties have lawsuits and legislative battles over what should stay and what should go and what should be allowed. Don't know if you guys were aware, but yesterday, day before, I guess it was the Georgia State Supreme Court ruled that there were a certain amount of ballots that couldn't be passed if they were turned
I
in
did-
too late.
Yeah, I
The
was
Republicans-
reading
yeah,
that.
The
There was
Republicans won another one in Pennsylvania where they got a couple of like these heavy red voting counties.
right. I think I should.
They couldn't process their
screenshot of
votes,
that.
so they got a
I
couple of
haven't had
hours
time
of the
to
court
check them.
gave them. So
You
like,
know, I've been
the lawfare already started.
running.
No,
Now
no.
I'm here.
Yeah, because I do remember reading that, and I remember taking a screenshot that was of that headline and then shipping it over to Joe.
Fundamentally, right now, these elections are not as much about. I mean, there is still an element to winning hearts and minds because, hell, if you just drive a bigger turnout of your voters, you can win to the point where shenanigans and lawsuits don't matter.
Shenanigans? Did you say shenanigans?
I did. Yeah.
All right. So have you guys heard of that? It was RFK. He was asking to be removed from the ballot.
Yeah.
I think there were what was it, Wisconsin and something
Some states
else.
let
There
him
were some
off,
states
They
where
wouldn't
states did
remove
not.
him off of
There
it.
were some
The
states.
Supreme Court voted to not remove him.
Right.
There were some states where
what-
he had to fight his way onto it, and they didn't want to let him
Yeah.
onto it. And then once he was on it, those same people didn't want him off of it, so they fought him to get off of it.
Well, that's
It's
what I
like-
mean. Like once he withdrew, why would there be any reason at all to leave him on the ballot? Like,
I think it was
why
the
would a Supreme
drained
Court?
campaign money.
Because they're playing games around.
Right,
How
I
can we
think
get
they're-
every last percentage in?
Exactly.
But that
Can
we
just seems
siphon
like
0.5%?
on its face something that the American people should call out. That's just completely unethical. Why would the Supreme
the people
Court
that pay
reel to
attention
leave?
do, but
Well,
He's not
right, I
on
was
the
gonna
ballot.
say,
He's
'cause
not.
the
He's not
majority-
running.
Hold on, though.
Well, because the majority of
That's-
Americans don't
You think
care
Americans
about
would call that
politics.
out? Like they didn't call
The
out the
Americans,
fact that
it's not
like
him.
we had the Citizens United case and we let money in politics and now we let the rich people basically buy our elections every year. If we weren't going to call it out when like
first off, Americans do
rich
call this
people
out
spent,
actively
like-
now.
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
do.
say.
I mean, I feel like
Like,
I'm,
but I mean,
I'm
fuck
American.
Citizens United.
nothing's
but-
happening about it. They spent like $4 billion on
that's not
2020
exactly
and like
true.
even more this year.
Well,
I mean,
all right,
and
well,
nobody's
but
doing
who's-
anything
but
about
who's-
it. We're
who-
trying, but like
Who's
nothing's
going to be the
happening.
guy that everybody's going to listen to?
Is that
You know,
Aaron
who's- like,
again?
who's gonna
AP
be-
calls race officially
For North Carolina.
for North
That's
Carolina.
Trump.
I thought he was talking about the whole damn thing. I'm like, damn. All right.
They're like, you know what? We're tired. We're going
That
to
was
fucking home. Yep, there it is.
Well, North Carolina was technically a possibility as a swing state, so
George is
There you
going to just
go.
have the fuckery in it.
230 to 179, huh?
it's really all going to come down to the fucking upper Midwest. It's really all going to come down to the Arab voters.
I heard Nevada was kind of a big deal, right? Or no?
Trump's lead
It
got
doesn't look like it
slightly
right now.
bigger in
Mhm.
Georgia, but still not a done deal.
Yeah, what's Nevada looking like? Just not in yet.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
They're like, we're not going to tell you.
They're
till
all
next
doing like
month.
Results
hookers and
expected soon.
blow.
They're
And
Right,
They're
doing
like, once the
coke off
casino
hooker butts.
closes, we'll count that shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, they got to wait for everybody.
Yeah, we got to
get their
count our
bets
money
in.
before we count these ballots.
Right, hold
Well,
up. Did you
know,
get that
you know
bitch
how
at
the
20?
markets are. You got to wait for all those bets to get in. You know.
Yeah,
All the way up till
actually.
Oh,
right?
speaking of
once
bets,
get the show,
yeah, I was gonna
right?
say, speaking of bets, you guys hear about the school districts, like all for like sports gambling and shit?
I hear those commercials every day.
Yeah.
And they
See, you heard them
fucking
too.
enrage
You haven't
me.
heard them yet?
I don't watch
I-
media.
Sports
No,
talk
you don't have to
radio
watch
for me.
media. Just listen to something.
I heard
I
them
don't.
like almost every day. I've heard sports gambling.
Yeah.
I have
Stevie's
almost
heard this.
zero
Yeah,
ad
you
Dude,
got,
exposure.
you
you
got,
got, like,
Ozzie
the- you
Smith
got,
out
like, the
there being
fucking
like, gambling's great for you. Thumbs up. Like, God,
Right,
those
you know, like
commercials
when back in the
piss
day,
me
these
off, dude.
motherfuckers
Wow.
beat you with a
Oh, yeah.
billy club for
Because
this
they're like,
shit.
okay,
you know?
it's the same thing they said about casinos when they built them here. Like, the schools are going
Yeah.
to have so much money. Well, guess what? The schools keep getting shittier. So fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe more money isn't what they fucking need.
Brother,
Just an idea.
brother, trust me.
That's how I feel
dude,
about taxes.
Dude, trust me.
Sure.
I've worked at the
Do
local
something
fucking
good with
school
it before you
district,
ask
and
for
it
more.
is fucking shit.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It is fucking junk.
So they're like, oh, the schools are going to do great, and this is going to be, and then like they try to pitch this weird, like, you now have the personal freedom to gamble away your family's grocery money on fucking
Yeah,
sports.
right?
Look what the state did for you, and it's like, you fucking heartless. That shit pisses me off.
No shit.
I love sports too, and like honestly, like
Right,
I-
these fuckers be
I
gambling
gambled,
off
like, I'm a-
government
I'm a
assistance.
fan of
and
gambling, but,
shit,
like,
dude, you know?
like just the
Like, what the fuck?
disingenuity of those
They want
commercials.
to
where there's
open up
Ozzie
more
fucking
and
Smith
more ways to bleed
telling you your
people
life will
dry.
be better if you can gamble more. It's
How
just
more-
fucking old is Ozzie
They
Smith
want more
nowadays?
and more pathways
Too
to
old
put
to be doing
people
that
in
shit,
double
dude. He's
binds
probably
where they're
like-
That's what I
trapped
was
in
saying. You
debt
know that
and can't
motherfucker's
climb
losing
out.
money.
Okay, he retired about 25, 28 years ago.
Damn, it's been that
he's
long?
probably almost
Really?
70. I bet he's around 70.
I would believe that, but damn,
Yeah, you
it's
don't
been
remember
that long
they replaced
already?
him with Royce Clayton, and the entire city was gonna like fucking riot at Busch Stadium because they replaced
69.
Yeah, 69. That's a good year.
Nice.
It's a good year.
Yeah, you're close.
Look at you, Stevie. Now you're getting it. Yeah.
Fuck off.
Okay then.
All right, so realistically, what?
No rules on this show.
Here's the path to victory right now. I think it's gonna be. Okay, so if Pennsylvania goes Trump, it's pretty much over.
Ooh, Aaron just popped in again. He's like our only commenter. I'm like, oh yeah, somebody counted.
I think
Thanks,
he's our
Aaron.
only actual viewer. He
Yeah, that's
says
fine.
AP calls race for Oregon, Kamala.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
Shocker.
Yep.
So, like, how are all of our swings right now? It's looking like we've got nothing but the upper Midwest
Okay,
left
so-
as possibilities, and all of
There
them
you go.
look like they're leaning red right now.
Well, Virginia was thought to maybe be a swing state. It doesn't. Really
No,
look like it at
that's
this point.
Virginia's going to be blue. That's all
It's
so hard,
it's less than
hardcore establishment.
Okay, it's
that
77% reporting, and Trump would need.
Oh wow,
100K.
So
That's
what's the
probably-
reason
that's
for the
actually pretty
mail-in
close to what I
ballots
thought.
being counted last and all that shit? Like that
to,
just seems so
specifically
sketchy.
to create
Seems
the
like-
effect
that's
that made
super
everybody
sketch.
suspicious in 2020.
No, what
Because
made
they
the shit
knew that they
suspicious
could-
is when they're
they
fucking
knew they could play
stuffing the
political.
motherfuckers.
They knew they could play political games around it and use it to cast suspicion on the election and possibly use that as a.
So they're
leverage
doing that
for
again.
power.
Right.
They're
That's
doing
what,
that again.
See, so
They're not
Now-
going to. Well, I mean, the mail.
Because let's say at this point Trump loses, it's going to be a lot like last time. Like everybody's looking like Trump's going to win. We go to sleep and then.
hence my question earlier.
Maybe.
Hence
That's
my
just
Okay.
question.
election
All right.
year,
All right. All right. Let's
Right.
go ahead. Let's go ahead and call it right now. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna stick with mine, dude.
What's that?
It's
I
not looking
think it's
great
gonna
for
be just
Kamala,
like
but it's
20.
hard to
We're
tell.
definitely gonna have to wait till tomorrow, and then you're gonna see everything jump up.
But I mean,
overnight.
just gut feeling. You think you're looking at Kamala?
I mean, from the map I'm looking at, my eyes tell me no, but my guts tell me
Yeah.
yeah.
How far behind is she in Pennsylvania in terms of raw votes?
Yeah. Let's go check on that, Stevie, if you
In
don't
terms
mind.
of raw votes, I'll let Stevie do it.
I mean, from that map,
Nearly
dude, she's
200.
getting her ass
Well,
kicked.
that way everybody could know it instead of just us knowing it.
200K? I mean,
That's neat.
It's not looking
200K
good.
is
that's pretty
is barely enough.
Well,
you should
here's
have
the
to get
thing.
like
If you
80,
can-
90% of
If
the
you can pull up
mail-ins.
how many, because they should have a count because they already received
And they're
them
not
all.
as politicized as last time.
Well, Pennsylvania's already received
Well, yeah,
all
'cause
their
they're trying
mail-in
to hide
ballots,
the
but they
shit,
can't
so
count 'em
nobody's
yet.
looking for it.
Pennsylvania's one that you could expect to break blue late because their mail-in ballots are counted last. So
That's so
yeah,
weird.
but mail-ins are less politicized than last time.
So,
we
like-
shouldn't expect like any more than like 70-30 there.
What's the reasoning for mail-in ballots being counted last?
because they're harder to
Politicizing,
count,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Breaks
double
it out.
envelope.
But
Double
like if
privacy
mail-in
envelopes.
ballots were mailed in like 2 weeks ago,
They probably also
Get fucking
don't
counted.
want them to be potentially
So,
counted and leaks about that
interestingly enough-
information to influence the election day results and shit.
Man, how many fucking people do you think are out there fucking
This was actually a
cheating?
big sticking
Yeah.
point of the Trump
On both
lawsuits prior to
sides.
2020.
I'm sure it's astronomical.
What the Pennsylvania
Everybody's
legislature
fighting
did,
over
the legislature
slivers
did,
hold
of
on,
a
everybody's
percent.
talking at once.
Right.
what
Well,
Pennsylvania did was they needed, according to their own state constitution, they needed legislation to change voting procedures.
Mhm.
What they did was they changed voting procedures anyway, with no legislation. This is not exactly a good look, okay, to put it mildly. Trump sues. Judge says you don't have standing or cause because you had to do this earlier. So it never even got heard in court. But some of those rules got pushed back. There's a guy named Scott Pressler who's like, I guess he's probably been like the leading on the ground, get out the vote in Pennsylvania, like Republican guy.
Mhm.
Pretty big on the internet, I guess. I don't know how big his following is, but people know his name, I guess.
Bigger than ours, probably.
Probably.
Maybe
So,
slightly.
They were able to get some of that turned back, but the mail-in ballots there in Pennsylvania, which really is like, if Pennsylvania gets called for Trump, we can wrap. The night's over.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that.
Pennsylvania's it. And that doesn't mean, so he can still easily win if he loses it. But if he does win it, yeah, cooked, done.
It's looking like it. I mean, 200,000 is a lot of ground to catch up at this late stage.
It is, but you may be able to find this out. And that's what I was going to say. If you can find a total of mail-in ballots that they received, then we can do really easy math to figure out if it's still possible or probable. But keep in mind in 2020, and I got this, by the way, I had to I'm not a tech guy. I had to go in and get an RSS feed from the New York Times polling, election data to make sure that this is how it was reported. In both, so in Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, there were these huge tranches of votes that came in. They were all mail-in ballots that were counted last that had so they count them in groups of thousands, right? That were 998 to 2 Harris, or not Harris, Biden. 999 to 1 Harris. That doesn't look right. You're not going to collect 1,000 votes and get a 99.8 in favor of one candidate. I don't care how blue or red the district. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we start seeing totals like that again, we're going to have to start wondering. I actually went, I sat through, while I was working, I had it on audio, these Georgia congressional hearings where poll workers were giving their testimonies about what was going on in 2020. I don't know, believe it or not, they're longtime poll workers. Some of them are actually Democrats. They're like, no, it was really weird. We got all these ballots that weren't on the normal paper, and they didn't have signatures, all this stuff. But none of it actually ended up getting litigated. So, in reality, none of us
Big
really know
doubt.
what happened.
That's so fucking weird.
But the idea that should somehow give you closure
I
on
am
it
not
is
buying the
ridiculous.
bamboo ballot story.
I thought it was interesting with
bamboo
Trump
ballot
on
enough for me
Rogan.
to-
Like, I don't know if you guys watched the Trump and Rogan stuff or whatever,
have
but there
not,
was
no.
a certain
I got through
point.
about half of it.
There was a certain point, and that it was kind of hard to get through because, like I said, dude. I mean, like I guess who would I like to win this election? I mean, I think Trump, but I have a lot, and it's not like I would vote for Kamala.
They're like
but
strippers. They don't love you.
Right.
yeah,
Don't fall for it.
exactly.
Don't-
You know,
don't
but I think
Trump's
we're-
going to throw a lot of money and power at the rich, and it's going to hurt, and there's going to be a lot of war.
I think we're
and
pretty
gonna have
screwed
the
either
same
way.
Under Kamala.
I'm not very happy with the way this country's going one way or another. But shit. What the hell point were we just talking about?
Pennsylvania. I can't find anything on mail-in recent stuff, but
I was trying to make
Me
a point.
neither.
It just,
I
it
tried
just
to
You
look
should be
at
able to find like how
flighted
many
me.
mail-in ballot requests they had.
It's like
James, I looked it up, and
Nothing.
from what I looked up, no, I couldn't find anything recent. From 2020, I found a couple
Lots.
things.
What was it in
2020?
2020?
Let me look.
I'm sure it'll be less because I don't know if you got dude, in-person voting.
Oh,
was-
shit.
or
No, I
early
remember my
in-person
point.
voting was crazy
Okay,
shit.
no, it was Rogan and Trump. That's right. When you get through the actual Rogan interview, which I don't know, it was just very hard for me to listen to with Trump. I had a better time listening to the Trump and Vance one. When I listened to that, that was better. I feel the same way about the debates, by the way. But listening to it, and as you got to it, there was a certain point where Rogan was like, okay, so the 2020 elections, you talk a lot of shit on the 2020 elections. Basically, you say that they weren't real, or they weren't, they correct, and the whole insurrection thing and all that other bullshit. So he just let him talk, and it was funny because I personally, I don't know, I was driving when I'm listening to it, whatever. I don't know if it caught me off guard, but I'm just like, I'm waiting for Trump, and it's like, he certainly didn't have as much to say about it as I thought, because he's like, well, you always say that
He
the
finally
election
got
was
somebody to
rigged.
quit talking
Well,
about
yeah, he's like, you always say the election's rigged, and I feel like you always get interrupted. So here you are, you're on my show, and I want to give you a chance to talk. So 2020 election, why do you think it was rigged? And then it was almost kind of like deer in headlights. It was
He
kind
knows
of
he's not supposed to get started on it. Dude.
yeah, like
He's over
Right, I
talking
think-
crazy shit.
and they did talk, and just kind of got through it, and I think there were maybe 2 or 3 really valid points, and Trump wanted I have paperwork, I have the best paperwork
We
that you've
documented all over
with
the
the likes
place.
that you've never seen
Leslie-
before,
like
Leslie-
when you actually follow through on all
The
of it,
60
it ends
Minutes
up
chick.
as
It's-
bullshit.
Sir, this is 60 minutes. He's like, Leslie.
It's written on the best paper that you've ever seen. I'll bring it in. It's $1 million paper, $1 million
What
paper.
do you mean? It's everywhere. We documented it everywhere.
millions.
But no, and I just don't feel like he had enough to say about it. Because if you are going to be this dude walking around being like, yeah, the 2020 election was fucking bullshit and it was
Vance,
rigged,
yeah.
and then somebody on the biggest podcast in the world's like, cool, well, what's up with that? I'm going to shut up because I feel like people interrupt you a lot,
Well, he
and
did
I
the
want to let
smart
you
thing.
talk. And then he was just kind of like,
Even-
He had nothing to fight
Even
back
some of
with.
his supporters, of course, not the most ardent ones, but even a majority of his supporters do not like when he starts talking about that. Because nobody likes. The
So he
vindictive
kind of knew
Trump.
not to, I guess, as maybe it was like,
Yes.
just the political Trump, like,
I'm
shut the
surprised he
fuck up,
swallowed his
Trump.
tongue.
Right.
I'm
Like,
surprised he didn't go off on one. Like he's matured or aged. I guess I don't know. Is a better way to put
he's
it.
more
He
restrained.
learned his
but-
lesson from the debate where
I
he
think
fell for
so.
Kamala's bait so much.
Yeah, she
Watching
got
it
him.
live, I didn't even think it was that good because I'm used to Trumpisms, but
I could say that he
Teflon
learned from that.
Don,
Yeah.
he got a little stickier that night.
Oh yeah. He fell for every fucking bait and switch
his
they threw at him
VP
that night. They trained the hell out of Kamala and I will say
I'm stunned Trump
As
fell
a
for any of
puppet,
it. He should have known
she
better.
did it to a T. She did what they told her to do, and that she fucking hook, line, and sinker every single one.
You know who
She
answers
got him with.
like Trump's VP answers that question really well, Vance.
And that's why no one comes to his rallies.
I don't know, regardless of
Yeah,
what
that
happens,
one was a humdinger.
regardless of what happens tonight or with this presidential election, I think JD Vance is going to be a real political force moving forward because that guy's quick on
God, I
his
hope
feet.
not. He's such a piece of crap.
We don't know what he's about
he
yet. I
is
mean,
he
I-
is well after watching first off the
can
debate,
fucking
which
talk, though.
I exactly I really appreciated the debate in general because even though whatever you can call them both douchebags or whatever, at least they were articulate human beings which I stated on, I think it was on episode 2, whatever the hell we talked about it, but they were articulate human beings having a debate. It was politics, and that's what a debate should have been. It wasn't a fucking Jerry Springer show. And Vance is very quick on his feet. With that being said, though, he's pretty right-leaning for me. Like, all right, so like, and that's why a lot of the argument, even me and Stevie were talking, and, you know, not to oust you over there, Stevie, but
That's
yeah,
okay.
just simply about, like, you know, trans and people like, and Stevie's not a trans. Don't get that. But
Congratulations
just like
on being trans,
I have trans
I
friends.
found my truth.
I have
I'm glad you
trans.
discovered yourself.
I have trans friends. Steve has trans friends. And like he, you know, a lot of them, you know, are hardcore Democrats, and they're absolute Trump haters, and they're just like, Trump hates this. It's just like, no, I really don't feel that way about Trump. I think that's just what the media is absolutely feeding you. I would be probably a little bit more worried about that with somebody like Vance, maybe, because I feel like Vance is a lot more right-leaning than even Trump when it comes to like hardcore conservatism. He seems he's a big family man. He's a big Bible man or whatever. Trump's more of a businessman than he is a Bible man. You
Trump
know,
once let Rudy Giuliani dress up as a woman, wear a dress, and kiss him.
I'm
And,
sorry, what?
This was on television.
I'm with you, bro. Like
This happened.
what the
This
fuck?
was
You
something
came
that
way
happened
out of
on-
left field,
What-
brother.
Rudy
what happened on
Giuliani
television?
put on a dress, and Trump kissed him in a fucking skit for like SNL or something. And it was complete drag.
That's
This was
amazing.
like fucking
Well,
90s
that's Saturday
shit.
Night Live, bro. In the 90s? Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
yeah, so you can't even
like-
Yeah, you
bolt
can't even
that
go-
up.
like,
Versus,
what the hell?
versus JD Vance, who is a hardcore Heritage Foundation freak with deep roots in the deepest reaches of corporate America. I mean,
I
yeah,
do
it's
feel like
quite a
Vance is
difference.
very conservative.
Vance is extremely
sorry, what was
rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you need. There's rocks glasses upstairs. If Mo's there, just ask her. You know, whatever you need. Mo's scary. She can be.
Sure.
I don't think Mo's scary.
Hey,
I think
real
Mo's pretty
quickly.
awesome.
Real
Apparently,
quickly,
you've always been on the good side.
real quickly.
You got to think these guys have known her longer than I have.
Real quickly, Aaron Fry said AP calls New Mexico for Kamala.
Go back to the
Alright.
charts. Let's check that out. Let's see what's going on.
Absolutely.
New Mexico was kind of expected.
I would
There
say,
was
yeah,
there
Aaron
was
is the MVP. In
there
this
was some
motherfucker.
worry
Yeah, no
though,
shit.
so it looks like we
Shit,
did
we gotta
not
buy this
have
dude
quite
lunch.
the Hispanic realignment towards republicanism that was hoped.
Gotta get one of them sandwiches from that
But
one sandwich shop.
Arizona is still
Fucking joyous.
probably not.
That's what
like
I'm talking about. What
Arizona
name
has
drop,
a
though.
lot more of the like
not?
sunshine retirement Republicans. So like there's a pretty solid conservative majority there for some time.
You know, in this picture, he looks like somebody who would play Satan. That's in a movie.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You ever see that shit?
Uh,
I forgot what
mean-
movie it is, but you look just like
Like
that
Little
motherfucker.
Nicky?
Yeah,
Is
at
it
least
Little
at
Nicky?
least you're not saying like fucking Harry Potter or some
Little
shit because
Nicky?
of the
Well,
scar.
no,
I'm
Adam
not- I'm
Sandler
not that
movie?
shallow, dude.
The deep shaft.
Yeah.
Sorry.
all the butterflies.
Now get in the jar.
Get in the flask.
Yeah, that's it. Get in the flash.
Get in the flask.
Oh, that's awesome.
Why is that so funny?
Well-
I don't know.
This is the thing that I got from Little Nicky. I don't think he looks like that, but
The devil from Little Nicky? Is that what we were trying to say?
No,
Yeah.
no, dude. There's some devil looking
No,
just like him, dude.
Yeah, no, I would definitely not gravitate towards Topher looking like the devil from Little
No,
Nicky.
not from Little Nicky.
No. Topher probably.
I'm trying to.
let me look at him.
I mean, like with the dark lighting and everything, he could almost go for like the lead singer of Korn right now.
Sure.
Maybe,
I mean,
maybe the
if-
guitar player.
If it was just like, you know, if you dreaded it out and just dyed it all black.
I try to balance my values somewhere between Jesus
Oh.
and the Buddha, and a little bit
I like
Hiawatha.
Buddhism. Fucking
Uh,
Buddhism got it fucking going on.
There's some great stuff in a variety of religions.
Yeah, I could see that,
See,
Joe.
see,
Oh, there we go.
I could see that, Joe.
and I agree with that.
Yeah,
Jonathan
all
Davis.
right,
Yeah, but
Okay.
but
yeah.
Topher's got a cooler beard.
I do.
He,
I
he
agree.
almost looks like the the damn guitar player from Lamb of God almost.
Get in there.
That's if I had to look at him.
Lamb of God, the lead guitarist.
Yeah, I think
I just
so.
I got to learn an instrument.
It's either
now.
that or Whitechapel.
No, you don't. Trust me. It's a dead industry. Why do you think I'm sitting at a table just fucking bullshitting with you guys?
Humans look. The point of making art is not to make money. The point of making art is to make art.
And I
know.
wholeheartedly agree.
It
And it's not a
sucks
dead
yeah.
industry, and I hate even. I don't even mean to say that
But
because I
it's
plan
not
on interviewing
fair
bands.
How bad it's been marginalized to the edges of society, but it has been because like people don't have money for recreational shit anymore because everybody's so strapped to the vest, right? So they can't like go spend $50 on a show and buy some pointless merch that they might not
Well,
like. Or
it's
that they might
tough,
just
man.
wear to
I
the
mean,
gym,
you can
know?
open a whole ass can of worms there. That like, and just a very simplified problem there. Like back in the '80s, it was the,
Giving away your age now.
well, yeah, I just don't want to name. No, I would. Yeah, back in the '80s, I was like
2.
drinking milk. No, but I'm just the guy that recorded our album. I'm not going to name drop it right now, whatever. But he was telling me, back in the '80s, you used to get $80 a man. It was cool. Like, everything was all right, or no, $100 a man. Every 4-piece band going to a bar, make $100 a man. Bar does well, band does well, everything else. Well, now it's 2024, and you walk in there, 4-piece band, everything's good to go, and whatever, you make $100 a man. That never just so you talk about minimum wage not changing. Holy
Yeah.
Christ, that never even close to changed for musicians. And you still back in the '80s, 100%. And I'm like, really?
I mean,
and I'm like, when you
tipped
think about it
minimum
that way,
wage
yeah.
is still like $2.50 an hour or something absolutely garbage like that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
dude, it's not.
Well, I will say at least tips went up with inflation.
See,
you
but
know what
this
I'm
thing-
saying?
see,
And tips
like-
do go by percentage.
Oh, I tip high.
with musicians,
Yeah.
no.
See, like the other
nothing,
thing, the other
nothing.
thing that fucks me up too is like all the time and shit that you took to fucking dedicate, to doing whatever it is you're doing, whether you're a singer, drummer, guitar player, bass player,
lots of money, lots
whatever.
of time. Yes,
Even plus all the money you drop in your equipment, dude, let alone just that.
absolutely,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Like one pedal cost you fucking damn near $300, for
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
effects fucking pedal. Dude.
And hey,
It's
man, that's why
amazing.
we're going to be on here. We're going to be on here talking about music. We're going to be on here talking about the politics of music, which is a completely whole different subject. Exactly the $100 a man thing from the '80s to $100 a
You're
man
just-
thing now. The streaming services, what streaming services have done to music. What and Divine Sorrow is coming on. I don't have a calendar
hell
in front of
yeah.
me. My phone is
Do you want
doing
me
a
to?
camera thing. Well, I think it's a Saturday. I believe I'd have to look at my phone just to double check.
You told
but
me earlier the
the
23rd.
Yeah, I think it's the 23rd is a Saturday. We got
It is a
Divine
Saturday.
Sorrow coming in. We're interviewing them. I think I got at least 3 of them coming out. Hopefully that works out. But we're gonna come. We're gonna talk about them. Their upcoming shows, what they've done, and I know Brian, the lead singer, and Sonny. They're really old friends of mine. Throughout the music scene anyway. We've probably known each other about 10 years or so. But they're older dudes. They've been through it. Like they were playing music before I was playing music, so they've experienced this. Back, and I'm sure they were at least in the '90s, probably Brian, probably in the '80s. And they've experienced the whole thing. So it's kind of like, how do you go from then to now, and why do you continue to do it? And obviously, it's just because they love it. Because I'm telling you, it's not money. There's no way.
yeah.
And Brian's a great guy. He gives to charities and everything else, and they play the merch game and everything else. They got merch going and everything else. They are, I'm sure Brian's smart. They try to run it like a business, just like I did with the bands and everything else. You can make money, and there's a little bit of money to be made, but it's not enough to sustain anybody. And if you really try to do what you should be doing is go out on tours and branch out and reach harder, then it's even harder. Because now you're paying
core
hotel
problem
fees.
is more that the cost of living is through the roof, and that's
Yes.
just price
Oh my
gouging.
God, yes.
That's price gouging on housing, price gouging on fucking food and energy and everything else. I mean, we're getting fucked brutally. But as a result of that, you have to make more and more money, so you have to go and do more and more stuff.
Why do you couch that as price gouging though?
Because it's as a result of insufficient competition and power.
I mean, especially because you mentioned houses and like
AP calls
People's-
Virginia for Kamala.
Yep.
Thank you, Aaron, with the updates. You might as well have been here tonight, brother.
Yeah.
All right, so Kamala's steady going up in electoral votes, and Trump's just kind of sitting there at 230, huh?
He's been sitting there for a minute.
It's
now.
all going to come down to these last few.
yeah, like all the most important states. Are still the
It
ones we
really
don't know.
might come down to the Arab vote in fucking Michigan and Wisconsin.
Nevada.
Well, did I send you that thing?
How's
all
Pennsylvania
endorse Trump?
doing?
Yeah,
Pennsylvania?
yeah, I saw that. I mean, Kamala's
There you go.
killed their extended
I can't
families.
read
Can
that.
you,
81% reporting. What are you? The vote count?
Yeah, the percentage.
Donald Trump has 51.4%. Kamala 47.7.
And we're still at about 200,000 votes.
And we're 81%.
Yeah,
on that.
81% reporting. So
Getting
Vote
close
for
there.
Last
Still
I
nothing
looked,
on
he
Nevada.
had- Nevada, they'll be a while.
Man, if
Oh,
this
shit.
Aaron said something about whiskey.
if,
Oh, did he?
if this genocide
So by the
think so.
way, Trump's lead in
Too
Pennsylvania
far
got
into
bigger.
a
It's
bottle
over
of whiskey
200K
at the
now.
moment.
if this genocide
That's
costs
looking-
Kamala
that's
the
looking like a
election,
joke.
Much
that's-
regret not
that's
being
gonna
there,
be
Joe.
amazing.
That's what he said.
There's one county that hasn't reported yet, and it is in the middle of nowhere in a sea of red. So
What in
Pennsylvania.
where in the Sea of Red? Because it could be one of the cities. Is
Um,
it like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia?
No, it's nowhere near any of those.
Nowhere
it's not
near-
Erie. It's, not
a-
Allentown.
All right.
It's okay. So another one just went blue, but another county that is. No,
Are
it's,
we looking
it's
at the
in-
same thing here, Stevie?
Yeah,
I think so.
that one up in the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah, the one that's like a light blue.
Is that green?
No,
Oh,
it's
this?
gray. It's gray.
Yeah, that is a gray. What the hell?
They haven't reported yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Living here in Allentown. Shout out to Billy Joel,
With a
everybody.
200,000 vote lead at 81%.
Yeah, that's pretty
There's
strong.
Stevie coming in with the music.
Yeah.
Coming in
And
clutch.
Georgia, by the way, Georgia looks like it's going Trump too. They're at 91%, and he's got like a 1.5
Yeah,
lead.
that's actually less than I expected in Georgia.
Well, let's see. Georgia's 16.
Oh,
and
geez.
what is Pennsylvania? Is it 23?
I've needed the fuck out of this like 4 times.
What'd you say, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, how many electoral votes is Pennsylvania? I think it's 23.
I told you about the
Somewhere
scores.
around there, 20. I don't know.
I don't know how to. Here, I'll show you this, but I don't know how to tell that.
It's
Put it up a
19.
little higher.
So
19.
the 19 plus the
Oh, there you
16
go.
would be 35.
Tired of saying you're right.
So that's, I mean, that basically given the map, that would, if he gets
Hey,
those
I was
two,
just
then
looking
it's
out
over.
for you, bro.
If he gets Georgia and Pennsylvania, it's over.
It's
You're
like
saying?
I heard you
absolutely
before
over,
me.
I think he's got both of those too.
I'm tough.
What's going on in New Hampshire? Show us
Neil?
there, because that's like the weird state that Trump could maybe win according to polling.
That was the
that's one
fringe
of
on the
these,
other
right?
side of
Yeah,
versus.
it's not like
There
it
you go.
really matters that much, but it's kind of.
They're about 30,000 apart.
with
40,000
Harris in the lead.
maybe. Yeah, Harris in the lead, 51.7%.
So that's about par for the course, just like Iowa went par for the course. So our last minute fringe polls were indeed last minute fringe polls.
Well, 30,000 is probably a lot less of a deal in New Hampshire.
It's not a huge state.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the population of New Hampshire?
I
we
could
counting their
look
sheep?
look at that, but
You're saying there's like more sheep than human, or
Could
probably?
be.
Okay,
Hmm.
should do a study on that.
That's some hills have eyes shit.
Mhm.
1.4 million.
So even with high voter turnout,
Sheep or
you're
people?
probably
As
looking
of
at-
Jesus Christ, as of last year.
We should be looking up TikToks of that Icelandic chick. Is what we should be doing.
You got to keep in mind that's across the whole state. That's like
Reagan
Wyoming. Well, I think Wyoming is only like
Beasker, Bersky,
590,000 people.
Kragen.
Pretty hot.
Yeah, every time I hear that accent, I always think it's Chef from the Muppets.
I love
Or that
Beaker.
Def Leppard
Oh, Beaker's
song.
my boy, dude. Like
So
that's
are
my
we- are
favorite.
we-
Muppet.
Utak
Oh,
Lieten Namen Yomen. Are you talking about that, Joe?
Yeah, the Def Leppard song. Yeah,
Yeah, that's Rock of Ages.
Are we comfortable
I think
just
that's
about
German.
calling this for Trump at this point?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
well, I mean, I asked that earlier, and like fucking, you said Kamala. You still think, right?
I mean, it's looking like it's going to Trump at this point.
Every
if Pennsylvania
swing state
and
that's come
Georgia
down
are
has been in
going,
his favor, but
and
we'll
then
see.
also Michigan and Wisconsin, she'd have to catch up by a fair amount in. I mean, that's
Well, so he needs.
to me, it looks like it's
40
going perfectly according to show. If you're trying to organize a civil war,
He
I
needs.
don't know.
he needs 40 votes overall, and Pennsylvania and Georgia only give him 35.
35. So
Joe
we
the
need
Prophet.
5 more votes.
Just
He's
Joe
going
the
to
Prophet.
get Arizona
Okay,
though, as
but-
well, right?
Well, I think Maine is also going for him. They're just being weird about it on the map. Can you look up Maine?
Yeah, right here.
So it's only 29% reporting, and he's actually down in it, so maybe that won't go for him. We'll see. It's pretty tight.
You can make Blue Jameson.
Blue.
They're only 4 though, too. So
But there's also Michigan
Well,
and
when it's over there.
Wisconsin that are
Oh.
unfortunately not trending towards Kamala at this point.
Comes out blue.
so
That's neat.
let's see. But what I think Michigan's like hardly reporting, right? Well, they're at 40% now. About 100K deficit. For
Okay, so
Kamala.
what is she needing to win?
Basically,
Six-
the
65
entire
electoral.
Rust Belt?
yeah, she needs to win
Nice.
Michigan, Wisconsin, and either Pennsylvania or Georgia.
And that's it.
Well,
Wisconsin
and,
is
and there is
70% reported.
like Arizona, she
90K
can
lead.
probably lose.
Still in
Maine,
play.
I don't know.
I mean, I think that if you have a rooting interest for this, you're probably pretty happy right now if
So
you're a Trump
here's-
supporter, but it ain't over yet.
So here's
Oh, hell no. I mean, Trump's like been stagnated. He was just like, boom, like fucking heavy at first, like
Yeah,
killing
but
her.
it's-
Yeah,
and
but-
she's been creeping up, creeping up,
That's
creeping
just
up, creeping
That's
up.
from
has to do with how
72 votes
rural
from
counts
California.
report and shit.
That's
Well, once again, I think it's just making a real good show.
So, Joe, you think the
Set the
Civil War is in
backdrop.
play in the next, I don't know, fucking 5 years, 10 years?
there's all sorts of that shit in the news.
Possibly sooner than
No,
that.
like, I
I mean,
think
you
we
could
can
be looking
agree-
like, the next 5 or 6 hours.
I think you can agree. I think we could agree that it's probably not going to look like the Mason-Dixon line in like our last Civil War, where there's like North and like that doesn't make any fucking sense demographically, right?
No, I have no clue what this is going to be like. I couldn't even begin to guess. I mean, me and Luke have sat there bullshit at work a lot about it, and I just think, kind of like I said, like it was almost like I wouldn't call it an epiphany because it's certainly been in the back of my mind, but I don't know. For some reason, when I woke up this morning, I thought about it more than anything. I was like, I don't. It doesn't matter who wins. If Kamala wins, we have more of the same, probably going to get worse. And if Trump wins, we got a complete change, and it'll certainly be more interesting. But we're going to have, I really think,
The
the
Trumpers
Democrat.
don't riot much though. Like they had one bad day on January 6th, and aside from that, like, when do they
Well,
riot?
Jesus Christ! If you say that to somebody, like it was a buddy of mine. Won't name him because probably going to be on this show hopefully soon. But I was telling him, I was talking to him about it, and I'm like, January 6th, it just all right. Like I get it, and I don't condone it. I'm not saying it was good. And let me just get out there because I that's what you're supposed to say,
Hey,
right?
we reversed
and
our abortion ban here. Amendment 3 appears to have passed.
I'm very pro-choice.
Yeah.
My stance, I'm very pro-choice. Yes.
It's
I-
amazing how deep the gap is between how people voted for Trump and how people voted for the amendment for abortion access.
I'm very pro. Do whatever the hell you want. Really, when it comes to pro-choice,
You're kind of
I don't.
libertarian, it seems.
I don't need to
it's-
get really
it's just an
hardcore
interesting
into
dynamic.
it, but I just I guess personally, it's just kind of do whatever the hell you want. I think we got more important things to worry about right now. And then I think if we could get to a point to where that was our only concern, I think it would be a lucky nation. Which is why I'm surprised that that's one of our main concerns right now, because there are things that are just much, much, much
And
more
I'll
important.
reiterate on a presidential
Unless you're one of
level,
those
that makes
girls
zero
dying
sense.
outside
The president
ER
can't do
in
it,
Texas.
Congress, they can't do anything about abortion.
I think that Trump did
That's
it
the whole
right when he
overturning of
passed
Roe
it
v.
over
Wade.
to the
That's what
states.
They could pass legislation. They're just not going to.
It doesn't matter
They don't
because
have,
you'd have to have,
all right.
All right.
2/3
So
majority.
guys, make abortion illegal. Make it illegal across the whole country. You know what? You know what's going to happen? Black market abortions. That's
Oh, yeah.
disgusting. That's
Can I make money off of
disgusting.
this?
Coat hanger alley shit.
I'm just saying, like, you cannot regulate abortions because go ahead and regulate it just like you try to regulate pot.
Well, it's going to
It's
be.
just like, I'm sorry, but
It'll prove the same thing that prohibition proved, and that's that laws don't matter as much as culture.
yeah, people are going to do what people are going to do. You might as well just
Now you're
do
speaking
your
my
be-
language about culture.
Well, no, look, okay, now, this is something that a lot of conservatives have kind of wrapped their mind around too, because it is the truth. And like, okay, so the dumb, easy way to put it is like there may be a law in your state where you can't put a strawberry rhubarb pie on your windowsill on a Sunday, right?
Those
What
laws
matters
do
more, the
exist.
culture? The culture would matter. Now, if your neighbors really fucking cared that you put that pie on the windowsill, you might get arrested for it. If they were calling congressmen and going, "This motherfucker's putting strawberry rhubarb pies on," yeah, right? You get my
that
point.
son of a bitch.
The culture is like upstream of politics.
He
in that
knows
way.
I
And
love
so
strawberry rhubarb.
The Republicans have really and this is what's different. Like, I don't know what the Republican Party is right now. I really don't. I don't think the Republican Party knows what the Republican Party is. They're unprofessional, sloppy. They've just been overtaken in recent years.
I think you just mentioned all of Congress.
They've got the Democratic Party. I despise the Democratic
They're a
Party.
mess
They're
as well.
professionals, though. Yeah, but they're professionals.
They're professionals at the game.
If they don't like the
Yeah.
candidate,
Well, that's what makes them a
14
pro.
minutes
That's
before
what
the
he just
election,
said.
they just put a new one in. They don't give a fuck. They're a professional party, dude. They're like, they do their
They're
job.
more together than the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
But
I
they
can agree with
certainly
that.
don't
They're-
vote as consolidated as
See-
the Republicans do.
See, like what I don't
I don't
like
know
about
about
the
that.
fucking Republican
They always
Party
have a
Maybe in
rotating
recent
villain to
is
stop
that they
Democratic
is that,
legislation.
is that the Republican Party is nothing but talk, dude. That is it.
They're like the
they'll
Washington
get
They
up
do a
there, they'll,
lot.
dude.
They cut taxes for the rich a lot. They cut regulations a lot. They do pass a
They
lot of
used to.
legislation every
this
time
new
they're in
party's
office.
different. I don't know what it is. I honestly
Yeah,
don't. I don't know
it's-
if it'll be good or bad either, but it's
Yeah,
different.
I don't know, dude.
I think
I
different
don't
would
think
be
you can
nice at this point.
physicalize that one.
It's well, it sounds like how could it possibly get worse? but
Exactly. I
once
think
you've lived long enough,
welcoming
you realize
welcoming
it can always
different.
It
get
could
worse.
always
Yes.
get
It can
worse.
always get
Yeah.
worse.
Yes, but
So-
welcoming different at this point, I don't think's bad. I really don't.
I mean, I welcome change, sure.
I don't think it was absolutely terrible under Trump, and I don't think it's going to be absolutely terrible
don't
under
think.
Trump.
I
I'm
don't
always
think.
happy
I don't
to
think the
experience
economy.
a new pain instead of having to experience the same pain over and over again.
Well,
I'm
is
This
worried.
gives you the hope
well-
that you can make some kind of change somehow.
Well, is it
It
better?
But if
doesn't.
the change shows up in the form of fucking Marjorie Taylor
Change
Greene, then, like,
shows
you
up
know,
when we start to have solidarity with each other, build community, and stand against the forces that exploit people in our communities and in our
communism.
cities.
So, oh man.
All right, so to somehow try to ride that donkey's back that he just expressed. So, how many of you guys are active locally?
I'm not. I'm not. I
You
should
mean-
You're in a
be.
much larger municipality than say I am, so it's harder for you. I get it.
You mean like in my own backyard?
Correct.
Like
I mean,
literally, I
your,
walk
your
out my back
town
door.
more than your
No,
backyard
literally
itself.
mean your
but
own
yeah.
backyard. Yes.
Oh, I do a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean politically.
Not a fucking thing.
Well, why not?
There you go.
Why not?
Yeah, we're not
Because-
talking about yard work.
Well, because all right. So let's just face it. Now,
He's
if
like,
you
"I
go,
barbecue out there every day.
well, I would if I had my barbecue pit.
My
up
dog
and
shits
running,
out there
but,
a lot.
you
I gotta
know,
pick it
I
up.
like
my
barbecue.
propane one. I'm trying to get rid of it.
No, I
for
don't like
free.
propane,
It's
dude.
a nice Weber.
I don't like propane. No,
you think they'll use it,
charcoal,
use it.
dude.
I
Charcoal or lump fucking
your
wood,
propane.
babe. That's it.
I'm with you on
take
that.
The charcoal is a
But,
lot
if
better
If you want it,
tasting.
it's yours, bro.
Maybe. Yeah.
But no, I don't. Not at all. Because you can go walk out every door down this fucking goddamn street and probably halfway around the neighborhood, and nobody gives a shit about any type of politics.
Yeah.
They don't care.
I'm really lucky. I live
So,
in a,
like, how
a
in the
village
hell-
of 400 people where I like.
Nothing tonight. Everybody does. But,
Well, I mean,
you know.
dude, like honestly, like I'm a minority that's in my neighborhood. It is what it is. It's
In
the
what
facts.
sense? Like an ethnic minority or?
Yes, I am an ethnic minority.
Yeah.
So how in the
guess
hell am I going to
technically
go
am, too.
walk over and go talk to a motherfucker and be like, hey, you should go vote for this person?
Well, why would it matter? But
Right,
they're
it
just,
doesn't
people are
fucking-
people.
I mean, I'm a minority in my neighborhood too, but I just talk about issues that we care about, like
Well, that's what I'm
abandoned
saying.
houses
It's
in the
like-
neighborhood that are causing an eyesore and bringing down people's
Well, yeah, I
property
mean, I'm
values.
honestly-
Well, I mean, that's just it, though. I mean,
Same
because
here.
like,
abusing my neighbors.
instantly.
It's about real local issues that are stuff that affects the people around you.
Oh,
I can tell
trust
you this
me, I
much, It'll
know.
affect your life more than the presidential.
I
race
lived
will.
there with
Way
them.
more.
Maybe.
But
World War
what
III
gets me is
notwithstanding.
like because like
Yeah.
most people look at me
Well,
and they just
yeah,
assume that I'm a
nuclear wars
fucking
come from it.
hardcore Republican and I'm not. You know, there's like, oh,
Yeah,
you're a
but,
fucking
you know, I
Trump.
think-
You're a
I
Trump.
think the
Like, well,
first
wait
thing
a
is to,
minute, I'm
like-
not like them motherfuckers. Hold on a second.
I think anybody of any political stripe, and like I'm not an activist at all for anyone. You know, Chris is, but activist or non-activist, but certainly anybody that's an activist would tell you that, like, really the first step in making your world around you a better place, and maybe that's only locally because that's about all the power we have. One of the first things you have to realize is that nobody else is as hyper polarized as you think they are. Those people are out there. You're gonna have a couple
Oh,
people on your
yeah.
block that are like, that'll scream at you if you say something they don't like or something. But for the most part, people are not like that. And I would challenge
No, I'm
anybody
not.
to
I'm
say,
not
like,
talking about like
out,
the people you
out
see
in real
on
life,
YouTube.
if you're not
and
doing
shit.
it, like if you're doing an overtly political action, if you're out, you know, building a Planned Parenthood, and you get a bunch of crazies chasing around yelling at you. This happened to Chris. So,
Yeah,
What?
it did. I rebuilt Hope Clinic in Illinois after some severe water damage destroyed half the building. This was back in like 2018. I was between jobs. Contract came through, and I had a chance to get some work in. I rebuilt most of it. Unfortunately, our general contractor was a heroin addict and shot up a lot of our money, and I never saw pay for a lot of it. So
that happens a
I-
lot around St. Louis.
Yeah, so I secured. I did the physical work to secure abortion rights for or abortion access for women in Missouri. You know, at least more than Biden.
the broader point being that unless you're faced with something like that, where you're directly doing something that's even just second degree
But yeah,
political,
the fucking crazies
people are
harassed
chill,
us
man.
like crazy.
people are
man.
chill.
Oh yeah, for the most part.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sure
No.
one of the anti-abortion protesters like opened my car door and just took a piss in the seat.
I think a lot of this
they're
idea.
they're radical. They're insane.
Say what?
Yeah,
Somebody
That's
pissed
a
in your front
psychopath.
seat?
yeah.
Luke
I
could be
don't-
getting his gun out.
Like my car doesn't lock. I
Fucking
can't
all
lock
of
it.
them.
First
And-
off, Chris, that's not your property. That's our property. So keep that in mind.
Personal property.
Oh
and
yeah, that's
private
right. You're
property.
I knew you were
communist,
gonna
ain't
say
you?
that.
Personal property
but
and
he doesn't
private
understand.
property are
Hold on.
fundamentally different things.
I still don't understand. He's so blurry to me, dude. Like, you are a blurry political guy.
Well, like
I've spent
look,
like 6
James
years
was saying there's
documenting his every word
not
and giving
that
it to the FBI, and none of us know what to make of it.
You know,
We're all
you're like
confused.
watching the old porn fucking channel back in the 90s, you know, where you get a glimpse of a booby. You're like, woo! And you're like, wait a minute, what is it?
that
That's
the
not what I thought that
religion of
was.
Was that a tip or an
America
elbow?
is anti-communism.
Right.
Look,
Who cares?
look, brother. The religion of America.
Do
is
we have like somebody else
anti-communism.
besides
yes,
Aaron?
we do.
Comment?
I was
Oh.
about to say. I was waiting for you guys to rep something.
I mean,
up.
Aaron, we love you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. But
Aaron,
Yeah,
great.
let's hear what Just a Dude
So
has to say.
Just a Dude said, "I don't know what I'm walking in on, but I'm definitely worried about the incoming blue wave of votes." And he also said, "Good to see you on the pod, Chris."
Seek high ground.
Okay.
friend.
I
Well,
would have used a different word than pod. I don't know. I feel like that sounds weird, but I
mean,
guess
we're
it makes
basically a
sense. It is a podcast.
Sounds like just a dude. It's just one of Topher's dudes.
As long as
That's
he's
what
not
Topher's
seeing you,
dudes.
as long as he's not seeing you on the pad, then I
We
guess that's
should-
good.
We should hold a giveaway of
Okay.
this jersey that I'm wearing. We should give it away to one lucky viewer tonight.
we have like 2
Well, I'm
viewers.
gonna watch
I was
it.
gonna
It's not-
say,
look,
like,
it's not just an
I-
America jersey. It has Mussolini on the back.
I love it.
That is a
dude.
Mussolini America
dude,
jersey.
I don't wear
Do you want
that
me to
type of
flip a
shit.
coin?
but
I have
would-
this
I would
bitch
totally
custom
get it.
made like 20 years ago.
I would
Okay?
totally fucking buy
You know,
that
I
off
think
of
a
you.
lot of our problem was I don't think we even like put any like hashtags or any bullshit in the description. Probably would have fucking kicked the fucking bullshit up a little bit, but no,
Maybe a
we
little
didn't
bit.
do that. That's fine. You
We'll
know.
we'll know for next
So
time.
anyway, so are you a communist?
Yeah, but like, look, there's not a there's the religion of America is anti-communism, and what I mean by that is that
breathe and
we are
Take a fucking long
overwhelmed from our childhood with a narrative about how the world works, and that narrative is that communism is evil, and it's these dictators that want to control everything and own everything. But when you actually look at these nations, what's happening is that groups of people, mostly unions, mostly working people, are getting together and they're fighting to overthrow the people that exploit them, the bosses, the ownership class, the people, the investment banking cartel that drives up the price of all our housing and outbids workers for their homes. You know, it's about reformatting society so that we're no longer working for people that are exploiting us. It's nothing crazy. Like it just means that you have more of a say at work. You have a vote on your manager.
Well, you have that here
have,
with capitalism.
No, you don't have any.
Well,
say
that's
in
what a job
capitalism.
interview does, is that you negotiate your time for
You are
for this
one
amount of money.
person with no power negotiating against a large market force that has
It
government
depends upon your skill
influence.
set.
It depends on it just depends
If
on
your skill set is
set.
in demand, then yes, you do have leverage.
Look, I'm extremely good at what I do, and I'm extremely narrow. But even at the top end, companies have engaged in this. Look, you can look it up. There's
Yeah,
been,
but dude, you have the same problem that I have, dude. We had flooded degree programs.
No. Look at the Google, Microsoft, Oracle, a bunch of these very large tech firms, the richest out there,
Yeah,
with
but
the
where do
most
they
money to
come
throw
from?
around. They all got together and they
lot of them got
engaged
CIA
in
money.
non-poaching agreements with each other, saying we won't hire workers from your company. We will not let these people have any opportunity to compete off of each other
to leak
for labor.
secrets to
So
whatever. right.
not about leaking secrets, about minimizing their wages, about making sure that they can't come in and demand those high power salaries, right? If you look at how a family was living in the past compared to today, it is radically different, right? If
Absolutely.
I wanted
Chris
to
is trying to bring back segregation. Be careful. As we're
no, I'm
concerned.
not. If I wanted to, if I wanted to live like my parents did, who just had regular jobs, they were normal people making each around 40 to 60K a year back in the aughts. So like average middle class wages. We were a little bit less well off than most of the families.
As a
in our
college
neighborhood,
graduate,
but
I
we're doing
hoped
all
to
right.
make 35 in that
Wait,
period.
but
of time.
I mean, but correct me if I'm wrong. But
They were like mid-career at that.
but
point,
wasn't
so
there
it was-
a certain
AP calls
communist
Kauai for
fucking
Kamala.
from Russia? What the hell was his
So
name?
if I wanted to live like they did,
Joseph
now,
Stalin,
Stalin, Lenin.
didn't
I would
Lenin and
have to
Stalin-
make $350,000 a year to live like they lived. And you know how much I make?
That's today.
Nowhere near that. That's today.
Yeah.
That's today. That's how much worse things have gotten. That's how much worse people are getting paid. And that's specifically because of deals like that. That means that high-powered engineers like me aren't in a position to do anything
But you
because
got
all
what
these
is something
companies
else
have
called?
merged and they've cut their need for labor down to nothing. Because now
Well,
instead
yeah,
of there
that's 'cause
being
the
50
people-
companies
well-
doing this, there's now 5 companies doing this. So
See,
you
and
only
that's
need
what's-
5 engineers instead of needing 50.
Well, I understand that. So like that depends on where you went to what skill you have.
I
You know
have massive skills.
Well,
Everybody
well,
has massive skills.
Well, that's
Like,
no.
look,
I mean,
That's his
does.
humility shining through again.
No, it's not humility or anything like that. I'm just being just dead honest
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
like, you know, because like the people who went to IT school and college and shit like that were
Yeah.
literally working their way
I
out
cannot
of a
imagine
fucking
how they have
job.
not called Georgie yet.
Because you know they're trying to make shit that's gonna fucking supplement human beings that's in the workforce.
Well, look, the capitalist
So-
goal
so-
for
so
the
that when
past
you
500 years has been to eliminate workers. That's what all of mechanization has been about. And that's what automation and AI is an extension of.
Yeah,
Right.
we're gonna be
The
fucking
goal-
Wally here before too long.
The goal from the beginning has been to reduce the power of labor as much as possible. And they did it first by machines to intensify labor and reduce the demand for labor so that they could pit workers against each other to lower wages and lower living conditions.
Yeah, but didn't
so that they can
communism?
profit?
Yeah, but communism killed like over 1 million people. That's under one guy.
I mean,
The fuckers starved.
Your
to death,
number's
bro.
actually pretty low.
Yeah,
your,
well,
your
no.
number is slightly low, but capitalists
smells
have
like
also
whiskey.
killed close to 1 billion people in
Cheers,
the
mate.
past century.
Beautiful studio.
But under what circumstances?
Under a wide variety. Capitalist famines are extremely common,
think
where
Where?
people are all over the
it's
world.
leaking.
We're the only first world. I mean, like we're not a third world country here. We're not living on fucking grass huts and fucking dirt
No,
floors.
but we still have vast
for
food
yourself.
insecurity. We still have 1 in 5 children in this
camping.
country that don't know where their next meal is
My
coming
husky
from.
brings in enough mud. I might as well be.
Well,
you
of
know?
course. I mean, but what's stopping them from doing it?
What's stopping who from doing what?
Getting a job.
There's no jobs.
Yeah,
They've all
there's
been
sorts of jobs.
Most of the jobs have been merged away enough that there's not a good, reliable way to live. 70% of the homeless people in this country work.
Well,
It's not a factor of them being too lazy. It's
Are
a
these the
factor
people
of
that were
costs
outside
being
of the fence in the
unaffordable.
baseball meme?
Well, I mean, I don't
well,
know.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not
Not
the
having it.
affordable fact, okay? Because it is
is,
tough out
it
here.
is.
No,
We've-
no, no,
we've went
it
over
is
how
tough.
bad
I'm not going
things
to
have
argue that
gotten.
fact that it's not tough. I'm just trying to figure out like. So
I mean, if you work a full-time
so-
job and you're homeless, I do think there's something to be said about your actual way of life.
I
Or
think we
life
can all agree that
choices.
if you
But-
work 40 hours a week
but my
somewhere as a
question
full-time
for
employee, you
Topher-
deserve to
and-
be able to
and-
afford not being homeless.
And I
Let's
think you
imagine
could.
you're like at least somewhat responsible
The
for your
idea that
finances.
The
Like,
idea that
yeah.
rent is more than 10% of your paycheck is an absurd and
this is
extremely
not a-
modern
this is not a
invention.
And it is way
bipartisan-
more.
And it's way more for
Way
most
more.
Americans.
Well,
These
so-
people are robbing us blind, and they're walking away like fat cats for sitting on their asses doing jack shit. A lot of these people bought houses fucking 70 years ago for fucking 2 nickels and a pack of chewed gum. And now they're fucking charging people $1,000 a month, draining families that can barely afford to fucking eat until they're fucking broke, and then telling cops to put them out on the street on holidays.
Well, that's
They're
'cause,
fucking
I
sick
mean-
people, man.
I mean, those are bought people that make the laws, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, answer me this, and again, I mean this with the utmost respect. I'm not trying to attack you or
He only
anything.
deserves like
But-
60%
but-
respect.
I'm still trying to make sense because if you're anti-government but you're a communist, and communism is all about
He's not
government.
a communist. He's
Communism
a Marxist.
is not when the government does things.
He's
It's
not a
when our
communist, he's a
systems
Marxist.
are democratically organized and run. So that can mean running them via unions, via community organizations, via tenant unions, via worker cooperatives. It can mean implementing slightly more democratic positions and operations at our corporations, like implementing shareholder and stakeholder capitalism, where we have more role for workers, for unions, and for the community and the environment in the boardroom.
So I mean,
Right.
because I would
So
love to bring
it's
this one
about
guy in.
it's about doing what we can to shift our systems to be more responsible to society instead of all working for these fucking people that are mostly Jeffrey Epstein's client list.
If I
Right.
can for a moment interject, because I am the Chris Whisperer. Chris is not a communist in the sense that you think of a
Chris
communist.
Whisperer.
He's a Marxist.
Well, because like
It's
I said,
philosophical,
the
not
religion of
political.
America is
like
anti-communism.
Karl Marx type shit.
What we've been
What I'm-
taught
what
to
I'm trying
think
to
of
tell you
as
right now is that
communism
Chris
has
would not-
nothing to do
If you
with
described
what
if you described
it
a system
is.
to Chris where there was the American Communist Party that came into rule and had single party total control, Chris would not be a fan of that. He's a Marxist, not a communist. What Marx believed about how communism would come to be wasn't that a singular powerful government would rise up and take political power. It was that the people would eventually, through this type of like sociological evolution, would get sick of these conditions that he's describing and just do it on their own. He
we got,
he
yeah, we
described
do.
it
It's
as-
called the
he
Second
des-
Amendment.
He and Hegel described it as a sociological evolution. It's supposed to happen organically, was their prediction. It was a prediction he wrote. People like to pretend like he wrote something scientific. He didn't. It was a prediction. It was a hypothesis.
There was a lot of science in there.
Okay, sure.
What is
there's a lot of
just a
science in
dude
my
saying?
right.
Can I interject just with
Yeah.
because I mean, if people are talking, I'd love to talk to them. I can't read that though.
Yeah,
so
With
Yeah, I hear
0%
ya, I hear ya.
reporting,
I
could
didn't wanna-
someone
What's chat saying?
explain-
Yeah, what is chat
I
saying?
I didn't want to interrupt you guys, but yeah. Well, first of all, Aaron Fry said AP calls Hawaii for Kamala,
okay.
and yep, that's
Expected.
right. Just to
Didn't
do
see that
said,
coming.
you guys remind me of the vibe of the Unsub podcast,
I think I've heard.
and
of it.
also,
Who in the hell is that? I'm
and Just a
forgetting
Dude
my
was
ignorance.
their name is Unsub, so if they're successful, it's amazing.
and
Sometimes oxymorons work out, I guess. I mean,
And Just a Dude was also replying to Aaron saying, yeah, with 0% reporting, could someone explain the logic there, please? And I was also confused with that.
Is that Nevada?
No, they're referring to Hawaii.
Oh, just because it's going to be overwhelming.
Oh,
I mean, like the local population is
Kamala keeps on
overwhelmingly
bumping up and Trump's
way-
steady.
Okay.
Democratic and liberal.
The way you should look at this electoral map is that for the most part,
And all the
like
billionaires that
looking
are
at the
there
weather.
are
They're
like
saying it might
Oprah
rain.
and Mark Zuckerberg. They're all the Democrat billionaires that have stolen
I
up
see.
native land and shit there too.
look right
so
above the map. There's this little phrase that says the AP hasn't
Our billionaires
called
are
this
still
race."
doing settler colonialism in Hawaii.
See
folks.
yeah.
Okay, so we kind of brought this up, I think, off camera earlier, but like, ask yourself a question: why is a ostensibly private, investigatory, hold power to account journalism outlet calling a race? Because here's the thing: like, are they legally like what they say goes? No. However, if tonight they report candidate A wins, it's over. We've called it. They can cause civil strife just by fucking saying it.
Well, yeah, but I don't think they're going to do that until it's undeniable.
Oh,
I mean, like obviously,
2020
if,
begs to differ.
if you're counting electoral votes and then one exceeds,
There you go.
what is it, 270, then it's undeniable.
Well, yeah, but okay, all that only happens officially after certification, which is all the way in fucking what, mid-December to January. So like,
Yeah, but people
them
are trying
calling
to wrap
something-
up their
look,
streams and go home at some
Look,
point tonight.
We're all used to it. We all grew up this way. I get it. But
Yeah,
like,
we're not going to do this till
seriously. Ask
mid-December.
yourself the question: why is the AP
I gotta work at
or
some
like
point.
maybe somebody's watching the New York Times or they're watching? Why are they the ones that call it? They're the ones who shape public opinion, which is at the end of the day going to matter more than whatever happens in a building in Washington D.C. It's weird.
Yeah.
There should be like what the Federal Elections Commission, the FEC or something that should be quote unquote calling it. Nobody ever pays attention to that. I'm not even sure they make a declaration. They probably do. But have you ever heard of it?
A declaration of what?
Like who won the presidency? But that has to happen after certification, which is likely to be tricky. It was in 2020.
It looks like Republicans just won control of the Senate.
And that wasn't the first time it was tricky, by the way. Alternate sets of slates of electors have been sent.
So Republicans
Several
just
times.
won control of the Senate. What's Aaron saying over
They're
here?
up to 50 votes in the Senate.
Aaron
I told
said
you they were gonna win the
unsubscribe
Senate.
podcast is great, and
Speaking
Brandera
to the mic.
donut operator. I know, but I had to look
Okay.
closer.
You got my cool boom stand, asshole.
Brandera
I like that thing,
donut
Steve.
operator and a few more guys. So I think he's just talking about the unsubscribe podcast.
Oh, they're the gun
Right on.
tubers.
Mm.
They're the gun tubers.
I don't know anything about them.
Well, they're all cool. They're all cool.
I do like the guns.
Same here.
Yeah, so when you hear Chris say that he's a leftist, he's also like a staunch 2A supporter.
If you go far
See,
enough
I
left,
thought
you get your
I
guns
thought you
back.
meant like he was left-handed.
Like if you go far enough left, you get your guns back, bro.
You go far enough right. you
Are
get
we
it
going back to
too.
the fucking horseshoe
you
theory?
go far
again?
enough right, you never have to lose them.
Yeah, I mean, it's written right there. It's written.
Yeah,
Let's
but
see.
you're not
How
maintaining
is
a
the
well-regulated
House
militia. I'm a staunch.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not.
I'm mocking their dumb.
I feel like
arguments.
if you go along that path, like to the left, where you give your guns up, I don't think you actually get them back.
I love the shit they say where they're like,
Just gonna
well,
say.
what about
No,
a cannon?
then you turn
weren't
into
allowed to own a
Australia.
cannon. It's like, yes,
Like you should
were.
really read about that fucking shit.
I think I've heard a little bit about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're
Fuck
talking about
that.
private property being weapons, they always make these dumbass arguments where they're like, well, you couldn't own a cannon back in the day. First off, yes,
Fuck
you could.
yes, you can.
Secondly,
I can aim
Still
an
can.
A10
And by the
motherfucking
way, you
war
still
dog
can.
if I wanted.
But also, like, look into who owns F-35s. It's a private company, you dipshits. It's not owned by the government.
No, they're all private planes.
Well, it's mostly
They're all
owned by
bought.
the investment
It's
banking
like-
cartel, which is mostly owned by itself.
Buying a
difference-
tank's
there's a
like
difference
going to
between
the
ownership and
dealership
control.
to go
I see
buy a
what you're saying.
BMW, you know?
all of our
You just gotta have
military
the proper paperwork.
all of our military industrial complex is owned by
I think it's
about
kinda
40
crappy,
to
but
50
whatever.
investment banks, and all of those 40 to 50 investment banks all own each other. And the House has been called mostly for the Democrats. It looks like they're going to win it by a pretty large margin. So it's going to be a split Congress and probably Trump at this point, if the map is still looking that way, unless there's been a large swing in the past few minutes.
I just
All the most
don't think
important states
so.
have it
I
recorded, by
don't
the way.
think so.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything on these few states either, but they're also trending towards Trump, so it's looking.
It's been trending towards Trump all night, but Kamala's been like,
Yeah, we could get a last minute like 500,000 votes, but I mean the path is getting steeper
where are you
and
saying
steeper.
that the Dems are likely to win the House?
"Where's Pennsylvania?
randomly
Where's
on
Pennsylvania?"
Twitter.
It's
There we go.
it's
85% reporting,
northeast.
50.9% Donald Trump, and 48.1 Harris.
Yeah, that's still like same equal
So,
size
yeah,
margin.
yeah.
It's
Pretty
not
much.
shrinking at all.
We have
We're-
4% of the vote.
It did
vote
shrink
counted.
a little bit. It went
Yeah,
down
I
like
know, it shrank.
30,000.
Yeah, but we also don't expect 170,000 vote catch up in the mail-ins
2020
because they're
would
not
beg
as
to differ.
politicized.
Yeah, I
as
was gonna
last
say,
time.
didn't I mean a lot?
2020 would beg to differ.
2020
yet
would
again.
say it different, dude.
That's way sharper, and like that was way more politicized too.
Hey.
Like Trump was flat out saying like the
Speaking-
mail-in
So you're-
ballots are all fraud.
You're thinking Trump's,
so
Trump's
you
got
weren't
PA.
here, I
It
don't
looks like
think,
Chris
when we were
is-
talking
Chris is
about
what you're
this.
saying.
But you remember seeing something in the news like back in 2020, right? Was that when it was when they were blocking up like they pushed like they got all the poll workers out and then they fucking
Okay,
blocked
yeah,
up
I'll
all
tell
the
you about
windows
that.
I
shit.
still think that sounds
Okay, so
made
the
up.
blacking out the windows was in Wayne County.
yeah.
Those
See,
in Michigan.
he's heard about
It's the county where Detroit's. I know there's video of it. By the way, good luck finding it, but you can.
it. He knows exactly
so-
what I'm talking about.
Oh no,
Thanks,
absolutely. So what was really interesting about that was the size of the windows and the fact that they already had materials to block them that were like the perfect size.
Yeah, they're like pizza
I
boxes
want
or
somebody to go
some
out there and do
shit,
the
dude.
measurements. Like that wasn't.
They
They're not
taped it
like the
all,
normal like.
blocked
So
it
it's
out.
like window panes, right? Like, but it's not like the standard sheet of paper or like something you'd figure to have handy. But yeah.
They taped them
Watch
together to
them.
make it fit the window.
Okay, so the more egregious one was actually in Georgia, in Fulton County. And what they did was, and so I had a whole ass argument with somebody about this one time, but the day before, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports they're going to stop counting at 10 p.m. If they have to count the next day, fine, but they're stopping at 10 p.m. So this was the plan. They're going to stop at 10 p.m. So, and there's video of this also. At 10 p.m., what happened was in Fulton County, Georgia, which is the Atlanta area. basically,
Didn't
right?
didn't they get
Basically.
into a fight or some shit back there
No.
too?
No, so what they did was they said that there was a water leak, so they had to shut all their voting down.
That's
when
what
did
it
they do it? Exactly at 10 p.m. when they said they were going to shut it down before there was a water leak. What was the water leak? A clogged toilet. It was like a separate part of the building. Any length, what they then do, and this is all on video, this part I'm about to say is at least. All of the observers are removed from the room. We're done counting for the night. Have a nice night. No longer are you observing. Then they pulled out boxes of ballots and counted them.
Yep, blocked the windows,
That's what
locked the
happened. There's
doors.
video of it. It's like it's indisputable.
Yeah,
That's
you
not
can't
an
lie
opinion
about
I
that.
just said. That's a fact.
What about the one chick that was
Pretty
stuffing,
fucked up.
that was
Well,
stuffing
does
the
it,
ballot
like-
box?
Look, I think.
I
as
think all this
Americans,
shit's
we should
been
all-
litigated so heavily in court.
Look,
that
I'd
it's not
I
even
would
funny.
rather the candidate that I don't like win, but let people believe in it. Like you know what I mean. And when you leave, like, okay, by the way,
It's like Santa Claus.
if you think they did like hand recounts of this shit, you're wrong. They did it in Cobb County next door. Not the same
Well,
county.
like, I mean, isn't it pretty much, if it's undeniable that there's a free and fair election, isn't that at the point where we need to be pretty much at civil war, or at least at war with the
Well, it certainly
establishment?
could be a catalyst for it. you
Yeah,
know?
but you have to figure out who the establishment is.
People would need something
It's
to
confusing.
believe in and rally behind.
They'll be the
And
ones
nobody's
sending
rallying
drones to your
behind
house.
either of these dog shit parties.
And
or
I
Trump.
was going to say that earlier to you. It was like because there's nobody to fucking stand up and be like the George Washington.
Chris struggles with Trump because Trump is a billionaire, which already means Chris is not going to like him.
And he's given a shit ton of money to rich people that they've used for horrible means.
Fine. At the same time, he is non-establishment in certain ways.
It's just funny
All of
because,
us
like,
are
when I
hoping
compare
he's-
Trump to, like, Musk or Bezos, he's a pretty small billionaire.
Well,
Yeah, but he's
You know
also
what I mean?
doing
he's
Musk
been around
spending.
a long
I mean,
time and
he's
has a ton of
been
influence.
campaigning
Like,
heavy.
he's
in
socially
those
not an
circles.
outsider.
So it's
Well,
just
now
like
he is.
because his net worth isn't that much that he's still a big
No,
deal
his net
because
worth is still huge.
He's
well, yeah, it's like 2.7 billion or something like that.
It's probably
Musk's
lower
or
than that.
Bezos is like over 200. Like it's
The reason
it's
the establishment
insane.
hates him is because they didn't think he could get elected, and they weren't appointed by them.
The rich also have
You ever
class
notice that, like
solidarity.
you have these fucking shitty primaries with dumb fucking candidates, and nobody likes any of them. Like seriously, we could find better people to run for president out of our friend group.
Well, like I said, the
And everybody knows
vice presidents both did a better job than the actual presidents.
Sure.
I mean, it's pretty undeniable if you
don't
look at the
know
actual
if
debate.
That's true. Well, Walz
When it
probably
comes
did
to an
better
actual
first.
debate, I'm not saying fucking Walz did
depends on
it.
what
Walz
you're
is
grading
fucking
him on.
weird. Vance just killed it. Vance crushed it, and Walz didn't do too bad standing up to Vance because I mean, like that's pretty hard to stand up to.
Vance is a political.
He's a
force.
bulldog.
He's a political force, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
and
don't
so
know if
like
he's- I don't know if he's for
Walz
good or
Walz
if
at
he's for
least
bad,
did
but
his.
He's a political force.
He
He at least-
studied that shit his whole life. Like
He
he was,
kinda, you know,
like he was
Keep
groomed
in
to
mind,
be
he
that
got
way.
famous because of Hillbilly Effigy.
Elegy.
Elegy, thank you.
Yeah.
What the
And so-
fuck
Still
is
haven't
that?
still haven't watched. No, it's
It
a
was a
book he
book,
wrote,
then
and
a
then it
movie.
got adapted to a movie as well. You can
It's
watch it.
about
It's on
growing up
fucking
in, like,
Netflix right now.
poor
I think.
Ohio,
Oh, great.
Appalachia,
He's
and his
part of
mom being a
Hollywood?
drug addict. No,
No,
not
It could be.
like that.
I should probably watch it because I don't know. Like people said, it was good.
The
Apparently,
book is
or
way
whatever.
better than the movie.
Yeah, well, they always are.
The movie's okay.
Like we were talking about that the other day. Like fucking 1984.
Oh, dude, yeah, George
Like,
Orwell.
Oh my god,
Yeah, that's a
I would.
badass
You
book.
thought
I
it was
would love,
fiction and now
dude.
it's a
I would
prescription
love
manual
to
for policy.
do a
Idiocracy, dude, wasn't supposed to be a fucking documentary.
Mm.
Dude, one of my
Here
best
we are.
friends, one of my best friends has been barking in my ear about how Idiocracy was more predictive of the future than anything else.
Dude,
So,
I'm serious.
so,
I'm
like,
just waiting
since
for the
it came
trash
out,
lance
and
to
I've been
happen.
annoyed at it. I'm like, he's so wrong, and then like the more time passes, I'm like, fuck, it keeps getting more right.
Dude, like I would love for us all to like
Just
go
the
ahead,
wrong reasons.
reread
Welcome
the
to
book.
Costco. I love you.
Like it's almost right. Like reread the book. Like I don't know. It's almost like what do they call the book groups or some shit like that. I ain't
Book
trying
club?
to be
Like a book
yeah
club?
book club. I ain't trying to be like that, but like I wouldn't be opposed to like all of us going back and like rereading 1984 and then
not that
just
good.
I did,
and
I did
then
80
just
I did
doing a segment on
1984
that. I think the
and
book
Brave
was
New World.
wonderful.
Dude, you guys need to go check out a movie called They Live. Like that would.
They Live is great.
See, you know what I'm talking about?
Roddy
Give me
Piper.
some, my commie dude.
Fucking
Tommy
yeah, that
Lee.
dude's kick
That's
ass.
what I'm talking about.
Like,
Isn't that a
Such a
Stephen
good
King
movie.
movie?
It's
That's a John Carpenter
so
movie.
There's
That's right.
Yeah, there's fucking aliens. And
What we
they've
got in the
taken
ch-
over
what we got-
society and
what
they're
we got in
hiding
the
in plain
chats?
sight. It's amazing.
Sorry, I just don't want to leave the chat people out here. I keep seeing things populate, but we're not. I
Aaron
can't
says
see them.
great movie.
Yeah. Just a dude
Oh,
said.
that was current.
Yeah.
Just a dude said I'm sorry. YouTube has been screwy as hell tonight. He has to keep on refreshing.
I told you they were gonna try to censor us.
And
Mo had
said
some
too
problems
much.
upstairs
We're too
too.
powerful.
we said too much.
Aaron Fry said great movie, but he said that around the time you guys were talking about 1984.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Oh,
it could
I
be.
mean, dude,
I
the book
fucking
is way
hated.
better.
I
The
hated the
book's way
movie.
better.
The movie was absolute dog shit.
So I recently revisited 1984 and Brave New World, and the idea was like, so also Fahrenheit 9/11, which is kind of along the same lines. And so, well, you know, sci-fi dystopia kind of shit.
yeah.
Anyway, and like I was trying to figure out like which one. I don't
This
think
is
they
leaking. No fucking way.
I don't think they meant to be
Jameson doesn't
predictive, but-
condensate.
but which one is like more
They get
descriptive
dribbled
of
up
where we
in it.
live? And it's like a blend of them. To where I swear, like a bunch of bad faith motherfuckers grew up reading those books just like I did, and they were like, "This doesn't have to be fiction."
Well, they also weren't
Like, you know what I
predicting
mean?
the
Dude,
future.
I've been saying
Bro,
this, dude.
they-
There's
they-
someone standing on the
Well, that's
wall
what sci-fi
smoking a
is.
They
cigarette
weren't
saying
predicting
sci-fi
the
is stupid.
future.
Sci-fi influences science. Why couldn't dystopian fiction influence dystopias? Like I don't see why it couldn't.
Because they weren't predicting the future, they were commenting on
I
their
know they weren't.
presence,
I said that
right?
much,
So
but-
the fact that
No,
this
that's-
stuff
dude,
was
that's gotta
most
be-
of this stuff was happening in their time. All they've done is slightly exaggerate it over time, and that's all that we've
Of
done.
what it
is
could
get
be.
deeper into all this.
Yeah.
shit,
No, I get that.
right?
I get that.
They're not
don't
predicting
think so.
anything. They're just like saying,
Looking-
like,
looking
hey,
at what-
this is where things are obviously.
This is where
doing.
things
This
are
is-
heading.
But
This is
how
what's
in the
happening, and this
fuck-
is how things are headed.
All
Exactly.
right.
It's basically
I see
what
how
I
you
think
could
is.
manifest something like that.
It,
you know.
I feel like it's a reimagining of like at the current time, like things weren't that way exactly, but they were pretty damn close to it. Like I guess you could say politically or societally, like that's how things were. And I think it was a reimagining of if we had more technology and if the government had more control,
Oh,
this
no.
is how it would be.
That's how it was.
Well, they didn't have the
After
things.
wa-
In 1984,
No,
they didn't
right.
quite have the monitoring
Well,
systems
because it was-
1984 was talking about.
Because it was written in like the 1950s and 60s. But what was happening in
But
the
we do
1950s and
now.
60s is that all of our government and all of our businesses were being purged of anyone who wasn't a conservative. anyone who was a socialist, anyone who was a unionist, anyone who was a communist, anyone who was LGBTQ in any way, they were all removed from
That didn't
all of
exist
our.
back then. I'm just
You know
saying.
what didn't exist for a very long time is all this like super bigoted and obsessive stuff about the gay and the trans. All this shit only goes back to the 1870s in Britain.
Really?
Yeah.
1870s. That wasn't like last week, bro.
I just meant the alphabet bowl. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Just the craze we call it today, the alphabet game, I guess you would say. And I'm not trying to dog on those people by any means. I'm
No,
not.
They've,
I'm
they've
not trying
existed
to.
forever as various parts of our society.
It's very interesting, and like when you get into that kind of like can of worms, like a lot of gay people. Like, all right, let's just say you're like a gay dude or like a just lesbian woman or something like that. They hate the LGBTQ plus. They don't really want
the
to.
turfs.
They don't
call
want to
them?
be associated with that group. They generally don't. Like
I
at
wouldn't
least say,
bunch 'em
at
up
le-
like that.
Well,
I'm-
no,
I'm-
and I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to like say like the genuine, just like I'm a lesbian and I like chicks. I'm a girl that
look
likes
at-
chicks. Doesn't like to be roped in with that radicalized group. I guess
It's not a
Would-
radicalized group.
Look
It's
at what
just
happened
people trying to
nationwide
live
to
the same way they
lesbian
have for the
bars.
past 8,000 years.
They can.
For all of human history.
They can.
Okay.
They have. I mean, it's
Just
well
natural
within
variation.
their.
No.
It's well within their rights to do
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it at all by any means. I don't think
I,
I'd be,
just, I just don't understand. That's why it's such a big
really
deal.
not in there.
Lesbians in particular have
Yes, it is.
a
Heavily put
reason
down.
to be a little bit
Well,
upset.
Absolutely, it is.
Look
Why
in-
isn't it?
Look since the fall of Obergefell, and look at bars that are registered, so to speak. Just it's self-reporting, but you get the point. That self-report as being lesbian bars. Look here in St. Louis alone. It used to be 15, 20. Now there's maybe one, and it's like that everywhere.
That's a monopoly.
Well, what you have to understand is that, like, okay, so men are more.
He's got-
I don't care what your sexual orientation is, or what if you want to wear a dress or jeans. I don't give a fuck. Okay. Natural-born males with natural hormonal levels are more sexually aggressive than women are. So it makes sense that women that are only interested in women, aka lesbians, would want their own spaces where that's not infringed upon anyway. Once they don't have those spaces go away. They only go places they feel safe like that. Like it's going to be all lesbians and maybe like the cool straight chick that I might turn lesbian later. Or you get the point. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the dude who's gay and he's cool and he doesn't, he's not weird about it.
You know
what I'm saying?
You always gather around your own.
All of their spaces are gone. Go find one.
Yeah.
Go find one. Here in St. Louis, even. There used to be like 15 years ago.
It was like Hamburger Mary's. That was a good
There
place.
used to be several in North County even.
I feel like the overall volume dropped. Stevie, did you do anything over there?
Stevie.
Well, which one did you mess with? The master volume on the board?
Yeah, I think we're winding down.
No, it's okay. I was just wondering.
What's that? I'm sorry. What was your question?
I was just asking which one did you mess with. Was it the master volume on the board?
It wasn't the master volume. I just manually turned down everybody a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's 11:30.
Is that
We've
okay? I
been,
can turn it
Oh,
back up.
geez, it's 11:30.
Yeah, we've been on
Yeah,
for
that
an hour.
master fader. Just go ahead and jack it up very, very slightly. The
Where's
master fader.
that?
There we go.
Oh, I see it. The big. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the big one, and then that'll jack everybody up evenly. Jack.
Next time I'll
jack.
do that. All right.
Okay.
I think it's great that voting in Georgia ended
You have any-
28 minutes ago. It's 93% reported, and they're still like,
Yeah, let's
we're not
go
calling
ahead.
this. This is why I don't like people like the AP calling races. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, let's just go back to a generalization. Let's look at the whole thing again. Give a final recap, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah, these trends aren't budging anywhere massive. I mean, Alaska's going to go Trump probably. That's
Nobody
expected.
cares.
Nobody cares.
how many electorals is there in Alaska?
Like 3, probably the minimum.
There's no scenario where Alaska matters,
Yeah.
and it's gonna go Trump.
Did you steal my lighter?
I don't believe so. I mean,
Well, you know, the Pennsylvania margin actually went up for Trump.
not my own.
It went down a minute ago, but it just went back up.
Jack my lighter, son of a bitch.
Yeah, if it's
With
if it's
86%
not
reporting,
dropping consistently,
and
then
he's-
that's over.
I mean, he's 170K ahead with 86% reporting.
Man, the Kamala people are going to be so
And
insufferable
keep in mind,
tomorrow.
like, normal vote tranches don't come in anything other than like 60, 47.
Aaron says PA. I don't know what the fuck that means.
They call Pennsylvania.
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 Is that
They
called
should
for
get close to
dumbass.
calling that in Georgia, and if they do, then it's over. So
Calling it for who?
Even the whole thing you were talking about earlier, like
Trump.
stopping
Oh, really?
to count ballots at
No shit.
10 p.m. I don't know. Like, I mean, when the Cardinals or the what was that? It was the Royals at the time. Yeah, print T-shirts or whatever. But either way, when any home team wins the World Series, all T-shirt factories work 24 hours a day to pump out World Series T-shirts.
I hear they also
So I
send
think-
I hear they reprint the losers too, and they send them off to third world countries.
Yeah, the whole thing's insane. Because, the minute that, you're in the 7th inning, if it even looks like they're going to win, they give the go-ahead to start printing T-shirts, and you start cranking them out, and you go for, a fucking 19-hour day. If you're signed on to one of those contracts, and they have reps and everything else come out to make sure the T-shirts are printed, it's insane. And that happens all over the country when a World Series wins, right? So, why the fuck would you stop counting ballots at 10 p.m.? Why would
most
that ever be a
Because these are
thing?
volunteers
And
for the most
yeah,
part.
most legislatures have.
I'm
rules
just
about
saying
when
the
you count
election is the
ballots, too.
fucking
Right, but
biggest deal in the country, and the
but our
whole country
election
can
is-
print
is-
for a World Series, but they can't count
Okay.
Our
ballots for an
election,
election.
especially at the very local
Also-
level, is run almost exclusively by volunteers,
Also
and it's
in
balanced between
Wisconsin-
parties. So that's a very vital thing. We don't want to stress those people out by making them work
As part of
24/7
our
as
wrap up here in
volunteers.
I guess,
Wisconsin,
but-
You gotta see their
81%
families.
reporting, and an over.
Just saying, I think it
100K
should be a
vote
bigger-
lead for Trump.
Deal again. I don't know.
Very cool.
Aaron Fry said Trump leads 2.8 points and 86% in Pennsylvania. That's what he was referring
Yeah,
to.
this is looking pretty pro Trump, but
Yeah, I think we can call it.
Oh, you think us as a panel are going to call it for Trump? Is that what you're trying to say?
VIP, let's call it, dude.
Yeah,
Oh, you think we're
Fuck
going
the
to?
VIP.
Trump's got a split Congress, and it's going to be a really interesting 4 years.
I personally
If he has Senate,
wouldn't
it's
call anything. Not until everything's fucking counted. I wouldn't
Yeah,
call a damn thing.
I think it's anyone's game right
think-
now.
Jill Stein. By the way, she did pass your 500,000 vote mark
Oh yeah,
just now. 511K.
Congrats, man.
what's
So, you wanted
Claudia?
a million. You wanted a million.
I want to know how Claudia and Karina are
Okay,
doing.
here's what's great is that Robert Kennedy, who tried to get himself off all the ballots,
Yeah.
has about the same amount as her.
That is so
He's over
fucked
500K also.
up. That's what I was talking
Okay,
about
so-
earlier. It's disgusting. They did not allow him to
So-
be off
we're
the
gonna
ballot.
we're gonna have to go
Chase
into the other
Oliver.
for mine.
The Chase Oliver, the far leftist that somehow won the Libertarian Party vote, he's almost at 500K too.
Libertarians are traditionally leftist, but
Not
okay.
Chase Oliver's kind of leftist.
What's our other candidates' total at?
250K.
250K. Most of that's probably Claudia. And
So
Karina.
how
There's
many
no
of the
way.
people
I mean,
that
I
you
can
think
click on
like
it and find out, dude.
how many of the
Fucking
people
go
that
for
voted
it.
for fucking RFK, do you think actually voted for RFK because they were voting for RFK, or
showed
they
up
were
and saw
probably
the
going to
name
be like
Kennedy and they're like,
they were
They're
they
just
were going to
protest-
write in Snoopy anyway or some shit
yeah,
like
they're
that.
just
you know?
protest against these two
I'm,
parties that
I'm
they hate.
definitely pro Snoopy.
I'm just
you gotta,
saying.
You got to remember too with the third party vote, what they always talk about is don't vote for this election, vote for next election. The idea being that if you get your third party candidate to a certain threshold, they're more viable, more people will consider them. Right? You get the idea.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah,
So
That's the
there's-
core
there's gonna be a
problem
lot of
with
people doing
voting. It's a matter of we take it as strategy instead of as a read of our opinions, but we also, because we take it so strategically, we play games, and those games are gameable by rich people who know how to play those games against us
Well,
to get us to fucking.
well, we ain't rich. Don't bundle me.
Well,
in
no. So, I'm saying, this is how we get lesser evil voting, right?
Hmm.
They say, "Oh, you just we just have to be a little bit less evil in your opinion than those guys." So everybody's voting against the other candidate less than they're voting for their candidate. I mean, Trump might have some support, but the most I would really wager is that he has maybe 20 to 30% of the country behind him.
it is
in a
peaked, he
serious
pulled
way.
at 30% in a serious way.
Yeah,
be.
so
you really think it's 20 or 30%?
It's
yeah,
close-
I think
it's closer
the
to
rest of
30,
that
yeah,
is
he's
just
right.
fear and hate of Kamala.
Or
And
just
I mean,
people that are gonna vote
we're
regularly.
lesser
that's
than
that's
you
what we're
would.
seeing in Wisconsin and Michigan right there. If they're seriously going that hard, it's because they can't vote for the person who bombed their families and killed everybody they loved and cared about.
Who bombed who in America?
Kamala. Well, look,
we're talking about foreign policy.
a
at that
lot
point.
of
okay.
people
We
in
swap here. Got it.
Palestine and in all these other areas that have been brutally bombed have fled and have become refugees and have become integrated into populations. There's been Palestinians in our community for decades.
Yeah,
In
but
in
Let's deport
2014,
them.
In 2014, when the protests were happening here and the BLM thing was kicking off, there were Palestinian refugees who'd already been here a decade dealing with IDF tactics that the IDF had trained our police departments in, teaching our protesters how to resist those police tactics and how to survive that violence. So the roots of solidarity are deep between people in our communities and people over there.
Well, weren't they burning their own shit down?
No, brother.
Okay, so there's no reality.
I think
Like
they
Georgia's
were.
gonna go Trump.
Stuff got burnt down, but like some stores and capitalist shit got burnt down. People's homes didn't get burned down.
They tried.
See, I feel like if the, I don't know, and this just might be me, but like if the Republican side were actually to revolt, and like I said, and I know we're live here on YouTube and everything else. I'm certainly not trying to say anything that's just too off the wall, or whatever. But the whole January 6th thing, like I said, I don't condone an insurrection by any means or whatever. But I do think that the media made it out to be a very big deal, which, of course, yes,
There's a
it
mild
is.
riot by a
But
mild
there
riot.
was exactly there's a lot of things like I've heard people saying Trump sent an armed militia to the Capitol. It's like, no, that's not what fucking happened. That's absolutely
what you're
not.
It has like
missing-
a few flags and a
What I
shitty flag
see
made of
is,
people.
and I had plenty to compare it to in the year prior because I saw all the BLM riots and everything else, and there are
comparison.
and that's exactly what this person I was talking to, like his jaw was just dropping as I said this, like because
Yeah,
he's like, oh
because
my god,
they're-
I can't
They're
believe that.
fundamentally different in nature.
Well, and I get it, but I'm just saying, just the idea that I even say that January 6th was not as big of a deal as the media made it out to be, then I get this, oh my
Okay,
God, how
so,
could you
like,
even say that? So how
Let
could
me-
I even
let me
say that? I
explain
see
to you
people
why
walking
they
in the...
have
you-
that reaction.
okay,
Are you
once
curious
you-
about why they have that
No,
reaction?
but once you realize that the people
James,
there
are
that
you
were
curious
rioting-
about why they have
once
that
you realize
reaction?
that their actions were like how it turned out on the scorecard is that their actions went directly against their intentions. What they wanted was they wanted Senate hearings about potential fraud in the election to delay certification. What do their actions get them? Immediate certification.
But
Like,
you're also missing the point. Like we talked
did they
about
kill
this
anybody? The
earlier.
answer is no. Did they really harm anybody?
Elections and
Not really.
politics
I
are
mean,
about cultures and are about the
Oh, media
narratives
lied
that these
about it.
people
I've
paint.
been in actual riots here in St. Louis.
Right?
I have video of it on
So,
my phone right now.
BLM
Me too.
and
That
all of
January
these
6th shit wasn't nothing, bro.
all these protests were not a major like cultural movement within the Democratic Party.
But why was January
things
6th a hardcore insurrection
because it
against
changed the
everything?
Overton window, because it moved how we think about politics. Because
By
it's a
people
major,
walking in between ropes
because
in a
it's
government
ma-
building
yeah,
and barely
because
doing
that's a
anything?
major
Don't forget,
symbolic
Joe, If the
act.
guy wearing the Viking helmet touches the lectern, democracy's over.
Well, that's how
Holy
liberals
shit.
think
So,
about
you know,
politics. That's
he's
what I'm
gotta-
trying to explain to you. Like,
got
I don't
control of the
think like
building.
liberals think. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it was fucked up and dumb, but I'm
I
trying to
th-
tell
I
you
think
and
it's
explain
more
to you
dis-
why liberals feel this way.
I
And they
wanna
feel
hear
this
this.
way because they think of this the same way they think about like Harry Potter, right? They got Voldemort on rules violations. They didn't get him by raising an army, by organizing a resistance.
Are you?
They
about
got
to
him
start
because
being a
they
Voldemort
crashed him,
apologist?
right? Democrats have
man
always
hates
thought
Western
if they could
culture.
just catch Trump on some technicality, they could stop him. They could finally stop his reign of whatever.
But
If
that's
they
what.
could just
But why
get
are
him
we
on a
so
reason.
worried about
Because it's-
stopping Trump? Because I
because
don't think this
this is an-
I don't think Trump's Voldemort. I'm sorry. I don't
well,
fucking
they
think
do.
he is.
They do.
He's the first president in my lifetime that didn't start a new war. dude.
They do. And like at
take
the
that.
same time, like the Republicans think Kamala is like Satan incarnate to a large degree. They think that she's gonna be the end of America and is gonna like
no, I think she's a
implement
dumbass
communism.
fucking puppet. And I'm not even claiming to be a Republican when I say that, but I'm just saying, just as an American
Of course
citizen,
she is. And so
I think
is
she's
Trump.
a
Let's
fucking
be clear,
puppet.
None of us sitting here are Republicans, and none of
Yeah.
us sitting here are Democrats.
Yeah.
You were away when I said that earlier. None of us are.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why I was
I'm
just
pretty fucking
explaining,
center. I
how
think
the
so.
Democrats
Yes.
are feeling
I
about
don't think
that
I'm
and why
center.
they
I
have
think I'm
such
a
strong
radical,
opinions.
but-
I'm willing to criticize both because I'm not happy with either.
Yeah, well, you don't want to buy a jersey. You're not like trying to be a Yankees fan or Red Sox fan. 'cause
You ain't gonna
that's
see me in no gold fucking Trump shoes. I'll tell you that much, or even a MAGA hat,
Wouldn't you
because
much-
like
wouldn't
no.
you much rather pick your candidate than your party? Like fuck buying a jersey, dude. I'm gonna vote for Mitt Romney because he's a Republican or George H.W. Bush. Like, no.
Yeah,
I don't think
especially
I'm ever going to
because
wear any political
You think
gear.
the
vote
parties
for-
get captured by the
You think I'll
rich,
vote
and then
for
they just
Joe Biden because he
put
wears a
forth
blue
garbage
jersey? The
candidates
answer's
to
no.
wear the jersey.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I think the first time that we got a surprise candidate, I don't think this. I know this. The first time we got a surprise candidate in my lifetime, Trump. Nader came close, kind of. Ross Perot kind of came close. He actually would have stood
He
a shot.
fucked it up.
Ross
Yeah.
Perot,
He dropped
really?
out halfway through, dude.
And then
He still had
re-enrolled,
huge
and
support, yeah.
he probably could have won that if he didn't
I
fuck
mean,
it up.
or at least made a big enough showing to where a third party to be a legitimate
Oh,
political.
He could have at least disrupted the electoral votes enough
dude,
that nobody
Ross
was a
Perot's
clear
taken
winner.
Out, Ross Perot's taken out like full length commercials on primetime television,
Yeah.
doing like 15 and 20-minute policy discussions. You know, he was.
Mike,
He was like,
you just seem so quiet.
sorry, I'm sorry.
There it is.
But you know, he was like talking to the people. Like he'd just take out a 20-minute spot and be like, "This is what I think. This is what I think we should do." And we're like, "This guy's different." I wasn't even old enough to vote, so it's like, you know, I wasn't part of the process here. But like, I remember it. And he dropped out, then
I was
came
like a
back in.
toddler.
When he dropped out, he was polling at like 30%, which for an independent is
Huge.
fucking unheard of.
Y'all
that's-
remember
that's enough to
politics
take a
from when
state or
y'all
two.
were
That's
toddlers.
a bold
That's
move party,
fucked up.
You know,
Crazy.
I wasn't a toddler. I was
So,
like
Yeah, he's
10
older
or
than me.
something like that.
just a
I'm
dude
a
said,
child.
"I'm still worried about Trump's lead evaporating." Full disclosure, I don't
You
even
should
like
be.
Trump, but I dislike. He dislikes Harris more. Sorry, ran out of breath. And then
Well, that makes sense.
Aaron
Yeah.
Fry said
remember
82% in
2020?
Wisconsin. Trump leads 100 votes or 100,000 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not worried either way because the negative consequences of both
Look,
of these are going to be awful.
He's got
Yeah,
big leads.
I
but
agree.
If we learned anything,
I agree with that too.
If
I
we
agree.
learned anything
Yeah,
from the
well,
last
shit.
That's what I
election,
woke up
it's that-
thinking this morning. That's what I was talking about.
Exactly.
Like, I had a different. It's weird. As much of a thought as I've had on this whole thing, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I really don't want Kamala to win. I really don't want. I didn't. Oh my God, what if she wins? What? And I woke up this morning and I'm like, I don't think it matters. I
Yeah.
don't think it fucking matters. I think it's going to be shit either way. It really is.
See, and that was
And I
We're
might
gonna
have
get
I might have
richer.
different
We're
reasons
gonna
for
get
that.
more-
I think you're wrong about that. Now it might be shit either way.
I might have different reasons, like is
the flavor
from
of
all
shit
of you for
matters.
the reason I think it's going to be shit.
But the
But
flavor
yeah,
of shit matters. You know,
Y'all eating shit over there?
creamy kind.
I think we're all about to eat shit like tomorrow, like whenever the hell this is
Well,
decided.
so like that
It's not gonna
circles
be
back around to my question.
You don't think so?
Is like, what do you think? Like the gay, like, is there any chance of the rhetoric that both sides are spitting about violence per each side, no matter who wins?
you know
What is
I-
the
I-
probability
Trump
of
They're
guys
that?
are
large
right.
scale, no.
They don't.
No, I'm not saying large scale. I mean, just saying.
I kind of am thinking large scale. It just depends on how it all goes down.
What do you
there,
think
there's
over
a
there?
there's a very strong possibility of there
No,
being
we-
large scale violence across the United States tomorrow.
It has the potential to do it, but I
Depends on
mean,
what you
but the
mean by
veneer
large
of
scale.
society is so fucking thin.
Well,
and
I'll
fragile,
tell you
it's
what
very
you're going to
ugly
think
under
is
it.
violence, and that's when
Let me ask you guys this: You
when
gonna
the
wake up tomorrow and go fight your fucking neighbor over their
No.
yard sign?
right.
Probably
But I'll tell you what, the
Look at that.
Democrats are
No.
going to stop once they're no longer the party in power. They're going to pretend that they've cared about Palestinians this whole time, and they're going to join in our protests, and they're going to put up a fight like they did back in 2020, pretending they were on the side of the BLM protests and everything. So
That was just a joke.
you're
the whole
gonna
thing was
call
a
all
joke.
that stuff violence when it happens, but it's really just gonna be people saying like,
That
"Hey,
wasn't
please stop
violence.
bombing those people's kids," you know.
I'm sorry, burning a fucking Foot Locker and a Quick Trip is not saying, hey, fucking please stop bombing the kids. I would be going to elected officials
They
and
tried
burning
to
their
vote,
house
but
down.
what happens?
And I'm not saying burn and kill the elected officials because that's a little too brutal. But yeah, I'd be burning
You'll
their
get censored
houses
off
down
YouTube
or
for that.
whatever.
Watch out.
Well,
for these
yeah,
and
sure.
justify the means
Because
while
certainly,
fucking
no, I would
socialism.
never would I condone that or say that. Nobody kill anybody, but I'm just saying, like, why would you burn a Quick Trip down as opposed to like burning like something down that matters?
Well, that's not like an organized action that somebody planned.
you're just beating the
right?
shit out of that
So,
mic,
like,
aren't you?
Well, it's
So
looking
our
different,
our
Is the thing
protests
even
and-
live?
I think.
Yeah.
okay.
It
All
is.
right.
So
It's gotta be
our
super
protests
close.
and marches are generally in a straight line through a distinct area to create a specific and temporary disruption.
Okay, I was there when Quick
That's
Trip
so-
got burned. Do you want me to tell you what happened? The reason that Quick Trip, the
Yeah.
whole reason that reference is in your head, the Quick Trip on what is it, New Orleans Ferry?
I
Yeah.
The
The reason
with
why-
the Ferguson riots and all
the
that
reason
shit,
it
yeah.
got burnt is for this. There was an employee there that knew a lot of the younger kids, like, you know, talking about like something like average age of 17. Okay. He knew a bunch of them and he narked on them. At least that's what they said. The burning of that Quick Trip was entirely personal.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
The car lot down the street. And
That's how
everything else
most
got
of these
burned
are.
in between.
People
different
use
story.
protests
Just
as a cover
kinda
for
The
shit.
quick tip
saying.
one was
See,
highly personal.
All right, so I had personal.
was
That's
fucking there.
experience that's in this as well.
Well, I had buddies that were like, what you know, all the tattoo guys, Stu, and all them and everything
those were the
else.
personal businesses of people who lived in that neighborhood. That I
They
was,
had to defend their
that
businesses
I
with
was
armed,
protecting.
you know. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
I
I
was
watched
one of them
people
armed
smashing-
motherfuckers that were up there protecting them people.
Just to make sure a tattoo shop
And
didn't
you know
get
what?
burned
It
down.
wasn't,
Which
even a tattoo
Luke,
shop.
I
It was the whole fucking plaza, dude.
Yeah,
watched
and
people
how did
do
that
that.
stuff fucking happen? It happened because the protests that were there
No, you
were
weren't there. I was there. I can tell you why.
No,
why,
because
are police started
I will
shit
agree
and caused
with,
chaos
I
and
will
fucking
agree with Chris with
allowed
this.
shit
The
to go
police's-
out of hand and
the
left
police's
everybody's
bad
shit
issue-
undefended.
But why would the public go after small business in a situation like that? That's what I don't understand.
Because they
And
don't
And that's what
know
I'm
any
saying.
better.
Like, I'm
People are
certainly
just
not.
lashing out because they have nothing else to lash at.
That's
but
actually
yeah,
They're
bad.
actually,
denied
no,
targets.
I think
they feel powerless and helpless, so they're lashing
It's-
out at
and
whatever's
that's why
around.
lashing out
January-
at their own.
That's
yeah,
why
they'll lash out at anything.
That's why January 6th was such
don't
a
get that.
big deal because it
Okay,
was
so
fucking
Joe-
lashed out. That
That's
was
why
at
there
the
were
Joe
civilian targets on October
Joe.
7th.
I've literally got
Hold
tons
on.
of videos on my phone. Me getting shot by rubber
I think what
bullets.
Luke just said has a little bit of weight, though,
It
right here.
does.
So that's why January 6th was such a big deal, because it
The
was
other
people
people
lashing out
finally-
at
the right people.
government. It
At
was
the
people
right
lashing
people.
out at
and dude, and
At
that's what they don't.
the
want.
Democrats,
it's not a
the
quick trip, and
Democrats
it's not
see
a
it though
Foot Locker.
as lashing out at the democratic process, as the process of the orderly transition of government.
Well, maybe
that's
they should
why
listen,
they freak out about it.
Well, then they should listen to the people and hear what the fuck they got to say, because that's not what
It
that
is
shit
the
was
people's
about.
house.
There was not an
that's our
armed
house.
mob. There was not an armed mob. There were not people necessarily threatening. Well, all right.
Well, they were
No, no, no,
specifically
no.
there to disrupt
I'm gonna
the
take that
transfer
back
of
because there
power and to
definitely
stop
was
the,
threats.
they were specifically there to stop the certification of the election.
Well, I
they
mean,
were specifically there
to
to stop
delay
the democratic
To
process.
delay it.
So, like,
Initially,
yeah.
it was,
I don't believe that
Okay,
at all.
No, that's literally the stated goal.
I think they were opposing
Have any
because
of you
they
guys
thought
ever
it was
actually been at one
rigged,
of these
and they
things?
were opposing.
we can't really
Okay.
hear you, brother.
Has anybody, have any of you actually been at one of these things where there's angry people in the street going fucking crazy?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a pattern to how it works, and this probably applies to January 6th from everything I've seen. Certainly applies to everything I've ever seen happen in the street. It starts off orderly. Then the people that are responsible, once they get spooked a little bit, or let's say, and this, let's criticize the police and the state a little bit here. This is the state more than the police. When you try to say there's an 11 o'clock curfew for adults, no, there isn't. Fuck you. That's unconstitutional. No.
Yeah.
Not
But-
under martial law, it isn't.
Their police chief tells them to march forward.
martial
and
law
enforce
is
it.
fucking
But guess what else
unconstitutional.
Yeah,
All the
I'll agree
clergymen-
with that, but under
Yeah.
martial law, no. That, I
There,
mean,
but
that's,
martial law
yeah,
was
you
never
don't
even
have
declared,
anything.
so that's
Yeah.
a mute point. So, okay. What happens is that all the like upstanding citizens that are organizing the protests, the clergymen, and all these people from the community, they're real community people. They go home, and guess who shows up?
The assholes.
The opportunists.
Yeah, the
yes,
assholes.
yes, yes.
I was.
That's how these
I,
things
you took the
happen
words right out of
every
my mouth. dude.
Fucking time, every single time. January 6th, I wasn't there, but it looks the exact same as all these other things have to me. You got agent provocateurs, which, if you're not familiar with the term,
That's proven.
they're there. They're in all these things.
Proven.
They have an interest.
Video
Why would they
evidence
not
of
be
it.
there? They have an interest in it.
Is
So that-
James turned down?
Am I
Stevie,
too mute?
No, he just
Not at
doesn't
all.
know how to
He's
talk
turned
near
way
a
up.
mic.
it
No.
seems like he's talking into
He's
the
a-
mic like
he's
everybody
afraid
else
of
is.
doing
I'm
the,
getting really close at it.
He's afraid of doing the whole Trump movement.
It seems like he's just as close as everybody else.
Well,
but.
look, I'm not a Trumper. I've only got 3 Trump tattoos, not 4, which is apparently what it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
dude.
Eagle
You're
Scout.
yeah.
No,
you're-
that's
you're
a
definitely not-
standard.
we do
just
gotta wrap
3.
this up soon. It's late as hell.
We do.
Yeah.
But the point being,
I don't have
if
my
you've ever been
phone,
at
it's
these
over there.
events, You've got a mixture of things.
filming us.
And it's never indicative of the people that are protesting. You should always keep in mind, there's protesters, then there's rioters and opportunists. They're not the same people. They don't want the same thing. Most of them on the other side don't even want anything. They don't care if it changes. They came here from fucking Bellevue, Illinois to loot a fucking Foot Locker.
Oh, there you are.
They don't give a fuck. They don't care how the police the area.
Yeah.
And the people that did are either caught in the middle taking fucking strays,
Yeah.
or that's me, by the way, or they're the bad faith actors on the outskirts. And that's how those things happen.
Or
Same
they're
thing with
caught in a
January
kettling
6th.
event and they just happen to be walking their dog and they're still ended up arrested and with a felony record
If
with
you
everybody else.
if you nonchalantly walked your dog down there in Ferguson at that
They
point in
wouldn't
time,
have fucked
No,
with
the
you, dude.
kettling,
You're a fucking idiot.
The
You guys
kettling
know what
was
you
fuck with
the
you.
kettling was down in.
you had to know what was going on.
Was down in Clayton by the county building.
That shit was right there at fucking Lucas and Hunt and shit, bro.
Well,
I'm
all
ta-
right.
I'm talking about-
Let me
I'm
let me
talking
go
about
ahead.
kettling. That's a
Let me go
separate
ahead, guys.
offense.
Let's go ahead and let's sum this up. So what do we got in the chats? What's Aaron and just a dude saying? Because I mean,
it's the same. It's the same as it was.
Yeah, Wisconsin's going for everything's
Okay.
going for Trump.
well, thank you so much, Aaron and just a dude,
Yep.
for commenting,
Aaron with
and
the
thank you so much, you guys, coming out, and little Stevie,
Oh, Wisconsin's at 84.
little Stevie,
Ooh.
little mini god over there.
Looks like
you
the
know,
prediction was right.
the
Yeah, son
god
of
of the podcast, Godcast over there. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Stevie, for helping out. And one last look here. Look at
Yeah.
you. Look at you on it. Look at you on it, Stevie. Go,
You know-
go
you
back
know
to
what-
that, please,
You know
Stevie.
what this map tells
These
me?
hotkeys are fucking up, Joe. I don't know what's going on.
What does this map tell you? Chris?
It
well,
could be
we can
just
each wrap up with our
stalling.
takeaways. My big
It is
takeaway
stalling.
here.
Yeah, it is stalling.
All right.
Okay.
It is stolen. I'm trying. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's
Joseph
fine.
Stalin?
No,
Where?
hopefully it's still. Just don't touch anything. Just don't do anything.
Yeah, let it-
Hopefully
let
it's
it go
still
slow.
running.
Yeah, it's running just
Um,
pretty slow. Only 2.4 megs.
Yeah. Well,
so-
we'll just give it a
Dog Trump
thing.
running away.
Yeah. So,
Stevie,
Yeah.
just thank you. I
Yeah.
want to say thank you for running this for us tonight.
Absolutely.
I want
Thank
to
you.
say, all of you guys. We got, Christopher Sudlick over here to my left, which you probably can't see because
You
the
better call me
bullshit's
by my
stolen.
proper name.
It's all fucked up.
Yeah. It's fucked
I'm
up.
Joe Maddock.
Better put some respect on it.
There's little Stevie. I won't name you if you don't want to be named, but you name your damn self. You got a microphone. We got Luke Kuhlenberg, spelled all cool, and then we got good old Whitey J over there.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had to put some respect on my name.
Can't get enough of your love, baby.
Aaron said, "See you guys tomorrow. Good podcast."
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks,
So
guys.
thank
MVP
you
on
guys.
this.
I really appreciate
Yeah.
you guys coming out. We're just gonna figure out if we're in civil war or not tomorrow. So
Grab your muskets.
yep, exactly.
Blunderbuss away.
Thank you for anybody that hung out tonight. Subscribe,
Yeah.
do your shit.
Thanks,
Steve, hit the button 8 just to be cool.
Button 8.
Yeah, and then stop the fucking stream.
I'm hitting it, and nothing's happening.
Yep, that makes sense. So who knows if we're even streaming anymore at this point?
It says we are. I think.
Probably. Okay.
All right. Well,
maybe
all right.
maybe button 8 will engage eventually. I mean, I've been talking this whole time, and it's been like on you guys.
There you go.
Ah,
There you go.
looks like
There
it
we go.
did. Yeah, the rip beer. All right. All right. Cool.
Hey, is there anything I have to do to say to the Uber that I'm going to have a second person there?
Oh.
Probably.